System rationality increased by 300%, cultivation compatibility increased by 400%, system completeness increased by 200%. A thought struck him, could that Demon King's secret history also be reparable? Scanning Demon King's secret history. Ding, scan initiated. Target has no flaws. Grade 15th rank, lower grade cannot be repaired. The system's words shocked Ling Xiao. A book with absolutely no flaws. Fewer flaws mean lower potential, but the fewer the flaws, the more perfect it is. As a sealed autobiographical ancient text, a 15th rank lower grade rating is extremely rare. There are very few 15th grade treasures in this world. Could this book really be extraordinary? Or are the books in the Demon King's library inherently of a very high grade? Ling Xiao pondered for a long time. He recalled that when he scanned demonic energy and demonic martial analysis just now, the system only provided information on flaws and repairs, but did not mention the grade, indicating that book was ordinary. This further highlighted the uniqueness of the Demon King's secret history. It was definitely not an ordinary item. Could it really be the autobiography personally written by the Demon King? Driven by curiosity, he immediately left the library and headed straight for the Destroyer Demon God. Why can I only read the first few pages of the 15th grade lower level secret history of the Demon King in the library? Ling Xiao asked urgently. The Destroyer Demon God's face was full of shock. You actually opened it? Ling Xiao was puzzled. Is that book not supposed to be opened? The Destroyer Demon God said in a low voice. That book has been sealed for thousands of years. It has existed in the library since its establishment, but no one has been able to turn a single page. It is rumored to be the autobiography of the primordial demon god, because it cannot be browsed through, and no one can verify its authenticity. Everyone cherishes it simply because its rank is extremely high. Although it has no additional function, the level alone commands respect. You said you looked through it. What does it say inside? Ling Xiao replied. It's an autobiography of an ancient earthling. The first few pages record how he awakened to demonic energy from being an ordinary person. This era is extremely ancient. People had not yet recognized demonic energy, and the term itself might have been coined by him. His experience of discovery is exactly the same as what I saw in the analysis book. The Destruction Demon God murmured. If that's really the case, the legend might be true. You can open it. Could it be that you are truly the reincarnation of the primordial demon lord? The unspoken speculation hung heavily in the air. Ling Xiao's heart trembled, but he remained silent. Facing Ling Xiao, the Destruction Demon God suppressed his inner shock and excitement, though his face could hardly conceal the waves of emotion. He had intended to keep the secret and avoid revealing any flaws, but Ling Xiao had already seen through his thoughts. He barely regained his composure and spoke gently. You should return and wait quietly for news. I have important matters to discuss with the other demon gods. Regarding your questions, we will respond as soon as possible. Seeing this, Ling Xiao understood that it was difficult to get the truth at this moment and nodded, saying, understood. All right. Ling Xiao watched the figure of the Destroyer Demon God disappear, then turned and left. He had no urgent matters, but his mind kept working, thoughts surging like tides. His steps were steady, walking through the street like an ordinary person. Suddenly, a sharp gust of wind swept past his eyes, carrying a fierce killing intent. Although the force of this move was not strong for Ling Xiao, the killing intent could not be concealed. This place, who dares to be so ruthless to me? I haven't provoked anyone. Ling Xiao's heart blazed with anger. He raised his fist and struck out fiercely, a merciless blow that forcibly blocked the incoming deadly move. The fist wind surged, unstoppable, rushing straight into the crowd opposite. Unprovoked provocation must be paid for. The heavy punch struck, and the man fell to the ground with a thud. This guy had been cultivating for many years and rarely experienced being suppressed. At this moment, he was extremely embarrassed, his face full of angry humiliation. He gasped for breath as he got up, glaring furiously at Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao sneered at the sight. With your 3 trick skills, you still dare to sneak attack? Just stay home and suckle quietly. Seeing the other's arrogant demeanor, Ling Xiao carefully examined him from head to toe. Young, with a face still bearing the traces of youth, immature and violent in character. Although the demon god is immortal, his strength cannot conceal his youthful aura. His age is similar to Ling Xiao's, but he appears even more reckless. The man, having lost face, his chest heaving violently, his arrogance undiminished. Before Ling Xiao could speak, he struck first. You look unfamiliar here. You must have wandered into this place by mistake. I showed mercy, but I didn't expect you to be so ungrateful. Are you looking for death? This baseless accusation completely enraged Ling Xiao. Ha, I'm not blaming you. You were the one who made the first move. This place doesn't belong to anyone personally. You attacked me recklessly, and sparing your life is already my mercy, yet you still pretend to be the good guy? The man retorted angrily. This is my daily training ground, an unspoken rule that no one dares to disturb. You're a newcomer. On what grounds do you provoke me? The demonic clan, the strong rule. Don't use your human false kindness here. Only those with fists bigger than others are kings here. Ling Xiao sneered coldly. Someone once arrogantly said that to me, and in the end, he died miserably, forgotten by all. If you want to compare strength, then don't regret it. Before the words had fallen, Ling Xiao's fist suddenly slammed out. This punch contained 50% of his strength. strength. With his cultivation at the 9th heaven of the eternal life realm, this strike was enough to instantly kill any opponent below the 2nd heaven of the eternal life realm. This punch also carried a test, aiming to gauge the gap in strength between himself and the other. Seeing this, the opponent furrowed his brows, spread his legs, gathered all his strength to resist, and his hands flew, performing complex martial techniques. Though it was strenuous, he firmly blocked Ling Xiao's heavy punch without moving an inch. Both sides were shocked. Ling Xiao was stunned by the strength of this person's power. Without using any martial technique enhancement and relying on only 50% of his strength, he was still firmly blocked. Clearly, he was a genius among geniuses. If he were not competing against himself, this person would definitely be a rising star of the future. No wonder he's so arrogant. It seems he really has some backing. Ling Xiao sneered coldly. Unfortunately, you've picked the wrong person to mess with. He usually disliked overpowering others or stealing the spotlight, but at this moment, he wanted to severely teach this reckless brat a lesson. If he let him be arrogant, mistaking kindness for weakness and continuing to act recklessly, wouldn't that bring shame to the Tianma clan? Since you are already a member of the Heavenly Demon clan, you should properly deal with this rule-breaking scoundrel. Unexpectedly, someone actually dared to shout the arrogant word strength is king right in front of me. If that's the case, then let him truly feel what real strength is. The feeling of becoming king or being crushed. Seeing that he was holding on stubbornly, a trace of a smile flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes. He decided to loosen up and really test the limits of this sandbag. Where can you find such a tough opponent? He mobilized all the demonic energy in his body, held his breath, and focused his mind, recalling the demonic energy and martial analysis system he had read yesterday. The demonic energy surged like a flood within him, and after one full cycle, he suddenly unleashed a strike. Before the move was fully formed, the arrogant youth opposite him was already completely stunned. Although it was only half formed, Ling Xiao could tell at a glance that this strike was not something he could withstand. This time, he had truly met a tough opponent. The young man, usually arrogant, was now frozen in place, seemingly at a loss. In the past, others had bowed to him and begged for mercy, but now the roles were reversed, and he had become the one forced to plead. He simply could not accept it. He stubbornly resisted, refusing to admit defeat, willing to suffer serious injury or even death rather than lose that pride in arrogance. Just as the attack was about to land, a figure suddenly flashed in front of him. That person's strength surged dramatically, dark energy swirling around him. With a fierce strike of both palms, he collided head-on with the incoming palm wind. The explosion roared through the sky, finally blocking the ferocious attack. Ling Xiao looked up and saw it was the Destruction Demon God. The Destruction Demon God was a great help. He intervened to block the attack, so Ling Xiao naturally did not pursue the matter further. But looking at that kid, his heart was full of anger. Although he did not continue the attack, his expression turned cold. The Destruction Demon God was not clear about the specific reason, but it was obvious that this kid had angered Ling Xiao. He knew his own people well. On ordinary days, everyone thought he was a genius, so it was understandable to pamper him. But now he has caused big trouble. The person in front of him was not only suspected to be the reincarnation of the primordial demon god, but his talent was also astonishing. His future potential was limitless. Now that he had provoked such a person, his cultivation path would probably be difficult to advance. The destroyer demon god smiled bitterly, thinking about how to calm Ling Xiao down and let him off. He turned around and shouted at the young man behind him, "Kneel down." The young boy looked confused, mixed with stubbornness, unmoved. The destruction demon god burned with rage, slapping down with one palm, directly knocking the boy to his knees, almost falling prostrate before Ling Xiao in salute. "Ungrateful fool, you usually act arrogantly and domineering towards the clan, spoiled and rude, and everyone has tolerated it. I see you are becoming even more unruly." The destruction demon god turned to Ling Xiao and apologized. "This is also a junior of the clan, the son of the destruction demon god. Relying on his high talent and being overly favored, he is indeed somewhat reckless. Ultimately, it is because we did not discipline him strictly enough. Today he made a mistake, so we ask for your great mercy and leniency." The kneeling youth listened, overwhelmed with shame. Usually, when facing the various demon gods, he never knelt or bothered to pay them any mind. Now, he was kneeling before a novice even younger than himself. How could he save face? If it were the usual situation, he would never willingly kneel. Instead, he would fight desperately, forcing the other party to kneel and apologize, bow 3 times, and continue to pay respects thereafter. But at this moment, he could only grit his teeth and endure. This was the first time he tasted the bitterness of failure, having been defeated by the person before him. He had always prided himself as a peerless genius, unbeatable except by those ancient monsters who had cultivated for 1,000 years. He never expected to be so embarrassed today, so the so-called prodigies of the world were nothing more than this. Although he felt ashamed, Ling Xiao knew clearly that this superficial apology was merely the demons pleading on his behalf, trying to use face to persuade Ling Xiao to let him go. The kid, however, was oblivious to his own faults, wearing a face full of grievance, which made Ling Xiao furious beyond control. He stood coldly without a word, his gaze piercing them like a knife. Silence was as cold as ice, each second ticking by. The destroyer demon grew increasingly restless, secretly cursing that brat for provoking the death god. It seemed that today, unless he suffered some hardship, there would be no end to this. Just right, let him understand the vastness of the world, learn to conceal his talents and bide his time, and not always be protected by others in the future. The destroyer demon god secretly schemed in his heart. Shui then turned around, his gaze coldly fixed on the young man kneeling on the ground. He pointed into the air and drew out a long whip from the space. The long whip was forged from refined iron that shimmered with a cold light, its entire body radiating a chilling metallic sheen. Along the whip, rows of silver barbs sharp as blades glistened with a deadly cold light. Each lash could tear through flesh, drawing countless spots of blood. Fresh blood instantly sprayed out, staining both the whip and the ground red. Ling Xiao felt a shock in his heart and silently sighed. These old foxes have been cultivating for many years. When they get ruthless, they are really no joke. He did not utter a word, only watching coldly from the side. The destructive demon god saw that Ling Xiao did not intervene, so he had to whip fiercely. The first lash fell, the barbs like knives, viciously piercing the skin, tearing and provoking, causing blood to splatter everywhere. The kneeling youth screamed miserably, ah! Before he could recover, the second lash came immediately, the whip slicing through the air and striking his body, bringing a burst of agonized screams. The young man's body trembled as he tried to block the whip with his hand, but it was useless. The pain radiated from his fingertips, sharp and bone-piercing. He fell from a kneeling position to the ground, rolling in agony, trying to shield the injured area with his body, but exposing more torn skin. The pain was endless like a tide. His former pride and arrogance collapsed instantly, leaving only cries of pain and helplessness scattered on the ground. He was completely unaware, his once pampered face now soaked with tears, snot uncontrollably flowing, looking extremely miserable. Ling Xiao stood aside, his expression cold and stern, showing neither joy nor sorrow, neither pity nor fear. He was not the troublemaker, but he would never go easy on those who provoked him first. Since he valued strength above all, he should be prepared to be whipped until he screamed and howled in pain, losing his dignity like a beast. The cruel whipping continued for a long time, and the executioner showed no intention of stopping. The destructive demon god understood Ling Xiao's attitude and steeled his heart. Afterwards, the whip was infused with magical power, making each strike heavier, and every wound was corroded by cold demonic energy, preventing healing. The pain was unending, yet it did not cause serious bodily harm. This is not protection, but a deeper torment. The harm is not fatal, yet it continues to intensify repeatedly. The boy on the ground is too weak to struggle, only able to collapse like a dead fish, silently enduring. Only then did Ling Xiao speak calmly, "Enough, stop. He is still young and immature." The destructive demon god responded, all right. The master does not hold a grudge against the servant, let him go. But in his heart, he muttered, aren't you even smaller than him? Yet he dared to think but not speak. He lifted the limp youth with one hand and hurried away, fearing that Ling Xiao would change his mind. In his heart, he kept thinking, I must let the destruction demon teach him a good lesson, so he won't lose his life again. No one can save him. Watching the destruction demon leave in a hurry, Ling Xiao's mood turned completely cold. Even with the bloodline of the heavenly demon, these people clearly knew who were family and who were outsiders. He once wanted to treat them as close friends, but now he understood that he could only keep his distance and handle things officially. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao felt that the demon realm was vast, yet there was not a single place to truly settle. After a moment of thought, he turned and ran toward the demon realm's library, the only place where he had control. With a wave of his hand, the space suddenly changed, and a small box shining with golden light appeared before him, quietly awaiting. Ling Xiao reached out to catch it, input commands, preparing to search for important information in the library. A strange book. He originally wanted to browse the legendary secret history of the Demon King, but he could never open it. Helpless, he could only turn to other books, hoping to catch some clues. Finally, he found an ancient book titled Evolution History of the Celestial Demon. Seeing the title, Ling Xiao couldn't help but bitterly smile at the naming style of the Celestial Demon clan, always so straightforward and plain, yet it made the content clear at a glance. Under the control of the small golden box, the book slowly flew into his palm, falling heavily. The system's voice suddenly sounded. Ding, pure magical residue detected. Ding, automatic energy absorption mode activated. Ding, system analyzing. Ding, analysis complete. A small area of pure magic is present around the target scroll, suspected to be a demon god relic. This news suddenly alerted Ling Xiao. In the library, there was actually a hidden demon god relic. The destroyer demon god once said that this space was jointly created by many demon gods. Since it is a relic, it must not have been left by a living demon god. The space was constructed later, so the relic can only be hidden on objects within it. Then, which one exactly is it? He stayed here for a long time yesterday but did not trigger any hints, indicating that the relic's range is very small, limited to the vicinity of this book. The letter, perhaps due to prolonged exposure, had absorbed pure demonic energy and was detected by the system. If that's the case, finding the target wouldn't be difficult. Ling Xiao fixed his gaze on the original location of the letter, stepped forward slowly, and carefully examined the surrounding bookshelves. Like the adjacent shelves, they were densely packed with books on demonic energy and demonic martial cultivation. However, the system prompt did not sound again. He summoned the system and activated energy detection. Ding, system system received command. Ding, no suspicious targets detected. Please move host. He moved left and right. The prompt remained ding, no suspicious targets detected. Please move faster. He continued moving left. The prompt sounds urging him repeatedly. He crossed the library, all the way to the far left end, walking a full 90 quadrillion light-years. The system still responded coldly, ding, no suspicious targets detected. Please continue moving. Unwilling to give up, Ling Xiao turned east, south, west, and north, conducting a thorough search in all directions. This space was built by countless demon gods, measuring as large as 90 trillion light-years. He spent 3 hours searching everywhere, but to no avail. The prompt sound continued. He returned to the letter's original place in frustration. This time, instead of blindly searching, he carefully observed and calmly thought. Since even the demon gods did not notice, it must be hidden very deeply. He couldn't fish for a needle in the ocean. He had to eliminate interference and pinpoint it accurately. He summoned the system again, shrinking the detection range to the size of his palm. The palm lightly brushed the bookshelf, meticulously exploring row after row, leaving no corner untouched. However, the system prompt remained unchanged. Ding, no suspicious targets detected. Please relocate. Repeated failures did not discourage him. He firmly believed the target was within this small area, and as long as he persisted, he would definitely find it. Hard work pays off. When he scanned for the third time, the system prompt suddenly changed. Ding, suspicious target detected. Ding, system analysis in progress. His heart jolted as he locked onto the subordinate's location. There was exactly where the original display of the evolution history of the demon clan had been. The scrolls were taken down, leaving it empty. It was only after taking down the letter that the trace of pure magic was discovered. Nowhere else had it, only this place was abnormal. He actually forgot such a simple truth and searched for so long. Although this place was detected by the 350 host to have pure magical energy, there was no abnormality at all. Ling Xiao looked around, gently pressed with his hand, rotated the bookshelf, moved a few books aside, and detected again. Ding, no suspicious targets detected. Please move the host. Ding, no suspicious targets detected. Please move the host. Ding, no suspicious targets detected. Please move the host. Repeated detections, no results at all. Only the area of demon clan evolution history can detect differences. Everywhere else, no matter how many times it is tested, there is no response. Just how deeply is this demonic energy hidden? So pure, yet it can be completely sealed off. Not even a trace of leakage can be found within a 10-centimeter range. This demonic energy is precisely confined to a small area, and even a high-level existence like the system has to repeatedly detect it before barely noticing a trace of abnormality. Whose ruins are these demonic god ruins, after all? With no clues and no hints, relying solely on this control, Ling Xiao immediately thought of the legendary primordial demon god. He couldn't think of anyone else. The land of the demon is truly a place full of hidden talents. Whether it is the owner of the Black Starstone or the creator of this demon god ruin, one can feel overwhelming power from the remaining traces. I must enter this demon god ruin and take a look. The decision was made. Ling Xiao no longer hesitated and began to carefully study this area. Although the leakage of demonic energy was minimal, the fact that there was any leakage at all indicated a flaw. Since there were remnants left behind, it meant that the creators hoped future generations could enter. It was impossible for there to be no entrance at all. So, what were the conditions for entry? Ling Xiao pondered for a long time, probing around, but still found no clue. He first injected demonic energy into the area. The demonic aura vanished at the slightest touch, as if it had never existed, or as if it had been devoured. Ling Xiao had limited knowledge of the demon race. The bloodline of the heavenly demon had just awakened, and his understanding of the demon realm was superficial. Suddenly, he remembered the existence of the virtual universe. The virtual universe had been running for many years, rich in information. Without hesitation, he immediately summoned the virtual universe. Master, what are your orders? The voice of the virtual universe sounded clearly. Ling Xiao pointed to the bookshelf. Take a look here. Is there anything different? The virtual universe scanned carefully, but still found no difference. Master, after my investigation, I found no abnormalities. This is an ordinary bookshelf and is currently in use. What difference did you notice? Please provide more information. Maybe I can help. Ling Xiao did not hold back and presented the strand of demonic energy just absorbed by the system. Do you recognize the owner of this demonic energy? After scanning the virtual universe, it exclaimed, extremely pure demonic energy. After a moment of silence, as if analyzing deeply, this strand of demonic energy has existed for a long time and is extremely thin. The carrier's aura is faint, and since the demon and heaven share the same origin, I cannot discern the specific identity, but it can be confirmed that the owner is extraordinarily powerful, with unparalleled mastery over demonic energy, unprecedented in history and unmatched in the future. If we talk about strength rankings, he definitely ranks in the top 5 of the demon clan. With limited information, Ling Xiao could only analyze on his own. Since it's the top 5, it must be a well-known name. The history of the demon clan seems truly worth delving into and will definitely not disappoint. However, who is not the main point. Ling Xiao quickly withdrew his thoughts and focused on the core. Is there any way to find the entrance to the ruins? Or do you know what conditions are needed to enter the ruins? The virtual universe answered promptly, of course, the method to enter the ruins is very simple. The RU. The owner of the ruins usually allows exceptionally talented successors to enter and use the treasures they left behind, but the prerequisite is that their strength must be recognized. Meet the standard, and you can enter. Ling Xiao was slightly stunned, not expecting the Demon Clan's rules to be so simple. As expected, the Demon Clan's style was just like their name, plain and unpretentious, straightforward and rough. The virtual universe responded calmly, that's right. In the future, when you encounter problems with the Demon Clan, think in a simple and direct way, and you'll usually find a solution. This remark inadvertently hit Ling Xiao's funny bone. The Demon Clan really didn't bother with trifles. Now that he knew the method, everything became clear. Ling Xiao was full of confidence. If his talent couldn't unlock the ruins, then no one in this world could. What he liked most was to let strength speak for itself, simple and straightforward. He began to inject magical energy into his body. At first, the demonic energy surged out like flowing water, but it was instantly decomposed and disappeared, as if it had never appeared. But as more and more was injected, quantitative changes led to qualitative changes. He felt that the demonic energy no longer dissipated instantly, but accumulated briefly inside his body before gradually disappearing. This indicated that the decomposition speed of the ruins could no longer keep up with his injection speed. Sensing progress, he suddenly increased his output. The demonic energy dissipated more slowly, clearly indicating he had found the correct method. While continuously injecting, he used the system to monitor. Ding! The system detected a large amount of pure demonic energy. As expected, there was no need to focus the detection power on the palm. As long as he stood, the system could sense a large amount of demonic energy, proving the injection was successful. He thought he was close to the relic standard and continued to persist in outputting. Although the overflow of magical power could be seen with the naked eye, the entrance to the relic remained tightly closed. It seems the required demonic energy far exceeds expectations. This also aroused his anticipation for the owner of the ruins and what existed inside. Since the owner demands such strictness, they must be extraordinary. Harshness often comes with generosity, and Ling Xiao expected to gain richly. With this in mind, despite his physical exhaustion, he did not relax, continuously infusing magic power. After prolonged high-intensity output, even Ling Xiao began to tremble, his muscles sore and weak, yet he gritted his teeth and persisted. The entrance was like a bottomless black hole, continuously devouring the demonic energy. Clearly feeling close to the limit, it still greedily absorbed, as if it had to burst open to activate. Perhaps this was the only key. Ling Xiao trembled all over, utterly exhausted. The long-lost feeling of being completely drained swept through his body. Ding! Detected that the host is severely overdrawn. Body slightly injured. Status: automatically repaired. Ability enhanced. Magic power increased. He was so overdrawn that his body got injured, and the system still had to repair it. The ruins' demand for magical energy was indeed extremely extreme. Finally, under the continuous bombardment of magical power, the entrance could no longer withstand it, and with a deafening boom, bang, it exploded open. At the sound of the loud noise, Ling Xiao felt a surge of joy in his heart. The ruins had finally opened. After a hard-fought battle, he looked at the scene before him, utterly shocked. The originally empty bookshelf now appeared as a huge black hole. Darkness churned and swirled at the entrance, like the gates of hell, devouring the light and faintly revealing an unspeakable danger. Ling Xiao pondered for a moment, still refraining from rushing in. The unknown dangers inside, combined with his extreme exhaustion and nearly depleted demonic energy, made it unsuitable to act immediately. He steadied his mind and chose to rest first beside the entrance, entering a rapid recovery state. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, time passed little by little. The system notification sound rang out. Ding! Host has cultivated for 1 minute. Demonic energy value increased by 1 billion. Ding! Host cultivates for 1 minute. Demonic energy value increases by 1 billion. The continuous alert sounds thundered in his ears, and a determined light flickered in Ling Xiao's eyes. He closed his eyes in concentration, and the demonic energy within his body rapidly surged, roaring like a volcanic eruption. After 10 minutes, his internal power was completely filled. Ling Xiao slowly opened his eyes, his gaze sharp as an eagle's, staring directly at the pitch-black cave entrance ahead. He stepped in without hesitation. As soon as he stepped in, the world spun, yin and yang intertwined. Ling Xiao felt himself instantly cut off from the space of the library pavilion. The surrounding aura completely vanished, as if entering another world. The contract marked deep within the soul was also shielded, and no external signs could penetrate the barrier here. The level of isolation was shocking. The scene before him was terrifying: mountains of corpses and seas of blood, severed limbs and broken walls, rivers of blood flowing wildly, the entire battlefield stained red. Even the once barren universe was obscured. Suddenly, a fierce God King Realm 5th Heaven warrior with blood-red eyes, wielding a giant axe, roared as he charged toward him. These mad and powerful warriors who carve out a path to survival in desperate situations are far beyond the talents nurtured in a greenhouse. Their lives hang by a thread, and every strike carries despair and madness. Ling Xiao dared not slack off, unleashing the full strength of his his body, condensing martial energy and demonic energy, and struck out with a palm. However, his attack passed through the opponent and struck the fierce warrior behind him, who was covered in blood. Ling Xiao was stunned and instantly understood this was merely an illusion of an ancient battlefield, where offense and defense could not truly affect each other. He is safe. His gaze turned to the attacked strong warrior, covered in bloodstains, yet his eyes revealed endless killing intent and intimidation. He found it difficult to discern the opponent's cultivation level but felt an indescribably powerful aura. The strong warrior at the 5th level of the Divine King realm struck with full force, but the opponent sneered coldly, "Umph." With a casual gesture, he deflected the attack. Ling Xiao's gaze locked onto the attacker, causing his face to turn pale at a glance. He tried to escape but was struck away by a palm from the other side. A blinding light shot into the sky, illuminating billions of light years, and with a thunderous impact, the attacker was turned to ashes in an instant without even a scream. This scene of blood and fire continuously struck Ling Xiao's soul. The once earth-shattering battle, the clash of cosmic peak warriors, now left with nothing but bones and dust. These corpses were once top geniuses who climbed to the summit on the blood of others, yet in the end, they met a desolate fate with no one to bury them. Survival of the fittest, the strong prey on the weak, is the eternal law of the universe. They were once exalted in life, but no one cared for them after death. This is the cruelty of fate. Ling Xiao was at peace in his heart. If he failed, he was willing to accept this outcome. The law of survival is cruel yet fair. Glancing around, the survivors were few, all the strongest among the strong. The peak of the peak. They looked at each other, killing intent everywhere. Except for the invincible strongman just now, the others had formed factions, their eyes all fixed on Ling Xiao. Obviously, they had decided to surround and attack this sole enemy. Among the survivors, that person must be the strongest. Only the top-tier warriors attract countless hostilities, becoming the target of all, eliminated first before anything else is considered. Faced with the encirclement, he remained calm and composed. It was as if the figures before him were nothing more than a few jumping clowns, a child's play. His expression carried mockery, like a parent tolerating a child's mischief, or a lofty being mocking the struggles of lowly ants. This group of people was worthless in his eyes. Their bodies were stained with blood, indistinguishable between enemies and allies. Now, trapped in a relentless death struggle, several launched attacks simultaneously, waves of light bursts erupting around him one after another. Even though the moves could not harm him in the slightest, Ling Xiao still felt the oppressive intimidation, as if his movements were locked down, unable to move an inch. The intense energy oscillation triggered spatial fluctuations. At the moment the moves collided, an explosion tore through the void, warping time and space, darkening heaven and earth. Ling Xiao instinctively raised his hand to shield his eyes, afraid that the dazzling light would burn his soul. After several minutes, the fluctuations gradually eased, and he slowly lowered his arms. Just as he put his hands down, the scene before his eyes almost made him step back. It was not the brutal battlefield, nor the comrades who died tragically, but the strong warrior who had just swept through the crowd before him, standing quietly with a fanatical bloodlust flickering in his eyes. All the strong warriors who had previously fought him had completely disappeared. Some were blasted to pieces, others utterly annihilated in the universe. This was the first time Ling Xiao encountered such a gaze. It was not a desire for power, but a naked frenzy for slaughter. Killing had become his entertainment, and blood was the reward he craved most. Facing these eyes, no matter how strong the opponent, fear will rise in the heart. That kind of fear is like the despair of facing a madman. They never admit defeat and cling on to the end. Without the confidence to completely crush them, one will only be endlessly tormented until destroyed. Ling Xiao forced down his emotions and muttered to himself, "He didn't see me. He must be staring at some strong enemy or foe behind me that I can't see." He tried to comfort himself, but the other person's actions shattered his hope. The person reached out and gently brushed the air, precisely outlining Ling Xiao's silhouette. The other really could see him. Cold sweat broke out on his forehead, and the long-forgotten fear of being watched surged back. Seeing this, the person smiled. The smile was gentle and kind, dispelling the coldness of killing, yet Ling Xiao did not dare to relax. He had smiled the same way just before killing. The other party spoke. "Are you a descendant of my Tianma clan? Young and already this powerful, truly impressive." His smile was full of praise. Ling Xiao was shocked. He had thought this was just a segment of footage or memory, but unexpectedly, this soul projection had self-awareness and was still alive here. That person seemed to see through his confusion. "Don't be afraid, I am just a soul projection of the desire-extinguishing demon god. It's extremely boring here. Every day I just simulate a battle. Those old guys who were my enemies in life, I will beat them all one by one, kill them thoroughly, and relieve this long-standing frustration of mine." Ling Xiao looked at the piles of corpses on the ground, his gaze sweeping over each face, and surprisingly found that all the surviving bodies had the same face. It seemed what the other party said was true. This murderous obsession is truly perverse to the extreme. In his space, billions of light-years of the universe are filled with corpses, and countless people have even been directly struck into nothingness. How many people has he actually killed? Even if these are just projections, the enormous number of deaths is enough to suffocate anyone. Rest assured, since you are my junior, I will never treat you unfairly. I have waited here for billions of years. This secret realm moves automatically, but it it always hides in a conspicuous place within the demon domain. Yet even so, no one has discovered it for billions of years. I once thought that the demon god race might have been extinct long ago, or that not a single genius remained. Today, I have finally waited for you. His eyes sparkled with a strange light, as if he had discovered a rare treasure. Your talent is rare even in the ancient universe, and your future is limitless. Haha, it seems that my Tianma clan will eventually rise. Ling Xiao remained silent, watching the other's joy and frenzy. The other noticed his silence and said with a smile, "Sorry, I've been lonely for too long. Finally seeing a relative, especially such a talented one, my emotions are bound to get out of control." Don't be afraid. Ling Xiao felt the unique carefree and casual nature of the demon race. Indeed, the arrogance and unruliness in this bloodline cannot be changed no matter how high the status. This familiar aura stirred a sense of warmth in his heart, and his vigilance and resistance gradually faded. He smiled and performed a traditional earth gesture of respect, not knowing the ancient cosmic etiquette, but his attitude conveyed reverence. I merely happened upon the senior's ruins by chance. The senior's abilities are extraordinary, and I deeply admire them. This time I have come to study and improve my strength, hoping the senior can provide guidance. The other party laughed heartily. Good. With a genius disciple like you, I established the ruin's secret realm to pass on my lifelong ultimate skills to a promising member of the Tianma clan. I originally thought it would be rare to meet someone like you before my soul dissipated, but fate has not let me down. I have finally waited for you, the hope of the Tianma clan rekindled. Rest assured, I will teach you all my skills without reservation. From now on, you are my disciple of the desire-extinguishing demon god, bearing my name. No one in the world will dare to provoke you. The tone shifted. How many years have passed outside? How much do you still know about the ancient universe today? Do you know? Ling Xiao said, I just awakened recently. I don't know much about the demon of heaven, and I am completely ignorant of the history of the ancient universe. The desire-extinguishing demon god was shocked. So powerful, yet still a newcomer. Haha, I wasn't mistaken. You are definitely not an ordinary person. The light in his eyes grew even stronger, and Ling Xiao felt his sincere determination to revive the demon race. A surge of respect welled up in his heart, and that feeling for his clan made him involuntarily develop a fondness. Ling Xiao bowed respectfully once again, his sincerity evident in the gesture, admiring the other's ambition and foresight in revitalizing the demon race. The desire-extinguishing demon god laughed heartily. Stop bowing, those hypocritical formalities are unnecessary. Since you are my only disciple, I will devote myself fully to teaching you, especially since you are also my junior. He chuckled. Get ready, my teaching is about to begin. Perhaps you have never seen my unique way of imparting knowledge. I guarantee this is one of the most advanced methods of teaching, absolutely capable of passing all my skills to you. Ling Xiao clenched his fists tightly, stood tall with his chest out, his gaze sharp as he stared directly at the desire-extinguishing demon god before him. Master, I am ready and prepared to receive the inheritance at any time. Since that's the case, let's begin. The voice was low and resolute. Ling Xiao's consciousness quickly sank into deep darkness. After an unknown amount of time, he slowly woke up. Several demon gods in front of him were fiercely arguing. The killing demon god shouted angrily, although our Tianma clan is few in number, each of us possesses unique skills. Fighting to the death, dominating the universe might not be impossible. Why not try? The flame demon god followed closely. That's right, our combat power is unmatched. Why should those superficial soldiers outside dominate everything? Opposing voices were equally unyielding. The large numbers are just a facade. Those people are cunning and treacherous, hiding their strongest cards deep, striking unexpectedly at critical moments. If we attack rashly, we will surely fall victim to their schemes, shattered beyond escape. The debate surged back and forth, and Ling Xiao frowned deeply, unable to help but shout, Enough, stop arguing. Immediately, all voices fell silent, and the air stiffened. The gazes of all the demon gods turned sharply toward him. Ling Xiao was silent for a moment, trying hard to clear his thoughts, but found his mind shrouded in a fog, both familiar and strange. Who am I? He asked himself silently. Yes, I am the desire-extinguishing demon god, the leader of the demon race, leading the demon gods to conquer the universe and claim a place. He looked around at the gods. The fierce argument was about whether to break through the demon domain and expand their territory. Rubbing his forehead, Ling Xiao felt a gap in his memory, as if something important was lost, but he couldn't say what it was. An inexplicable irritation welled up in his heart. He waved his hand to signal, You all step back first, I need a moment to think. Although the demons were unwilling, seeing his exhaustion, they could only silently disperse. The palace returned to silence. Ling Xiao half reclined on the throne, pondering the current situation. As the demonic energy grew increasingly intense, the union of a generation of demon gods and the descendants of the pure heavenly demon clan caused the demon population and strength to rapidly expand. The demon domain was small and could no longer accommodate this force. Expanding into new territory became inevitable. However, expanding territory means endless war and bloodshed, and cannot be done recklessly. He understood in his heart that this step was imperative. Resources within the clan were tight, and only through external expansion and plunder could they continue to grow stronger. Moreover, this world needs a new order, survival of the fittest and the law of the jungle are the eternal rules. The decision was made, and Ling Xiao prepared to summon the gods the next day to formulate a detailed plan. But that lost memory still lingers, as if something important is buried deep within. Time flies, and the demon gods gather once again in the great hall. Ling Xiao sits upright on the throne, his gaze firm, his voice resolute. The demon race rises, following the will of heaven. Pass my order, fight. At the command, the demon gods shout in unison, fight, fight, fight. The eternal cause of the demon race, the demon lord unites the world. The sound roared like a raging tide, shaking the heavens and earth, proclaiming to the world, the demon race is about to rise, challenging all who stand in their way, and disaster will befall those who are arrogant. The war of the demon race officially began. Their target was the nearby Scorpion galaxy of the demon race. This galaxy, with a history of nearly 100 trillion light-years, is rich in resources, has medium to high strength, and enormous potential. The Scorpio star system, a star region favored by many forces. However, this fertile land attracted the covetous eyes of powerful neighbors. That brutal demon clan, bloodthirsty like wolves, set their sights on the vitality here. One day, the residents of the demon Scorpion star system looked up at the sky, only to see the clear starry sky suddenly turn gloomy. Black clouds surged densely, countless demon gods and clan members, like a tide of darkness, pressing down on Scorpio. Panic-stricken cries erupted, and everyone scattered in flight. The demon's assault was like a violent storm, without any warning. The defense line of the Scorpio star system collapsed instantly. The frontline soldiers were routed, the battlefield stained with blood, extremely tragic. More soldiers, seeing the situation was unfavorable, abandoned their posts and fled, leaving helpless civilians isolated and defenseless. The front line was in crisis, the border outposts howled in despair. The Scorpio star system fell into unprecedented chaos and hopelessness. The government lost control, command collapsed. Despite urgently assembling elites to resist, they still could not withstand the demon clan's tide-like offensive. In the end, the galaxy's top expert, Dragon Descending Heavenly Venerable, was forced to intervene, barely restraining the demon army's momentum. But the demon race was vast in number and had grown significantly stronger over the years. Outsiders knew nothing of their combat system and had no way to counter it, making resistance like wading through a quagmire. One top elder and venerable after another fell, death following like a shadow. Ultimately, the Scorpio galaxy approached the brink of an irreversible defeat. Dragon Sovereign alone led the remaining warriors and civilians to kneel before the demon clan, seeking subordinate status in exchange for a slim chance of survival. Everyone thought peace had finally arrived. Even though their status was lowly and the resource compensation heavy, at least there was still a way to live. However, the Dragon Sovereign harbored resentment, outwardly submitting while secretly planning a counterattack. On the night of the demon clan's grand celebration, the Sovereign launched a surprise attack on the demon lord with the world-destroying artifact Ling Tiangu, vowing to fight to the death. But in the end, he was suppressed by the combined forces of the demon gods, severely wounded, blood flowing like a river. He knelt and shouted at the demon lord, "You treacherous demons will surely be punished by heaven, and your clan's destruction is inevitable. I will watch from the heavens as you die in disgrace." Demon Lord Ling Xiao sneered and waved his hand, ordering, "Kill him, he's an eyesore." Dozens of demon gods attacked together, a sword sealing his throat, and the dragon-subduing venerable's head fell to the ground. A generation of a tyrant withered and vanished just like that. This method of public beheading is more humiliating than death itself. The revered genius ultimately fell before his enemy like a mere mortal. No one showed pity, no one sighed. In this world, there is no kindness, no morality, only the strong can survive. Being backward only leads to being beaten. Kindness to others is just self-cruelty. The betrayal of the dragon descendant ignited a new round of bloodshed and turmoil in the Scorpio star system. All those associated with him and his relatives were beheaded, their heads hung in the marketplace as a terrifying warning. The demon clan's first expansion mission was thunderously completed. The universe once again witnessed the power and rise of the heavenly demon clan. Everyone felt insecure and anxious. They all knew very well that the war of the celestial demons had only just begun. No one knew where the next flame would burn, not even the celestial demons themselves had decided. But this blaze would only grow fiercer, sweeping across the entire universe. At this moment, the various galaxies should have united to resist the invasion of the celestial demon clan, yet no one dared to directly challenge this formidable force. Everyone could only shrink into their own corners, hoping through low profile, and caution that the celestial demons would abandon their covetousness. But no one expected that this brief retreat in fear would plant the seeds of a greater disaster. The short-sighted rodents were doomed to an inescapable fate of destruction. The Tianma clan was well aware but pleased to see it happen. As long as their opponents acted independently and avoided confrontation, it gave the Tianma unlimited room to expand. Ling Xiao sat upright on the throne, contemplating every future move with deep scheming and strategic planning. At a critical moment, the Tianma boldly held a festive banquet. It was well known that this was nothing more than a carefully arranged trap. No one dared to disobey, fearing they would become the target the next moment. The Grand Tianma Day was officially launched to celebrate the victory of conquering the Scorpio star system, and this banquet would be held held annually from then on. The invitees felt bitter inside but wore flattering smiles, uttering insincere blessings. The banquet was filled with calculation and suspicion, and everyone was on edge. As the main figure, Ling Xiao was full of authority, striking the crowd with a stern tone. Currently, there is no intention to continue expanding. We only hope everyone can coexist peacefully. Do not act rashly, or although the Tianma are newly risen due to insecurity, they will inevitably react excessively. These words were clearly a hypocritical warning. How could the demons ever stop their conquest? Everyone could only agree, fully aware but too afraid to object. When the invitees returned to their respective galaxies and reported the banquet news, whether they believed it or not, none dared to act rashly. Any disturbance would be an excuse for the demons to start a war. This promise only bound the other galaxies and held no constraint over the demons. If they kept their word, it was benevolence. If not, no one could make them pay the price. No matter how strongly they resented it, everyone could only endure silently. Without the power to destroy their enemies, there would never be a day of freedom. And so, the surface peace lasted for decades, until one day, war surged like a tide, unstoppable. The great wheel of history crushed all resistors, sweeping them into the cold river of time. In the year 200099 of the Tenma calendar, the destruction-desired demon god ordered a full-scale attack on the Taurus star system, located 200 billion light-years from the Jumo Scorpion star system. Rumors said the Taurus star system was plotting to unite with other star systems to overthrow the emerging Tianma regime. Although unsuccessful, it was detected by the Tianma god, enraging the destruction-desired demon god, who vowed to annihilate the Taurus star system. Thus, the Great Demon War officially began. Legend has it that the Great Demon War lasted for tens of millions of years. Since then, the ancient universe revered the demons above all, and no one dared to challenge their dominance. It was not until modern times, when the demons faced an apocalyptic catastrophe and were banished to the demon realm overnight, that their era of supremacy ended. This period of history had long been forgotten. Unexpectedly, a future scholar who traveled through time became both a witness and participant in this history. Whether this fate is a blessing or a curse, no one knows. In any case, fate is irreversible. Even the participants eventually realized that the outcome was already predetermined. Danger lurks like a shadow, and the Taurus star system is helpless. The Tianma clan is powerful. After seizing the Scorpio star system for the first time, they advance like a hot knife through butter, rapidly growing stronger over several decades. Now, no star system dares to challenge them. The heavenly demon was like a rising golden sun, its blazing light making all living beings unable to open their eyes, yet no hero could shoot down this scorching sun like Hoi. All beings could only struggle to survive under the blazing sun. Against this backdrop, the Taurus galaxy became the target of the heavenly demon. The Taurus galaxy was no longer the vast and powerful galaxy it once was. Now, it resembled a lamb waiting to be slaughtered, becoming a delicious dish laid out on the dining table. All life quietly awaits the fate of slaughter, but no one is willing to give up so easily. No matter how weak the life, at the moment of life and death, it will unleash its final strength, fighting with all its might to seize a glimmer of hope. Even if it is in vain, it will never sit idly by and wait for death. The Taurus star system chose the path of tenacious resistance. They spared no effort, using all reserves, treasures, and spirit stones, sparing no cost to rapidly and drastically enhance military strength, reorganize the army, and devote themselves to studying magical techniques. They widely issued hero invitations, gathering extraordinary talents and unusual experts from across the land, vowing to find a turning point at all costs. They continuously sought external assistance, grasping at any possible lifeline. Even ordinary civilians, though unable to fight directly, knelt daily before the spirit hall in sincere prayer. Within the clan, everyone is united as one, standing together against a powerful enemy. At this moment, in the great hall of the Taurus star system, the Taurus Dharma king sat solemnly in the main seat. Numerous Dharma gods gathered together, their faces grave, and the atmosphere was so tense it was almost suffocating. They were supposed to pool their wisdom to find a secret technique to defend the star system, but at present, they were at a loss and could only exchange silent glances. Finally, the Taurus Dharma king broke the silence, his voice strong and resolute. The Tianma clan's ambition runs rampant, attempting to seize our clan's resources and enslave our people. I, of the Taurus clan, am born resilient, disliking strife, only seeking stability. But the situation today forces me to rise and fight back. The outcome of this battle is uncertain, but I hope everyone will do their utmost to protect our homeland. A determined voice came from the crowd. Rest assured, Lord Dharma King, we vow to protect our people to the death and will never let the demon clan drive us to despair. As the words fell, silence once again enveloped the hall. Everyone knew in their hearts that war was cruel and merciless, and slogans were ultimately just slogans. All efforts might turn to nothing. Suddenly, a low yet hopeful voice sounded. Your Majesty the Dharma King, the Xianwang star system has responded to the call for aid. The Xianwang envoy understands the ambitions of the demon clan and is willing to join forces with us to resist the powerful enemy. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone was shocked, discussions erupted, and the atmosphere instantly boiled over. Really? Then we still have hope. Ha! The bull star will not abandon abandon me, little demons, prepare to pay the price. Even the Bull King of Magic sitting on the throne felt relieved, a heavy stone lifted from his heart. The Xianwang star system, once a symbol of peace in the universe, was powerful and advocated for peace, having led many star systems to coexist and prosper. If the Star Lord of the Xianwang star system had not believed that each star system should be independent and dissolved the alliance, how could the demon clan have become so rampant? Now that the Xianwang star system has declared opposition to the demons, it means that multiple forces in the universe will unite to jointly resist the invasion. The various Dharma gods and Dharma kings were therefore visibly pleased, temporarily forgetting their usual solemnity. Only the Golden Bull Dharma King quickly regained his composure and urgently inquired about the specific attitude of the immortal king's envoy. The bearer of the news was the Wind and Rain Dharma god, who traveled across various star systems and maintained good private relations with many envoys and celestial gods, making his information reliable. However, when everyone looked at him, they found that the Wind and Rain Dharma god's expression remained grave, completely different from his usual cynical demeanor. This implied that the situation was far more complicated than imagined. Everyone's expressions immediately grew serious, and they urgently asked, "What happened?" With the support of the Xianwang star system, "Why do you look so grave?" Some also suspected, could it be that the Xianwang star system is hiding secrets and unable to fully assist? The Wind and Rain Law God finally spoke, breaking the silence. The Xianwang star system is willing to help, but they have long since fallen apart. The glory of once ruling the universe no longer exists, replaced by fragmented star systems engaged in fierce internal conflicts, greatly weakening their strength. The factions are severely divided and have yet to unify. The one who agreed to intervene is the old Xianwang Law God from the past, but his power is weak, both physically and mentally exhausted, and his combat ability is far from what it used to be. Our aid is limited, and the odds of victory remain uncertain. The hall fell into dead silence. After experiencing the ups and downs of hope and disappointment, everyone's emotions collapsed, their faces filled with worry. Someone muttered quietly, "Damn, can we still fight?" Before the words finished, angry glares surrounded him, and he fell silent. The Golden Bull Dharma King finally stood up, his voice thunderous, "Enough! Since the old immortal king is willing to help us, that is a great support. Getting discouraged over this little setback, what kind of skill is that? The enemy hasn't even arrived yet, and we're already conceding? Don't be dreaming. Let those heavenly demons dare to invade, and they will know the murderous aura of the Golden Bull clan. We are not lambs to be slaughtered. When they come, we'll make them pay their blood debts in blood." The words stirred the air, igniting the morale of the entire audience. The Flame Mage King laughed and shouted, "Back when I dominated the universe, they were still wetting their diapers. The emerging forces dare to provoke us, they are asking for trouble." The Golden Bull Mage King waved his hand. "Withdraw, today's meeting ends here. We will discuss the final strategy tomorrow." The meeting had not yet ended when an urgent report rushed in. The soldiers knelt on the ground and hurriedly said, "Dharma King, the demon army is invading." The Golden Bull Dharma King suddenly stood up. "What is the situation at the front line?" "The Flame Dharma God and the Bullhorn Dharma God are leading the troops in resistance. The defense line is still stable, but the demon army's strength far exceeds expectations, and the collapse is accelerating. Please prepare early, Dharma King." The Golden Bull Dharma King sneered coldly, "Prepare? We've been ready for a long time. How could we be caught off guard? Facing a desperate enemy, no amount of preparation is useful. The only option is to cast a spell to seek help from the immortal King star system. But when will the reinforcements arrive? How much support can they provide?" The old immortal king took a long time to arrive due to the distant journey. He sighed helplessly, only war and despair remained in the world. The front line was silent, the desire-extinguishing demon god had not appeared. He had long seen through the battle situation and knew that at this scale, there was no need to intervene personally. Before the battle, he had torn open a spatial rift and quietly sent the demon army into the Taurus star system. Suddenly, a towering demonic tide surged on the horizon, demons flooding like a tide, yet no one noticed. The flame demon god stood firm at the front line, roaring angrily, "You miserable rats, your strength is pitifully weak, and your courage is laughably small. You set up heavy defenses but dare not face us head-on, hiding and sneaking around, truly a disgrace to the Golden Bull Dharma King." The destroyer demon god followed closely behind, sneering, Stop calling it the Golden Bull Galaxy. How about renaming it the Rat Galaxy? A whole galaxy full of scurrying little rats. Want to play whack-a-mole? I disdain childish games, but I'll make an exception and sacrifice myself to play with you this once." The two demon gods exuded an imposing aura, speaking fiercely in an attempt to shake the enemy's will and disrupt their formation. However, the defense line of the Taurus star system was solid, and morale was united. Even in panic, they still cooperated closely, with tight tactics, stubbornly withstanding the demon's furious assault. The two demon gods frowned deeply, though confident. They knew that prolonging the battle would inevitably intensify the strain. They were unwilling to lose composure in front of the desire-extinguishing demon god, desperately trying to break the formation with a secret move and end the battle quickly. Immediately, the two drew a piece of black demon stone from their waists, infusing it with magical power. The black stone rose into the air, shining with a dark, cold cold light. The overwhelming magical power poured down like a rushing river, converging into the black stone. However, the magic dissipated upon contact, as if the stone devoured everything, leaving only emptiness and illusion. If Ling Xiaoruo were here, he would definitely recognize this object. It resembles the black starstone he once obtained, but its purity is far inferior to that pure, agate amber-like black starstone. This demon stone is more like a smooth pebble by the riverbank. Its shape is similar, but in reality, they are worlds apart. The two demon gods continued pouring their magic power in, sweat dripping down their foreheads, their movements gradually slowing, even trembling slightly, yet they still refused to let go. Time passed second by second, and the black stone finally refused to absorb any more magic power. The two demon gods showed wild joy, treating the Taurus star system's formation like a toy or useless soldier, confident of victory. The soldiers of the Taurus star system wore grave expressions, staring intently at the black stone in the sky. Though they did not understand its mystery, they sensed a storm was coming. They waited silently like an ant colony for disaster to strike. The air was heavy, filled with tension. Suddenly, the black stone emitted a soft glow, with twinkling starlight appearing eerily calm amidst the raging battle. In an instant, the light vanished without a trace. The soldiers looked up at the sky in confusion, unable to understand the demon god's plan. The two demon gods remained confident, fully assured. The situation hung in the balance, and the battlefield's atmosphere changed abruptly. The soldiers became alert, their eyes sharp as torches, closely watching their surroundings. Suddenly, a deep sigh pierced the air, soft yet carrying the icy chill of death, striking deep into everyone's soul and stirring endless fear. That sound seemed like the final cry of life. Everyone suddenly turned around, their gaze fixed on the source of the sound at the center of the formation. The place had become ruins, desolate to the point of suffocation. The once present figures had vanished without a trace, and even the houses and weeds had been completely swallowed up. It was as if all vitality and spirit had been instantly drained away, leaving a deathly silence that sent chills down the spine. "What on earth is this?" someone asked in a trembling voice. What was even more unsettling was the question of where the commander-in-chief at the center of the camp and those two archmages were at this very moment. Shouts of alarm erupted throughout the army. "Not good. The commander has been injured. What do we do? What do we do? It's over. Completely over." Everyone fell into a despairing confusion. This was truly a perfect decapitation strike. The opposing destroyer demon god sneered, his voice sharp as an ice blade. "Ha, little Taurus, your knowledge is shallow. This is the black star stone of my clan. Unexpected, isn't it? The black star stone excels at devouring spiritual energy and demonic energy, and only demons can wield it. It is our clan's exclusive ultimate weapon. Just a low-grade black star stone, and it caused you to lose your strongest combat power. You still dare to fight us head-on? You might as well admit defeat early. Maybe we'll spare your lives." The army of the Taurus star system suddenly realized that the inconspicuous stone just now was the source of the nightmare. The stone instantly drained all demonic and spiritual energy, leaving an area desolate in an instant. Two magic gods fell with a crash, not even leaving ashes behind. This power is terrifying. Such a powerful killing weapon is actually just a small low-grade black starstone. Facing such enemies, how should they counterattack? How to resist? The originally disciplined army has completely lost its backbone at this moment. The soldiers' hearts, stripped of their hard shells, reveal pure fear and the desire to flee. After all, they are ordinary people, with families and countries, with loved ones to care for. Who doesn't want to survive? Fear spread. The first soldier knelt and begged, "Surrender. Don't kill me." Immediately, the second and third also knelt down one after another. The army instantly fell apart. Some fought, some knelt, some wept, and others cursed those who were weak. Though their mindsets differed, the outcome was already decided. They did not know that black starstone was extremely rare, even among the demon race. This time, the two demon gods only carried one piece of low-grade black starstone on their expedition. But attacking the mind first, then the body, had undoubtedly worked. The two demon gods first beheaded the enemy, crushed the command core, then used a few cold words to crush morale, displaying an aura of destroying you in the blink of an eye, causing the Taurus star system army to collapse instantly. The two laughed heartily, thinking that the Taurus star system was just a fragile star region, easily breached, and they would surely be rewarded by the demon god of annihilation upon their return. Just as he was about to command the army to launch a fierce attack, directly storming Huanglong and wiping them out completely, suddenly, the golden bull Dharma king descended from the sky, with scorching spiritual energy surging all around. In an instant, a thick spiritual power protective barrier formed at the front line. He stood in the air, his gaze piercing, his voice intimidating the morale. "Don't be deceived by them. Their strength is nowhere near as strong as they boast, and our power far exceeds what you imagine. Think about what's behind you, your home, your parents, your wife, and children. They are waiting for your protection. Do you think the enemy will spare your lives? No. They will slaughter all living beings in the Genio star system and seize our resources. When that happens, your loved ones will become slaves, losing their dignity as humans, and be raised like livestock by them, used for amusement, used for pastime." Under the intimidating aura of the Taurus Battle King and inspired by his resolute words, the kneeling Taurus warriors suddenly came to their senses. Yes, how could they let a few casual words break their defenses and make them surrender so easily. This is simply a disgrace. They quickly got up, picked up the scattered weapons, wiped away the tears that had somehow fallen on their faces, and reignited their fighting spirit. They are soldiers, the strongest shield protecting the entire Taurus star system, the last hope for their families and children, and they must never give up. Countless hands raised their weapons high, their shouts shaking the sky. Swear to defend the Taurus star system to the death, protect our home and territory. Swear to defend the Taurus star system to the death, protect our home and territory. Waves of cheers surged one after another, instantly reversing the recent downturn, revitalizing morale, and strengthening confidence. The two demon gods opposite snorted coldly. Damn ants. They knew very well that it would be much harder to disrupt the spirit of the Golden Bull army again. This damn Golden Bull Law King must pay the price. Let him understand that the heavenly demon clan is not to be trifled with. Despite their inner agitation, the two demon gods still wore contemptuous smiles and continued to mock. I just love watching you ants struggle desperately. Hearing you shout for hope, then watching that hope turn to dust beneath my feet, letting out a piercing scream, is truly amusing. The Golden Bull Dharma King once again issued a voice that shook the entire scene. Soldiers, are you ready to face the enemy? The army responded in unison, ready. Then, he withdrew the towering spiritual power barrier between the two armies. A furious shout, charge! The army of the Taurus star system roared, brandishing their weapons to launch a counterattack against the powerful demon race. The two demon gods snorted coldly, soldiers of the heavenly demon race, show them true strength. Let them know that futile resistance only brings pain and destruction. The demon army did not retreat at all and instantly engaged in battle with the Golden Bull army. Both sides fiercely attacked and defended, fighting for every inch of land. The battle spread like wildfire, and the strength of both sides quickly diminished. Relying on their innate talents and powerful strength, the demon race inflicted heavy losses on the Golden Bull army. After the first battle, the Golden Bull army was strewn with corpses everywhere, while the demon corpses were far fewer. In fact, one demon could match 5 Golden Bull warriors. The disparity was so great that the Golden Bull Dharma King furrowed his brows tightly. Despite having ample troops, the Golden Bull army still struggled to withstand the wave of attrition. Wave after wave of soldiers surged toward the front lines like a raging flood, only to perish on the shore. The demons grew more and more courageous in battle. The dense spiritual energy on the battlefield, concentrated by the large number of fallen Golden Bull soldiers, was absorbed by the demons, greatly enhancing their combat power. If this continued, the Golden Bull clan was bound to be defeated. Just as the Golden Bull Dharma King was feeling disheartened, a reinforcement suddenly appeared in the northwest corner of the battlefield. Both sides focused their gaze, one filled with joy, the other with worry. The reinforcements were experts under the command of the old immortal king. The morale of the Golden Bull soldiers soared instantly, their shouts shaking the sky. Reinforcements have arrived. Reinforcements have arrived. Hold on. The demon clan must not win. The old immortal king's army had just arrived and immediately joined the battle. Though not as strong as at their peak, they were still unstoppable. Each soldier's combat power far exceeded that of the Golden Bull army, and after joining the fight, the situation instantly balanced, with the demon clan losing all advantage. The two demon gods stood on the battlefield, unable to hide their anger. Victory was within reach, yet it was shattered by this reinforcement army. How could they not be furious, silently cursing the damned old immortal king? The king, who clearly never intervenes lightly. The Tianma clan originally had no intention of provoking him, but he took the initiative to come looking for trouble. To dare offend my Tianma clan is truly courting death. A wave of regret surged in his heart, feeling that he had let down the great expectations of the desire-extinguishing demon god. The Genio star system they were sent to attack was not even top-tier, not even mid-level. Yet this war dragged on so long, with heavy losses, even consuming a black starstone. The two of them were filled with remorse. Had they known this, even if it meant risking injury, they should have accelerated the attack and ended the battle quickly. Even if the old immortal king sent troops, it wouldn't save the situation. Regret is useless now. The situation is settled, and there is no turning back, only continued stalemate. The two sides fought relentlessly, with corpses piling up like mountains on the ground, blood staining the star region red. A river of blood stretched across the starry sky, replacing the once shining stars and planets. This brutal scene shook the soul. Blood, like cheap dye, was spilled across the sky without cost. The corpses were like sludge, filthy and disgusting, yet had to be trampled upon. Old corpses were trampled and rotted away, while new corpses continuously filled the gaps. After 3 days and 3 nights of fierce battle, no victor had emerged, and both sides suffered heavy losses. The soldiers were utterly exhausted, their strength depleted, some even too weak to wield their swords, turning around only to die. They are no longer noble warriors, but have become livestock waiting to be slaughtered. Fierce dogs in the dogfighting ring, aggressive roosters in the cockfighting pit, even crickets controlled and manipulated by people, using blood and life to complete the game of the powerful. The victor gains fame and fortune, the loser sinks into dust, disappearing forever. Cruel, ruthless, yet coldly realistic. In the end, neither side could hold on any longer and chose to cease fire simultaneously. The brief calm was used to restore strength and await the next decisive battle to completely completely annihilate the opponent. Inside the demon tribe's camp, the flame demon god was burning with rage, slamming the table and shouting, "Damn old immortal king, are you tired of living? Why back the weak Taurus star system? Does he think the prestige of our demon clan means nothing? I thought he was a clear-sighted man, planning to keep the peace, but unexpectedly he brought destruction upon himself. It seems the desire-extinguishing demon god won't let him off this time." The destruction demon god responded calmly, "No matter how much we curse, it's useless. The key now is to win. We've dragged this out too long, and the desire-extinguishing demon god is already growing dissatisfied. We must prove our strength." The flame demon god calmed down and nodded. "Do you have any clever plans?" The destruction demon god frowned, pressing his temples. "It's not that there is no way. You and I both know that." The flame demon god's heart tight, falling into a dilemma. This move comes at a huge cost. Paying such a heavy price to deal with the Taurus star system seems not worth it. But if not used, even if victorious, it would only be a Pyrrhic victory, extremely unfavorable to the heavenly demon's prestige. Weighing the options, the previous cost seemed minor in comparison. Their eyes met, and in an instant, their intentions were clear. Yet a silent sigh escaped. Is there truly no other way? After a brief silence, the decision was made, and the forbidden technique was quickly set in motion. War is brutal. A slight negligence can lead to death in a foreign land, with the body never returning home. The victor's sacrifices for the country, while the defeated become the empire's criminals. To survive in this sea of blood, one must be ruthless not only to the enemy but also to oneself. Born into the decisive and murderous Tianhua clan, they understand this truth deeply. The principle is simple. To win, you must give up and pay the price. There is no room for hesitation. The flame demon god and the destruction demon god disappeared for a whole day. No one knew where they had gone. The demons below dared not disturb the strategic deployment of the demon gods without orders from above. There was no summons, no one knew how the leader arranged things, and even less was clear about the next move. But they were full of confidence. The Tianhua clan was incredibly powerful, and the leader was decisive and resolute. This battle was undoubtedly a guaranteed victory. This firm belief seemed to inject endless energy into their bodies, helping them charge into the fray. The leader did not disappoint them either. After a slight adjustment, a new order came through. Still no sign of the demon god, but the command was clear and loud. "Strike immediately, encircle the southeastern corner of the Taurus star system." The heavenly demon army thundered with overwhelming force, charging straight toward the southeastern corner of the Taurus star system. This time there were no spatial rifts, and the advance proceeded as usual for the clan, lacking the suddenness and sharpness of a surprise attack. The Taurus system responded quickly, and the sentinels issued an alert immediately. They were well prepared and morale was high. Several days of fierce fighting greatly increased their combat strength. Both sides once again fell into a stalemate of evenly matched forces. Inside the tent, the old immortal king and the golden bull Dharma king sat side by side. Although they had not entered the battle, their powerful divine senses controlled the overall situation, seeing through the course of the fight. The situation was tense, and the two wore solemn expressions. The golden bull Dharma king broke the silence first. "Old immortal king, is there any way to break through at this moment?" The old immortal king spoke slowly. "I have roamed the universe, experienced countless battles. Although the heavenly demon is fierce, it is not invincible. Now the situation is balanced, and they have lost their most proud advantage. At this moment, they panic and rashly attack, exposing their flaws." The old immortal king curled his lips into a cold smile. "Since the flaw is handed to me on a silver platter, how could I easily let victory slip away? Rest assured, watch how I teach these arrogant fools a lesson." The golden bull Dharma king breathed a sigh of relief. "With you here, I feel at ease. If you need anything in the future, just say the word, and the golden bull Dharma king will not refuse." The external war flames continue, and the death toll rises. The difference is that casualties on both sides have begun to even out. The Taurus no longer suffers alone, and the demons also pay a price. But they are not satisfied. They want victory, not endless sacrifice. The battlefield is ever-changing. Eyes watch all directions, ears listen everywhere. Finally discovered a critical flaw. In the vanguard formation of the Taurus galaxy, a high-ranking demon was severely wounded and fell to the ground. The god of magic seized the opportunity, broke through the defense line, and charged into the ranks of the ordinary demon soldiers. Blood splattered, and demonic energy filled the air. The demon faction collapsed instantly. Inside the camp, the two commanders showed excitement on their faces and shouted in unison, "Good opportunity." They decisively launched a fierce attack, striking straight at the heart, aiming to completely crush the demon forces. With the faction defeated, the demon army's offensive was no longer strong, descending into chaos like scattered soldiers, and their combat power sharply declined. The two commanders couldn't hold back and quickly flew out of the camp, seizing this fleeting opportunity. They commanded the army to surround the demon clan experts. Although the ordinary soldiers of the Golden Bull were mediocre in strength, their large numbers meant that, as the saying goes, ants may be small, but many can chew through an elephant. Several demon clan experts found themselves in a desperate situation, unable to escape. They fought with all their might, swinging their blades to hack down the Taurus soldiers, bodies piling up like mountains, yet they remained trapped. In their fury, they cursed the two leaders on on the opposite side are truly cruel, willing to sacrifice their low-power troops rather than give us a break. Utterly shameless, they don't even spare the righteous who can self-heal. The old immortal king and the Taurus magic king charged into the main force of the demon clan, their spiritual power surging like a tide, suddenly erupting. Palm winds like thunder shattered wave after wave of demons, corpses strewn everywhere. The battle suddenly descended into bloody slaughter, with the death toll rapidly climbing. At that moment, a familiar voice came from the sky. Golden Bull youngsters, you are despicable and shameless, bullying the younger generation of our clan, using your combat advantage to oppress the weak. Since you are unkind, don't blame our clan for being unjust. As the voice fell, a bright light suddenly appeared in the universe. The starry sky changed abruptly, and a huge golden formation slowly rotated, with surging streams of light, overflowing spiritual power, and a formidable pressure that shook the mind. The morale of the demon clan soared, their cheers echoing through the clouds. Although they did not understand the formation's principles, they knew it was the leader's powerful reinforcement, and the Golden Bull army could only wait helplessly. Under the golden radiance, the mystery of the formation is unveiled. The energy within each Taurus warrior drastically diminishes, as if controlled by a massive magnetic field, drifting like powerless needles in turbulent currents, losing their freedom. They swing their swords to kill, but not enemies, instead, their former comrades who once fought side by side. Blades clash, blood splatters, pain tears through their bodies, yet they cannot resist or cry out, only mechanically repeating their strikes. On the battlefield, countless Taurus soldiers slaughter each other, becoming puppets in the hands of the demon race. Even the heavenly demon army is stunned. Such a terrifying control technique exists in the world, causing enemies to kill each other, striking fear into all who hear of it. The demons withdraw, watching this bloody farce with cold eyes. Only the old immortal king and the Golden Bull Dharma king remained uncontrolled in the arena. They hung high in the air, their eyes sharp as torches, their divine senses scanning every corner of the battlefield. Shocked beyond words, yet powerless to act, the two tried to awaken their followers, pouring out spiritual power, but none responded. The formation was impenetrable. The Golden Bull Dharma king burned with rage, shouting wildly, "Damn despicable scoundrel, I will kill you." Spiritual power suddenly erupted, bombarding the battlefield. Mountains crumbled, the earth cracked, and stars shattered. Each strike slew countless demon soldiers, but also accidentally wounded many Taurus warriors. The scene was brutal, and the situation showed no sign of turning. Ha! Is this the so-called Taurus Dharma king who swore to protect the Taurus star system to the death? He even kills his own troops, truly more ruthless than us demons, utterly hypocritical and disgusting. The taunts pierced deep into the heart of the Taurus Dharma king. He retorted angrily, "You followers of the demon cult, bullying the weak, how dare you accuse others? The most hypocritical in the world are your Tianma clan. You talk about peace with your lips, but in reality, you plot to devour the entire universe. The universe is for us alone. Wolfish ambitions, known to all. What is there to criticize? We are villains, true scoundrels. You hypocritical pseudo-gentlemen, you are 10,000 times more disgusting than us. 1,000 times. The destroyer demon god sneered coldly, his voice thunderous. His tone was unfinished, his anger growing stronger. We are ruthless, but we never harm our own troops, never send soldiers into traps 1,000 times stronger than the enemy to die. You are different, don't insult the dignity of our supreme demon clan by comparing yourself to us. The Golden Bull Dharma king snorted coldly, offering no rebuttal. His anger surged like a tide, and the palm wind swept the battlefield like a violent storm. Forces from all directions were mixed, casualties balanced, with neither side favored. Seeing the Dharma king lose control in fury, the old immortal king hurriedly spoke, "Dharma king, calm down. Anger will only destroy yourself and solve nothing." Though he said this, the old immortal king was shocked inside. This hypocritical Golden Bull Dharma king was actually ruthless and merciless, cold to the extreme, caring only about victory and defeat, without regard for the lives of soldiers. Why had he allied with him in the first place? The regret was hard to dispel. Although the old immortal king desperately tried to stop him, he could not quell the wrath of the Dharma king. The Dharma king's gaze was like a blade as he looked at the useless Golden Bull soldiers, filled with bitter disappointment and anger. He scolded them, "You are holding me back. Weak in strength, unable to win, and yet you kill each other, unable to even control your own actions. Worthless, you might as well die." These words were like ice piercing the bone, causing the countless soldiers below to shudder in their hearts. Years of loyal service had been for such a cold-blooded and ruthless master's power struggle. How foolish. Did they think it was to protect their homeland? For happiness? A cold murderous intent ignited in the soldiers' eyes as they stared at the Golden Bull Dharma king in the sky, as if they wanted to tear him to pieces. The emotions were extraordinarily intense. Reason told them that this person had once protected them, and that the disparity in strength made resistance impossible. But hatred, the desire to kill, and indifference were magnified, gnawing at their bones. Suddenly, they felt a surge of freedom rising within them. Those who have held out in this land of death until now are the strongest among the soldiers. Now that they have regained their freedom, it coincides with the eruption of the deepest hostility towards the Bull King of the Law, terrifying beyond measure. Next, the soldiers surged like a tide toward the Bull King of the Law, their former leader in faith, their eyes flashing with bloodlust filled with murderous intent as if facing the murderer of their father. They raised their blood-stained bayonets, step by step closing in on that powerful, unshakable enemy. This fearless momentum even intimidated the Bull King of the Law, who staggered backward and shouted, "You want to rebel? Fall back." The final palm strike was unleashed mercilessly, as if to kill all challengers with a single blow. Disregarding the lives of the soldiers, he only wanted all those who dared to betray and collude with the Tianma clan to die without a burial place. These ignorant wastes dared to betray him and assist the enemy in the siege. They deserved to die. His power far surpassed everyone else. With one palm strike, the soldiers in front fell like a ripe wheat field, blood staining the battlefield red. But the soldiers behind remained fearless, advancing one after another, determined to completely annihilate this traitor. The Golden Bull Dharma King struck again, his palm wind like thunder. "Everyone step back, or none of you will live." However, death did not stop the soldiers' charge. Their eyes were as firm as iron, their killing intent like fire, vowing to reduce their former faith to ashes. At this moment, the Golden Bull Dharma King suddenly panicked. He no longer hesitated, his palm wind like thunder, striking one palm after another, continuously knocking down the soldiers before him. As soldiers fell, new ones surged forward, seemingly endless, never ceasing to kill. His strength is unmatched, truly able to fight against millions. But these soldiers were personally assembled by him from the Galactic Legion, and there were even elite alien reinforcements brought by the old Law King. If he can kill millions, here they can replenish billions, hundreds of billions, trillions, endlessly. The slaughter seemed never-ending. Though he was powerful, he was still human and would eventually grow weary. These soldiers were like undead zombies, fearless, with only the goal of completely erasing him at any cost in their eyes. His offensive gradually slowed down. At the same time, the Golden Bull army no longer advanced slowly but quickly spread out, forming a circle of encirclement. Batch after batch of high-level strong warriors flew out, joining forces to besiege. There were agile melee experts as well as ranged shooters with profound magical power. One attack after another rained down on the Golden Bull Mage King like a storm. He could only weave a sharp protective net around himself. Though small in range, it was extremely sturdy. But the offensive was incredibly fierce, and the protective net quickly collapsed. The Golden Bull Dharma King maintained high-intensity output while sustaining defense, his spiritual power gradually depleting. His movements began to slow. In that gap, a figure rushed in swiftly. A palm broke through the defense, heavily striking his chest and sending him flying several meters. "Ha ha ha, didn't expect that, did you? This is the moment I've been waiting for." The Flame Demon God stood before the Golden Bull Dharma King, laughing arrogantly and wildly. After being knocked away, the Golden Bull Dharma King quickly fell back into the encirclement. Blades, swords, and magic bombarded him in succession. He screamed in pain continuously, cursing non-stop. "You demons are despicable and shameless, daring to control our soldiers." The Destroyer demon sneered in response, "We didn't control them, we just made them kill each other," amplifying their hatred. "If it weren't for your lack of morality, why would they unite to attack you? But you are like a crow standing on coal, only seeing others' darkness, not your own. Hypocritical and sanctimonious, truly the face of a petty person. The thing I, a demon, despise most is a coward like you who dares to act but not take responsibility. You simply don't deserve to be called a man." He sneered coldly, "If that's the case, once you die, I'll castrate you, so you won't disgrace the name of a man." This humiliation stung the Golden Bull Dharma King more than any attack. Like a lit bomb, he roared, his spiritual power erupting all over, and in an instant, he flashed beside the Destruction Demon God. Using both hands and feet, tightly entangled the opponent. "All of you will be buried with me." Immediately, he detonated his entire body. A massive energy fluctuation flashed, and the place where the two were instantly turned into ruins. This is the self-destruction technique of the Supreme Powerhouse, shattering all living beings within 100 billion light-years. Moments later, the battlefield was engulfed in bloodshed once again, even more brutal than before. Though the casualties were heavy, not a single corpse remained intact. The Destruction Demon God and the Golden Bull Dharma King both disappeared without a trace. Everyone thought the two had perished together. Unexpectedly, the Destruction Demon God suddenly appeared behind the demon army. "I didn't expect the Golden Bull Dharma King to be so fragile, easily tricked into self-destruction with just a few words, not realizing I was a fake, a projection, being forced to use forbidden techniques, truly disgraceful." At this moment, the survivors finally reacted. The Golden Bull Dharma King actually perished along with the Phantom, a great master of a generation, defeated by such a clumsy scheme. Is it sorrowful or laughable? After the death of the Taurus Dharma King, what remained? The Taurus soldiers instantly lost their purpose. With reason returning, they suddenly realized what they had done. Looking around, less than 1/10,000th of the soldiers in the camp remained. Scattered sparsely across the battlefield, the vast majority had been turned into minced meat. They seemed to have their souls drained, utterly despairing, completely unable to protect their homeland. Their eyes stared blankly at the demons across from them. The demon clan experienced this bloody slaughter, but victory did not bring joy. They only calmly regrouped, organized their ranks, and waited for the commander's orders. This battle was extremely fierce, but the real heavy damage was on the enemy side. The demon clan clan's losses were negligible. After the reorganization, amidst the mountains of corpses and seas of blood, only the remnants of the Taurus star system remained. They understood that what awaited them was nothing but death. However, the destroyer demon god spoke again. Being able to hold out until now proves that you are geniuses among geniuses, the strongest among the strong. Our heavenly demon clan values talent and cannot bear to see all the elite wiped out. These words were like a ray of dawn, igniting hope in the remaining soldiers. It seemed that this time, they did not intend to slaughter them. A gleam flickered in their eyes as they held their breath and listened. The destroyer demon god continued, "If you are willing to submit to the demon clan, I guarantee the best treatment, and your family and friends will be safe and sound. Swear allegiance to the desire-extinguishing demon god, and you will become the closest comrades, fighting side by side on the battlefield. The choice is yours, and I respect your decision. But be warned, if you refuse to submit, you will be sentenced to death without mercy. I surrender, no longer willing to be deceived by the Golden Bull Dharma King. I also surrender, willing to become a member of the demon clan." One response after another, followed by more voices. Me too, as if afraid of hesitation, missing the last chance for survival. The destruction demon god and the flame demon god smiled at each other, the mission perfectly accomplished. The two stepped forward. "Demon soldiers, be sure to warmly welcome our friends. Tonight, a grand celebration banquet will be held. Let's toast to our new friends." As the words fell, the two figures flashed and left the battlefield. Obviously, these were not their true bodies, just projections. The war seemed to have ended perfectly, with the demon race paying a minimal price. But no one knew what kind of price the leader had paid. Billions of light years away, on an abandoned planet, the two lay on the barren ground, drenched in sweat, with blood seeping from every pore. The ferocity surpasses that of any soldier by 100-fold. This defiant formation originates from the forbidden arts of an ancient evil god. To control another's body, one must surrender their own soul. Whether human or demon, a lost soul is hard to restore, sometimes never recovering for life. After losing their soul, at best the spirit becomes fragile and easily disturbed by consciousness. At worst, they lose all sanity and become fools. Ordinary people would have their souls scattered long ago, but they are demon gods, barely able to endure this price. Because of this, they hide far away, only releasing two illusions to watch the battlefield from a distance. Their true body is weak and unable to withstand any attack, as if at the mercy of others, so they could only rely on projection to maintain the illusion. Fortunately, the Taurus Dharma King was furious, losing his rationality, unable to discern truth from falsehood, and hastily exposing himself. Others were even less able to distinguish authenticity. As if aided by heaven, the old immortal king saw through that the Taurus Dharma King was not the best partner and left early with his people. Otherwise, today's victory would not have been an easy feat. The two of them even left the arrangement of the victory banquet to their subordinates, unable to move a step themselves. If someone were to plot something sinister at this moment, taking their lives would be as simple as a gentle wave of the hand. The destructive demon god was cautious, leaving behind a trace of divine consciousness to constantly monitor the surroundings. Suddenly, the space trembled, tearing through the void. He abruptly awakened, his gaze locking onto the place of the disturbance. A figure broke through the air, and the wave-like ripples in space instantly dissipated. Seeing this figure, the destruction demon god immediately relaxed, as if he had found support, had found a savior. That person was none other than Ling Xiao, now honored as the desire-extinguishing demon god. He coldly stared at the two struggling on the ground. The voice was calm, yet carried an unshakable authority. "No need to fight to the death. If you can't win, go back and ask for reinforcements. Why harm yourself like this?" The destroyer demon gritted his teeth, wanting to speak, but no sound came out. His soul was suppressed, suffering indescribable pain. Ling Xiao waved his hands, and countless pure demonic energies surged out like a tide, slowly flowing into the two people's bloodstreams. The flow of magic instantly brought a cool and refreshing sensation, and the burning pain was soothed in an instant. The pure demonic energy flowed through the meridians, sealing leaks, reconnecting, and repairing the fractures, rapidly restoring vitality. He used his divine sense to check, and the body's recovery speed was astonishing, able to regroup within minutes. Physical wounds healed easily, but the soul's trauma was beyond ordinary people's reach. Ling Xiao used pure demonic power to protect the heart meridian and spiritual consciousness, preventing them from falling into madness. Although his sanity was preserved, his soul power was destined to be weak. Repairs completed, the nearby slumbering flame demon slowly opened his eyes. He fixed his gaze on Ling Xiao, gratitude welling up in his heart, overwhelmed with shame. "I am incompetent, but I have done my best to fulfill the master's mission." Ling Xiao glanced at the two of them and said coldly, "Don't fight alone anymore. If you are outmatched, turn back and ask for help. Risking everything for a single star system is truly a foolish strategy." Understood. The two knelt down together, their voices resolute. The turmoil in the Taurus galaxy temporarily subsided. The two demon gods regained their strength, quickly returned to their camp, and began preparing for the evening's victory banquet. The presence of the desire-extinguishing demon god caused the banquet scale to increase several times, leaving the soldiers of the demon clan all astonished and ecstatic. Being able to celebrate the victory alongside the desire-extinguishing extinguishing demon god, the sense of honor almost overflowed their chests. If the elders at home found out, they would surely be proud and boast about it for a lifetime. But the surrendered Taurus soldiers could not feel this fervent glory. They only saw the supreme status of the desire-extinguishing demon god among the celestial demons, and a sense of reverence naturally arose. They dared not show the slightest negligence, fearing it would bring deadly consequences. Everything seemed calm, when suddenly a crisp alert broke the silence. Ding! The host has used the power of space 3 times in the cycle. Memories, system analysis successful, space elements synthesis complete, now available for use. The sound was abrupt and harsh, heard only by Ling Xiao. He was secretly surprised, expression unchanged, his gaze sweeping over the toasts and laughter at the banquet. Dull and uninteresting, he no longer paid attention, sitting quietly at the main seat, peacefully falling asleep. Others encountering this strange phenomenon would probably be terrified, their hearts pounding with fear, unable to sleep all night. He was as tolerant as the ocean, the protagonist's confidence, calm and composed, steady as Mount Tai. This state of mind is not something ordinary people can learn. Because of the victory in the war, the Tianma clan was jubilant. With the arrival of the destruction-desired demon god, the celebration banquet was upgraded to a 3-day grand festival. The Tianma soldiers of the Taurus star system seemed to be welcoming their annual carnival. Although the atmosphere was ignited to its peak, Ling Xiao remained calm and unruffled. In his eyes, these were nothing more than a group of children boasting about the sandcastles they built after grabbing the sand, utterly childish and not worth mentioning at all. At the pinnacle, he grew increasingly lonely. No confidants, no rivals, only a group of juniors who kept their distance with reverence, treating him like a deity and daring not to come close. Over time, the world became dull, and even the passion and joy of the past vanished completely. Suddenly, he recalled the days of his childhood, seeking masters everywhere, full of innocence, unbeatable, yet with goals and direction. Although times were hard then, they were filled with hope. How long ago was that? He himself could not remember. As a top existence among the first generation of heavenly demons, his strength surpassed ordinary imagination. If it weren't for historical and literary records, he wouldn't even know how long he had lived. Unparalleled strength makes life lose its meaning. No one dares to provoke him, and no one considers him a friend. He has become an unattainable existence, eyes full of awe. No one dares to joke, no one dares to get close, fearing that a careless word might lead to annihilation. In the end, this is not anyone else's fault, but the loneliness that the strong must endure. If it were him, he would also stay away from danger and avoid unnecessary entanglements. This is the instinct for survival. So he never obstructed this distance, neither needing others to come close nor wanting to be disturbed. When bored, he would find a few tactless enemies to kill thoroughly, just to relieve his boredom. But this only made everyone more afraid of him. He was helpless about this and could only let the situation unfold. Now these two demon gods would rather pay a great price and use forbidden techniques to win the war than dare to turn back and ask him for help. He can accomplish things effortlessly, yet no one dares to rely on him. He can only be treated as a lofty deity, respected from a distance, flattered cautiously, but never genuinely approached. High places are unbearably cold. This is exactly his portrayal. The victory banquet was ostensibly to celebrate the war victory, the demon clan's acquisition of fertile land, the reduction of one enemy, and the further strengthening of their power. But everyone knew in their hearts that the real focus was the arrival of the desire-extinguishing demon god himself. Victory seemed insignificant before him. Compared to sacrifice and victory, they were more excited about his appearance. The desire-extinguishing demon god had long grown tired of such festivities and spent most of the banquet asleep. Out of sight, out of mind. He knows how to avoid scenes he doesn't want to see, how to numb himself. Perhaps even the heavens pity his excessive leisure, deliberately sending some guests to relieve his boredom. The sky suddenly roared, thunder booming. The originally jubilant crowd looked up at the sky, only to see dense dark clouds and lightning streaking across the long sky. Someone muttered, "Is it going to rain?" Someone complained, "On such a rare happy day, it has to rain. What a downer." The crowd began to disperse, looking for shelter, preparing to move indoors to continue the celebration. At that moment, a piercing scream suddenly rang out. "Ah, someone's raiding, everyone be careful." The crowd instantly stirred, and when they looked back, several bloodstained warriors lay on the ground, covered in arrows and hidden weapons. Chaos erupted, and everyone scattered, scrambling for cover. A dense rain of arrows fell from the sky, like a violent storm. The multicolored light streaked across the night sky like a meteor, more dazzling than a rainbow. Blood gushed out, staining the earth red, like spilled bright red ink, brilliant and tragic. If it weren't for the massacre before their eyes, this scene would be stunningly beautiful. However, no one stopped to admire it. Everyone was frantically fleeing, desperately searching for a glimmer of hope. Cries for help rose one after another, piercing and shrill. "Help! Save me quickly! Great demon god, come save us! Prison-destroying demon god, flame demon god, destruction demon god, come protect us!" They shouted loudly, turning their faith into their last refuge. The desire-extinguishing demon god was awakened by the noise, and his divine awareness quickly captured the external scene. In an instant, he understood the truth. Rage surged forth. Who dares to cause trouble in his territory and harm his people? They simply do not want to live. live. Having not acted for a long time, these people have forgotten what it means to bring about their own destruction. He suddenly flashed, his figure cutting through the sky like lightning. 4.8 dark translucent barriers suddenly rose, intercepting all the spiritual power pouring down like a rain of arrows. Above the air, he used the power of space to teleport to the top of the black cloud, overlooking the entire battlefield. Dark clouds gathered densely like a tide, battle armor shining. The white cloud-patterned armor with a white base indicated that they came from the Xianwang star system. The army of the Xianwang law god. Ling Xiao wondered in his heart. There is no old grudge between the two sides, so why the sudden attack? Regardless of the reason, today you will pay the price. Ling Xiao swung his palm, and the world-destroying pressure instantly enveloped the black clouds above. All the soldiers felt fear in their hearts, wanting to flee, but they could not escape from his palm. His palm strike was like the collapse of heaven and earth, instantly killing enemy troops within hundreds of millions of light years. The survivors at the edge coughed up blood profusely, battered and scarred. This power showed no mercy whatsoever. The troops in the rear retreated in terror, eager to avoid this land of death. Ling Xiao roared angrily, his voice sharp as a knife. This is the territory of the demon clan. How can you enter and exit at will? If the outside world finds out, how will the face of the desire-extinguishing demon god be preserved? Before his words had fallen, an old immortal king from the crowd flew out, suppressing the chaos, stepping forward to confront Ling Xiao. His inner panic was hard to conceal. He knew well that the demon clan had just endured a brutal battle, their vitality greatly depleted. He had thought the time was ripe to seize the opportunity and attack, but he did not expect the desire-extinguishing demon god to have appeared silently. The entire offensive was completely thwarted, and he feared he would lose both his wife and his troops. He tried to flatter, Lord Desire-extinguishing demon god, long time no see. I didn't expect you to be here. I originally thought it was that despicable Golden Bull Dharma King. He wronged me yesterday, and I am leading my troops to seek revenge. The lie was pale and powerless, not even a dog would believe it. The desire-extinguishing demon god cast a cold glance, speechless, only raising his palm as spiritual power gathered, as if ready to unleash a devastating strike at any moment. This silent threat made the old immortal king's heart tremble with fear, regretting deeply why he had foolishly tried to ambush the demon clan at this time. It was truly courting death. Regret came too late. He cupped his hands to Ling Xiao in salute, then stepped forward boldly, laughing, taste an old man's punch. As soon as the words fell, a thunderous, earth-shaking powerful move was unleashed, but it was casually blocked by Ling Xiao with a single palm. Old immortal king's heart was shocked. He did not expect the desire-extinguishing demon god to have advanced so much, far surpassing the level where they were once evenly matched. Now, he could completely overwhelm him. What kind of terrifying existence had he provoked? Ling Xiao frowned deeply and said coldly, as expected, you hypocritical villains only know how to ambush. Your army's tactics are like this, and your character is equally despicable. I have always liked cleaning up cosmic trash, especially filthy creatures like you who just make people sick to look at. With a palm strike, the old immortal king fought with all his might to resist, rapidly channeling his spiritual power. His figure flickered like a shadow, skillfully using momentum to change direction, diverting the heavy blow and avoiding direct damage. He was unharmed, but this drew a cold sneer from the extinction-desired demon god. You can't even withstand one of my moves, and you still want to use such lowly tricks? The old immortal king's face flushed slightly, bitterness filling his heart. He never expected to have to rely on such opportunistic tactics to survive. But war is like that, victory and survival are all that matter. Who cares how you win as long as you kill the enemy? Scraping by is also strength. The two quickly engaged in close combat, every punch landing solidly, every move deadly. During the fight, they gradually moved away from their original position. The power of their attacks was too strong, and the fluctuations of spiritual energy and intense light were unbearable for ordinary soldiers. To protect their subordinates, they both retreated to a distance without prior agreement. A continuous roar of explosions shook the sky, and shockwaves swept across the galaxy. Looking at the distant galaxy, the massive light resembled two stars colliding, dazzlingly blinding to the eyes. If an observer could see through the battle, they would find the destruction demon god continuously suppressing the old immortal king. Although the old immortal king could hold on, he was already overwhelmed and clearly on the verge of defeat. If it weren't for the fact that his troops couldn't be abandoned, he would have long since given up the fight and fled for his life. After all, life is more important than pride. The battle was fierce, and the demon masses also became alert. The enemy has reached our doorstep, and with the destruction-desired demon god backing us, what is there to fear? Give it your all. The destroyer demon god ordered coldly, prepare the bows and arrows. The army gathered their magical power, transforming it into giant bows, with arrows also formed from magical power, knocking the arrows and drawing the bowstrings tight, ready to release. At the destroyer demon god's command, shoot. Millions of arrows shot simultaneously, a dark rain of arrows piercing through the dark shield, soaring straight into the sky. They were like sharp black lightning, arrow after arrow piercing through the clouds, striking directly into the soldiers above. Ah, I've been hit, run quickly. The situation reversed instantly. The soldiers of the celestial king above were even worse off, suspended in the clouds, with the cloud lasers layers unable to block the arrows. The rain of arrows came from below upwards, with nowhere to hide. They scattered in panic, their lives hanging by a thread. They fought back fiercely, arrows intertwining, black and multicolored lights interlacing, sometimes cancelling each other out, sometimes piercing through. But the counterattack was in vain. The shield upheld by the desire-extinguishing demon god left the demon soldiers unharmed. On the contrary, when the demon arrows passed through the shield, their magical power greatly increased, and their lethality surged. In an instant, the massacre scene was completely reversed. The demon soldiers used their blood to tell their opponents, "Don't mess with us, heavenly demon clan, or death is certain." They want the entire universe to remember that the fate of those who provoke the demon clan is nothing but annihilation. Whether it was the battle between the desire-extinguishing demon god and the old immortal king, or the clash between the demon clan and the immortal king's soldiers, the advantage was overwhelmingly one-sided. The old immortal king and his troops were already powerless to turn the tide. Everyone unanimously chose to retreat. The situation had already become clear. But want to leave? It's not that easy. The old immortal king and his troops have long been trapped on the battlefield, unable to escape. In contrast, the old immortal king's situation was more perilous. The demon tribe's defensive shield limited the attack range, and amidst the chaotic sea of people, there were always some who could escape. But the old immortal king was facing a one-on-one duel against a top-tier stronghold of the desire-extinguishing demon god. He completely recognized the gap. It was a world of difference. He was like a mouse toyed with by a well-fed, bored cat, at others' mercy. The other party would let him go if they wanted, giving him the illusion of survival, only to catch him again and strike hard. Tormented back and forth, his dignity trampled, his spirit shattered. The old immortal king roared angrily, "Enough, no more running, let's go all out. I'll fight you to the end. I'll fight with all my might, and I won't let you live." However, reality was cruel. The attacks were like fierce hammers striking the bones, blood splattering everywhere, flesh torn to pieces like mud. The intense pain from bones to muscles awakened layer by layer, like the endless punishments of the 18 levels of hell. When determination ignited, he finally understood how distant victory was. In the end, he chose to run away. But escape was no longer within his control. He even longed for the other side to be straightforward, not to torment him. But that wish was doomed to be unfulfilled. Ling Xiao struck his chest with a fierce palm. Blood gushed out like a waterfall, mixed with fragments of black internal organs. His internal organs were severely damaged, some reduced to mush, with flesh and blood dripping weakly. He was too weak to continue fighting, slowly collapsing to the ground, breathing heavily, blood continuously spilling from his mouth, like a piece of rotten old pork. Disgusting. He sneered, closing his eyes mockingly. "Desire-extinguishing demon god, don't think you're so great. Now everyone respects and praises you. When you grow old and lose your strength, that respect will just be an illusion. They respect your combat power, not you as a person. Sooner or later, you'll end up like me, exhausted all over, combat power declining, surrounded by open and covert struggles, every day witnessing deceit and betrayal, forgetting the once passionate dreams. I'm not a winner, nor are you. It's just that you came a step too late. What I have experienced, you will eventually experience. My today is your tomorrow." Ling Xiao looked down with disdain, ignoring it completely. With a fierce stomp on his ankle, bones shattered, flesh was crushed, and blood and flesh mixed into a pulp. The excruciating pain caused the old immortal king to lose control, his face contorted, and his scream echoed through the sky. Ah! The piercing, agonized scream shook the universe. The distant immortal king army trembled, their hair standing on end, unable to imagine the torment he was enduring. Ling Xiao's torment had only just begun. He picked up the broken foot and placed it in front of the old immortal king. Flames ignited in his hand, but they were not fierce flames. Instead, they slowly roasted, like a barbecue. Soon, the aroma of roasted meat filled the air. Ling Xiao concentrated his strength at his fingertips, cutting the foot into small pieces of meat, piece by piece, cruelly stuffed into the old immortal king's mouth. The old immortal king gritted his teeth tightly, but his mouth was forcibly filled with chunks of meat, unable to spit them out. Pancake-sized pieces of meat filled his mouth one after another, his cheeks puffed up like a greedy and disgusting old fat man. If anyone saw this, they would probably vomit on the spot. He was nearly driven mad, never expecting such humiliation, to be bitten back and forcibly fed someone else's flesh. Anger burned in his eyes as he tried to struggle, wanting to tear apart the demon before him, but powerless to change his fate. He could only widen his eyes and stare fixedly at the other. The sweet aroma of roasted meat spread in his mouth, teasing his nerves like a venomous snake. The desire-extinguishing demon god sneered coldly, disgustedly, crushing his eyeball with 2 fingers. Blood gushed out, the sticky fluid coating his fingers, which he wiped off disdainfully, showing no mercy. Immediately, his magic, sharp as a blade, sliced open the old immortal king's chest and abdomen with a deep and clean cut. He reached in and forcibly pushed aside the internal organs, revealing the twisted and shattered viscera. Those organs, already in a pitiful state from the earlier fierce battle, greatly excited the desire-extinguishing demon god. He had rarely seen such a tragic sight. If the old immortal king could see this scene, he would surely curse. No wonder even his own clan avoids him, such a pervert. Who could possibly get close? Those who fall into the hands of the demon god have a fate so miserable. The ones who choose to end their own lives before being being controlled by him are always the clearest and wisest. The desire-extinguishing demon god's hands skillfully manipulated the organs, especially gripping the still violently beating heart. The old immortal king shuddered all over. The sensation, never before experienced, sent chills down his spine. The rough skin of the demon god rubbed against the fragile surface of the heart, not pain, nor comfort, but a chillingly strange feeling that made his hair stand on end. He silently prayed in his heart, longing for a quick death, no longer wanting to be tormented by this endless shattering pain. However, the desire-extinguishing demon god was unwilling to give up. Having found such an entertaining prey, how could he easily let go? If Ling Xiaorua knew of this scene at this moment, her expression would surely be extremely grim. The demon god released the heart and turned to caress the other internal organs. Unlike his past experiences, the organs of these strong beings appeared exceptionally resilient. An ordinary person would have died long ago from such injuries, but the old immortal king still maintained the tenacity of life. Though there was no obvious difference in function or appearance, they were tougher and more durable. Since all the internal organs were indispensable, a slight mistake could cost a life. The desire-extinguishing demon god had to be extremely cautious, unable to recklessly dismantle and toy with them, and could only fixate on the twisted large intestine, small intestine, and 2 kidneys within the abdominal cavity. He tore out a shriveled kidney with his bare hands. The thousands of years of spiritual power nourishing the old immortal king's body could not prevent its decay. At this moment, Ling Zhao's soul seemed to ripple faintly within the body, causing the demon god to feel disgust. His hands, covered in blood and flesh, made him nauseous. He condensed his demonic power into a blade and fiercely stabbed it into the bright red, fragile heart. The old immortal king was finally freed, no longer subjected to the demon god's cruel torment. The corpse was engulfed by fierce flames, burning to nothing, leaving no ashes behind. Along with Ling Zhao's soul, it was completely consumed by the intense fire, clean and thorough. How can it be completely burned clean? Very simple. Even burn your own hands to ashes. With his insanely powerful regenerative ability, new hands will instantly grow from the ashes. That's what clean really means. After the old immortal king was thoroughly wiped out, his divine consciousness quickly detected changes on the opposite battlefield. The immortal king's army was almost entirely routed, leaving only the clan members inside the protective barrier, gritting their teeth and cursing those cowards. Cowards, fleeing faster than rabbits. That's right, they must pay the price. This is truly outrageous. The desire-extinguishing demon god suddenly flashed, tearing through space and instantly returning to the camp, his voice booming like thunder. Everyone, perhaps you have been out of battle for too long and have forgotten the ferocity of the heavenly demon clan, forgotten our mercy towards this world. They think we are easy to bully? Ha, we refuse to accept that. Since they don't understand our strength, we'll show them what true power means. They want to fight? Fine, we'll gladly give them a fierce battle. Next stop, the Xianwang system. Any objections? The warriors shouted in unison with fury. Swear to follow the destruction-desired demon god to the death. Destruction-desired demon god, eternal and unchanging, uniting the universe. The voices were like a raging storm, mixed with magical power, shaking the starry sky, causing even distant star systems to tremble in fear. The news spread like a virus, and the old panic descended once again. Only then did everyone realize that they had never truly conquered their fear. It was just that the demon race had been peaceful for too long, allowing them to temporarily forget that fear. As long as the demon race thrives, fear will never be extinguished. Fortunately, the target was not themselves, and fortunately, the old immortal king took the brunt of the suffering as a shield. No one knew about the old immortal king's tragic death, otherwise, the fear would have been even deeper. The demon clan's iron-blooded speed was swift, and the victory banquet ended hastily, with morale soaring once again. Counting troops, arranging formations, distributing equipment and tasks, vowing to make the entire universe remember, those who offend the demon clan will surely die. The fierce demon clan prepared to attack, while the Xianwang star system trembled. The local main force, the new Xianwang, due to political differences with the old Xianwang, was now dragged into disaster, his anger hard to quell. The old immortal king's subordinates who fled back were locked in the dungeon and subjected to torture, and the new immortal king took this opportunity to vent his anger. But the most urgent matter right now is how to survive the demon tribe's attack. He invited the legendary master Kang Yizhenren, who had been in seclusion for a long time. It is rumored that Kang Yizhenren has reached the peak of cultivation, with his true realm unknown to anyone. The new immortal king offered a sky-high price. If Kang Yi could withstand the demon clan, half of the territory would belong to him, and the king himself would abdicate and step down, allowing Kang Yi to replace the old immortal king and become the new ruler. Kang Yi agreed. No one in the world can defeat me. The mere demon clan is nothing but ants. The new immortal king finally breathed a sigh of relief, but there was a faint unease in his heart, feeling that something was off. The demon clan has always been swift and decisive, especially with the desire-extinguishing demon god here. They are not afraid at all. Since you dare to cause trouble, since you love to fight, then let me show you what a real war is. They quickly got ready and, led by the desire-extinguishing demon god, broke through the void at lightning speed, instantly arriving at the Xianwang star system. The new Xianwang had long been on alert and swiftly arranged the most stringent defenses. forces. The Demon Clan army descended, and what came into view were the soldiers arrayed in tight formation below the Xianwang star system. The new Xianwang's troops were completely different from those of the old Xianwang. The old Immortal King's army was far inferior in both quantity and quality. From a distance, the soldiers under the new Immortal King's command looked imposing and spirited, a formidable iron army bursting with combat power. Facing the powerful encroachment of the Demon Clan, they still stood tall with chests out, their morale as solid as rock, and their military discipline strict. If it weren't for the old Immortal King's burden, this army, under the leadership of the new Immortal King, would surely reach new heights again. The two sides faced each other, swords drawn and bows bent. The new Immortal King stood on the lookout tower, his gaze sharp as a torch, and coldly said to the desire-extinguishing demon god who had come from afar, "Desire-extinguishing demon god, your name has long resounded throughout the universe. Today you have traveled far, yet you see this formation. Could there be a misunderstanding? The old Immortal King may have offended you. I know this well in my heart, but that does not mean the entire Immortal King star system is disrespectful to you. Those who offended you have all been imprisoned. Although the Tianma star system has risen for nearly 100 years, it is still an emerging power. Born in the same universe, why must we meet with swords and spears? Why not join hands for a win-win outcome?" Ling Xiao snorted coldly, ignoring his goodwill. The situation was already at a breaking point, with no turning back. The new Immortal King still held faint hope. After all, war would inevitably lead to mutual destruction. With a wave of his hand, the destruction-desired demon god stirred the morale of the demon race into a frenzy, their shouts shaking the heavens. "Destroy the Immortal King star system, avenge our fallen brothers. Annihilate the Xianwang system, avenge our fallen brothers. Annihilate the Xianwang system, avenge our fallen brothers." The Demon Clan vanguard charges into battle, their momentum overwhelming. The new Xianwang King sighs deeply, raising his arm and shouting, "Swear to defend our homeland to the death. Fight!" The soldiers of the Xianwang system roared in response, blades flashing and swords clashing, spiritual light bursting, demonic energy surging, the battlefield instantly boiling over. Everyone was fully focused on the fierce battle, unaware of the strange phenomenon hidden behind the extinction-desired demon god. Even he himself did not notice, which was astonishing. The mastermind behind the scenes was none other than Kang Yizhenren, who was heavily hired by the new Xianwang. Kang Yizhenren was renowned throughout the world, rumored to be invincible. Those who challenged him were never spared and mysteriously disappeared. It is said in the martial world that he is the top expert, extraordinary and transcendent, unbeatable, only to be avoided from afar. He has lived in seclusion for many years, never showing himself, and the legends about him have become even more mysterious. In reality, his strength is only at the 5th level of the regional master realm. His true power comes from the secret invisibility technique obtained from exploring ancient ruins. He can sense and merge the spiritual energy of the surrounding heaven and earth, precisely adjusting his own frequency to become completely invisible, like a chameleon, but more advanced, able to perfectly hide without being detected. This technique has been lost for a long time, and the world has never been prepared for it. As a result, countless top experts and geniuses have been defeated by him and brutally killed. He is not bloodthirsty, it is just that if this secret technique were widely spread, the success rate would inevitably drop, and his own safety could not be guaranteed, even risking death. Therefore, he was willing to give up fame and fortune and live in seclusion deep in the mountains. Recently, the new Immortal King tempted him with a large sum of money, and he finally appeared for the first time due to his inner greed. He had already repeatedly simulated the battle countless times. The power of the desire-extinguishing demon god is well known to the outside world, and he would never dare to provoke it lightly. Not to mention a surprise one-hit kill, he simply could not do it. But he had no other choice. The conditions set by the new Immortal King were too tempting to refuse. If he succeeded in this battle, he could escape his wandering life, say goodbye to loneliness and helplessness, become a truly noble and powerful being, control a mighty star system, and become a king. The situation was like a homeless man who had been starving for 3 days suddenly seeing a tempting plate of braised pig trotters by the roadside. Knowing it might be a trap, he still couldn't help but step forward. Just like the dying villain's vow in those melodramatic dramas, one last job, then I'll quit for good. But as everyone knows, such vows often lead to even worse outcomes. He prepared thoroughly for this tough battle, fully equipped with magical treasures, talismans, and formations, piling them desperately on himself. He obtained a set of 16th rank lower grade protective robes from the new Immortal King and wore them neatly. Holding the 15th grade superior Xiantian sword, obtained by chance in the ruins, the sword body is surrounded by talismans, in peak condition. Before setting off, he repeatedly checked his equipment, leaving nothing out, before embarking on this perilous path. At this moment, he is hidden in the void, unnoticed by anyone. He tightly grips the sword, holds his breath and focuses, step by step approaching the coldly standing desire-extinguishing demon god. Cold sweat seeped from his forehead, his legs grew weak, and he kept muttering to himself, "This strike must succeed, or the cost will be severe." The distance gradually shortened, and time quietly passed. Finally, he entered the optimal attack range. The desire-extinguishing demon god in front of him was completely unaware. He secretly rejoiced, gritted his teeth and sneered coldly, aimed the tip of his sword at the opponent's heart and suddenly thrust forward. The tip of the sword pierced through the air, and the desire-extinguishing demon god suddenly turned his head, his eyes shooting out cold killing intent like sharp blades. Immediately, the demon god's body suddenly collapsed, and the magical aura points on his body slowly dissipated. He stared in disbelief at the spot where the sword tip had been, but saw nothing. The demon god died silently and without a sound. Kang Izhenren laughed out loud. Ha ha ha, this is all there is to a strong person, dying even more gloriously than those I killed before. The Xianwang star system will ultimately be mine. Master Kang Yi has finally made it big. He howled to the sky, waving his arms and dancing, like a pauper who suddenly got rich overnight, so joyful he almost had a heart attack. No one on the entire battlefield saw him. He celebrated recklessly. Just as he was getting into the dance, he suddenly turned his head. The recently deceased desire-extinguishing demon god stood right behind him, staring coldly, his eyes full of mockery. At this moment, he trembled all over, staring fixedly at the demon god. A wave of doubt surged in his heart. I can't see him, so why isn't he dead? Forcing himself to stay calm, he slowly analyzed the situation. Wiping the cold sweat from his forehead, the demon god's gaze was fixed on him like an iron nail. Fear spread, and he suspected the other party could see him. His movements instantly became extremely cautious, afraid of revealing any flaws. After tens of seconds of silence, he finally admitted helplessly, the other party could indeed see him, and the previous scene was just toying with a monkey. His heart was ashen. Seeing this, the demon god sneered even more coldly. Ling Xiao slowly spoke. I didn't expect the space technique to be able to turn invisible. It seems my previous understanding of the space technique was too shallow. Thank you for reminding me. To express my gratitude, you can choose a way to die, and I will do my best to fulfill it. Kang Izhenren's eyes were bloodshot, and his hand gripping the sword trembled violently. He mustered his courage and shouted angrily, ah! Then he dove down, sword raised for a fierce stab. Veins bulging on his forehead, face flushed red. He gave it his all, fighting desperately. Hope, even if only a sliver of a chance. He no longer dared to hope for the new immortal king's promise. Now, he only wished to survive. He knew clearly that if he didn't fight with all his might now, he would die a miserable death. Perhaps already anticipating the other's reaction, the desire-extinguishing demon god counterattacked swiftly, raising his hand and waving it. The sharp and pure demonic energy, like a blade, struck precisely on Kang Izhenren's wrist. Kang Yi's right hand trembled, the treasured sword in his hand traced a silver sword flower, then fell. The severed arm hung heavily and lifelessly. Kang Yi's right hand completely lost its agility. The 15th rank superior treasured sword, as hard as a rock, broke his wrist with ease. Now with his right hand broken, Kang Yi has lost 90% of his combat power. The stealth attack he once took pride in has been seen through, making ambushes impossible, and the shadow of death looms over him. His eyes are lifeless, as if his life has already ended. Ling Xiao saw his complete lack of fighting spirit, frowned slightly, and, furious beyond control, struck his other arm with a heavy palm. This strike was not meant to break flesh but precisely targeted a nerve-dense spot, amplifying the pain infinitely. Ah! A scream pierced the air, pain contorting Kang Yi's face, the blood color deepening, his whole body tense. The toy awakened again. Ling Xiao smiled with satisfaction. Now this is interesting. Such a toy is truly worth savoring. Kang Yi had been living in seclusion for many years, completely unaware that the desire-extinguishing demon god had become sadistic. He couldn't blame himself either. Even the rumors about the desire-extinguishing demon god were only secretly inquired about after the new immortal king requested an audience. These gossip and rumors would never be delivered by official intelligence agencies, fearing that mistaken information would make them appear confused. At this moment, Kang Yi, kneeling and begging with a distorted face, was actually completely unprepared mentally. He only thought the worst ending was simply to die. He did not expect that before death there would be such torment. At this moment, it seemed that death was the best relief, and pain was hell. He knelt, barely able to control his already swollen and deformed facial muscles, looking sorrowfully at Ling Xiao, trembling as he pleaded. I was blind, deceived by that old fool, the new immortal king. I have offended you. I do not beg for mercy, only hope you can quickly end my life, erase the hatred in my heart, and settle everything once and for all. Please don't let me be an eyesore to you any longer. Listening, Ling Xiao's face suddenly broke into an amused smile, making Kang Yi, who was kneeling and begging, feel uneasy. He couldn't figure out why Ling Xiao had suddenly changed his expression, but based on the earlier experience, the smile was definitely not a good sign. In fact, Ling Xiao was just surprised. He had seen many supplicants begging for mercy in the past. Most people begged for mercy, hoping to be spared and unwilling to suffer, even promising gold, silver, jewels, immortal sect artifacts, and martial arts manuals. But no one saw the whole picture clearly. Begging for death was actually more straightforward. At least it meant not suffering early on. The person in front of him had completely recognized the situation, knew there was no way to escape, and simply asked for a quick end, a release. Ling Xiao gently touched his head and said softly, "You are straightforward. I like your personality." Kang Yi smiled bitterly, forcing an awkward smile on his face, and said, "Could you please grant me a small request?" If it weren't for his broken hands, he might have been able to raise them and wipe the sweat from his forehead. Being with the Lord is like being with a tiger. He simply cannot fathom the thoughts of this capricious malicious person before him. This affection, whether it grants him relief or deepens his torment, remains unknown. He can only guess with trembling caution. Kang Yi looked up and stared at Ling Xiao, seeing that his smile remained inscrutable. After a silence of several seconds, Ling Xiao slowly spoke. Those I favor often live a long time. So, I've decided not to kill you. Kang Yizhenren's heart suddenly skipped a beat, a trace of joy flashing in his eyes. Unexpectedly, there was an unforeseen gain. Could it be that the other party really intended to let him go? Just as he slightly exhaled in relief, the other party coldly added, I want to make you my pet forever, bringing me endless pleasure every moment. Kang Yizhenren's smile instantly froze. He was clever and had encountered many cruel and perverse people. Fully understanding what this sentence meant, not only would he be unable to escape now, but he would also suffer long-term torment in the future. When the other party was in a good mood, they would torment him. When in a bad mood, they would torment him even more. Since that was the case, he might as well provoke the other party, perhaps using that as a chance to die and end it all. In an instant decision, he took advantage of the opponent's unpreparedness, suddenly opened his mouth, and bit fiercely into Ling Xiao's leg flesh. Kang Yizhenren himself was also a domain lord-level powerhouse, and this bite immediately caused fresh blood to seep from Ling Xiao's leg. Even the tough physique of the desire-extinguishing demon god was bitten almost to the point of tearing flesh. However, Ling Xiao was neither angry nor annoyed, only coldly watching him tear and bite at will. A bite here, a tear there. In a short time, the entire leg was covered with blood marks. Then, he reached out to rub Kang Yizhenren's head, his voice gentle yet threatening. Naughty little dog, if you're not obedient, you must be punished. As soon as the words fell, his fingers swiftly jabbed in, piercing through the opponent's shoulder armor, straight through the collarbone and scapula. As a battle-hardened warrior, Ling Xiao knew that the collarbone and scapula were densely packed with nerves, and even slight injuries there caused excruciating pain, let alone such a penetrating wound. Kang Yi immediately loosened his mouth, screaming repeatedly, the pain tearing through his heart and lungs. Ling Xiao did not stop. His fingertips kept stabbing into the broad shoulder, his movements sharp and powerful, the wounds increasing in number, blood continuously gushing out. Soon, the shoulders of Kang Yizhenren, who was kneeling on the ground, were covered with blood holes. Ling Xiao finally lost patience, raised his blade, and instantly severed the opponent's neck. Blood gushed out like a fountain, staining an area of 3 meters red. He clapped his hands, summoned a water element spell, easily washed his hands clean, then turned his head to continue observing the battlefield. The demon soldiers were extraordinarily brave, having already slain half of the Immortal King Star System's army. The defense line of the Xianwang system was steadily retreating, handing over vast territories. The demon soldiers pursued their victory relentlessly, sparing no enemy. This attack was completely different from before. Previously, they fought for resources, land, and people, adhering to certain principles and strategies, even recruiting elite enemies after the battle to strengthen their own forces. But this time, they came only for revenge, killing all enemies to avenge their loved ones. The slaughter was merciless, extremely cruel. They hacked at anyone they saw, without hesitation. All tactics were thrown aside, leaving only the most primal violence, venting their anger and forcing the opponent to pay a painful price. The battlefield was awash with blood, flesh flying, while spiritual energy beams were scarce. They gripped knives, spears, and clubs, rekindling the primal thrill of mortal combat. Even after transforming into demons, the innate killing instinct deep within remained unchanged. Wherever they went, rivers of blood formed, and not a single enemy survived. This fury surged straight into the center of the former galaxy, the heart of the universe. Perhaps in the future, when news spreads across the universe and people gather together, they will still lament this sudden catastrophe. But for the demon race, this was irrelevant. They only cared that the universe knew of their strength, their invincibility, and that blood debts must be repaid. As the desire-extinguishing demon god believed, the Tianma clan either does nothing or does everything to the extreme, becoming the most arrogant and proud existence in this world. Having achieved success and fame, the demon race has now become a symbol of fear that silences thousands. Merely mentioning the demon race sends chills down people's spines. At this moment, the true mastermind of the war hung in the sky, eyes half closed, lazily overlooking the entire battlefield. The new immortal king had long since fled to an unknown destination, clearly at a loss. Upon learning that the summoned Kang Yizhenren was defeated, he hurriedly retreated with his personal guards. Only a group of soldiers who once served him remained, completely unaware of the truth, still fighting desperately. They believed they were defending their homeland, but in reality, they had been betrayed and turned into pawns for others, a situation both tragic and ironic. Ling Xiao lightly raised his hand, rubbed his temples, and felt that watching the battle here was dull and uninteresting. The disparity in strength was too great, and anyone could foresee the outcome. A predetermined war is the most boring. Ling Xiao suddenly became interested when he thought of the fleeing new immortal king. Since he could attract an interesting opponent like Kang Yizhenren, perhaps he could come up with some new tricks himself. Since he had nothing better to do, he might as well go find the new immortal king for a chat. The new immortal king, accompanied by his personal guards, kept a low profile to conceal his whereabouts, feeling downcast and despondent over the loss of his homeland. Unbeknownst to him, a greater danger had already silently approached his life, now entering during its countdown. That powerful figure stealthily lurked in the void, using newly learned secret techniques to tear through space across billions of light-years, teleporting and moving swiftly. No one noticed, neither the battlefield nor the personal guard knew of its existence. Until he had played to his heart's content, he suddenly appeared and abruptly grabbed the new Immortal King's neck. The new Immortal King suddenly felt an invisible force tightly binding his throat, and he was abruptly lifted into the air. His neck was forcibly stretched, causing unbearable pain. He and his personal guards were all filled with suspicion and disbelief. What kind of strange power is this? Why can a person float for no reason? Even in a world filled with spiritual energy, this is extremely rare. The new Immortal King hoarsely tried to ask a question, but his throat was tightly strangled, making it difficult to breathe and unable to make a sound. Even more bizarrely, the new Immortal King suspended in midair was repeatedly struck with loud slaps. A slap on the left, a slap on the right, the sound of smacks echoed, and his cheeks turned bright red. If it weren't for the hand tightly gripping his neck, he would have been knocked away long ago. Although he was a 4th-level Eternal Realm powerhouse, he was as fragile as a chick before the desire-extinguishing demon god, lifted by one hand and beaten at will. The desire-extinguishing demon god looked at these people playfully as they anxiously looked around, unable to find the culprit, and slapping them became a source of amusement. The new Immortal King knew that although the attack was powerless, it was extremely humiliating. Being beaten like this and still unable to find the reason must be the work of an enemy too powerful for him to imagine. The first suspect he had in mind was the desire-extinguishing demon god. As clever as he was, he immediately saw through the truth. Unfortunately, understanding was useless. He was nothing more than a fish on a chopping board. No, the fish on the cutting board could still struggle a few times, but he was already completely limp, only able to endure the slaps. After playing for a while, the desire-extinguishing demon god grew bored and turned to study new techniques. Invisibility technique was indeed powerful. He had long severed the limbs and tendons of the new Immortal King, turning him into a corpse at his mercy. The nearby bodyguards had already been slain one by him. Only one toy is needed, especially this one, which is the most suitable. He treated the new Immortal King like a doll, fiddling with him at will, sometimes twisting, sometimes posing, fully displaying a playful attitude. He shyly adjusted the posture, occasionally gently tugging his hair, hesitating whether to tie a little braid for him like those little girls. However, he glanced at the new Immortal King's short hair, less than 2 inches long, shook his head, full of regret. In fact, Ling Xiao was not so perverse in the past. The current him is completely influenced by the essence of the desire-extinguishing demon god. He erased all memories, firmly believing that he himself is the desire-extinguishing demon god. Past experiences and habits still haunt his subconscious. Even though his body now has a different chip, his preferences have not changed. Perhaps, those who have experienced such brutal events all become bloodthirsty. Poor Ling Xiao, when he wakes up and recalls this history, will surely find it cruel and disgusting. But no matter what the future holds, right now, he truly feels that he is having an incredibly good time. If he really treats this beautiful doll in front of him as a toy, his obsession would be enough to make those around him suspect that he never had a childhood. However, no one here dares to question him, nor do they dare to criticize his behavior. They even blindly worship him, firmly believing that everything he does is right. This fervent obsession had already spread among his subordinates. No one opposed it. He delved deeper and deeper, sinking further and further. He was just getting into it when suddenly a mechanical voice sounded. Ding! Detected that the host has mastered the advanced usage of spatial elements, patching the spatial element vulnerabilities. Ding! Starting vulnerability scan. Ding! Scan complete. 560 billion vulnerabilities detected. Repair now? A long silence followed. This voice had appeared before, but this was the first time it spoke for so long and required him to make a choice. The amnesiac Ling Xiao had no idea what this was. He hesitated, offering no response. The system voice repeated over and over. Ding! Scan complete. 560 billion vulnerabilities detected. Repair? Ding! Scan complete. 560 billion vulnerabilities detected. Repair? Ding! Scan complete. 560 billion vulnerabilities detected. Repair? Finally, amidst the constant urging, he tentatively spoke a word. Repair. Ding! Repair command successfully issued. Beginning repair. Ding! Repair completed. Repair target. Spatial element. Compatibility increased by 200%. Power increased by 400%. Rarity increased by 1000%. Ling Xiao carefully felt it. Although he didn't understand the meaning of the system and repair, he could clearly sense the subtle changes in the spatial element within his body. He couldn't quite explain where the difference lay, but it made him feel stronger and more in control. In the past, using spatial abilities was like fighting in an arena, arduous and difficult. Now, manipulating space was as natural as breathing or drinking water. Every breath contained even greater spatial power. If he were to open a spatial rift now and throw an enemy inside, the distorting power of the space within would be enough to instantly crush them into a pulp. Obviously, this mysterious voice comes from a powerful existence. Although Ling Xiao has lost his memory, he has not lost his judgment. He knows that the treasure in his hand is priceless. With it protecting him, his path of cultivation gains an additional solid safeguard. His heart, silent for 1,000 years, finally stirs once again. Divine artifact. Peerless divine artifact. Thinking of this, he suddenly struck with a palm, killing the fallen new immortal king beside him, fearing any sign of weakness. Then, with a flash, he returned to the main battlefield. The demon race had already achieved a great victory. He glanced around, seeing no need for his concern, and then turned to leave. In Ling Zhao's perception, he was the very destruction-desired demon god himself, always living here, a member of the demon race. It had been over 100 years since entering the secret realm. For a century, he had devoted himself wholeheartedly to the heavens. The demon clan was deeply trapped in the post-war situation, plotting the grand plan for ruling after the destruction of the heavenly demon clan. Yet Ling Zhao could never integrate into it. Deep within his soul, he clearly knew this was not the clan he belonged to. Every time he completed a task, he would leave eagerly, never willing to stay a second longer, only longing for peace. This time was no exception. After victory, he ignored the aftermath, turned around, and left, intending to focus on studying his spatial power. He was secluded in the space he had created when suddenly the system alarm blared. Ding warning. Space anomaly, instability, imminent collapse. The alarm grew more urgent with each repetition, and the cold mechanical voice carried a sense of urgency. Ling Zhao sensed violent turbulence in the surrounding space, calm on the surface but with hidden currents surging beneath. He had already mastered the spatial elements to the utmost degree, yet the intensity of the current spatial fluctuations was unprecedented, as if the entire world was about to tear apart at any moment. With his heart tense, Ling Zhao quickly condensed all his energy into a golden shield, enveloping himself within. All mobilizable elemental forces converged to build an indestructible barrier, ready to face this catastrophe. Soon, the spatial rift spread like a spider web, intertwining and overlapping one after another, as if tearing the sky apart and shaking the entire universe. The once calm and vast space resembled a giant piece of glass about to shatter, with cracks spreading and fragments of the sky falling like shards. This falling was not truly downward but a visual illusion. The fragments intertwined as they collapsed, and the ground fragments actually flowed upward, as if heaven and earth had been turned upside down. Immediately after, a deafening energy shockwave erupted, its force beyond description, as if billions of stars and planets exploded simultaneously, releasing ultrasonic and infrasonic waves, accompanied by intense nuclear fusion and fission reactions. Blazing flames soared into the sky, their intense light only highlighting the profound darkness, a darkness so deep it blinded the eyes, as if devouring all light. In an instant, all things were utterly destroyed. Ling Zhao stood alone, in a place far from the major star systems, with no other figures in sight. He did not know how brutal the demon clan's current situation was, but it was certainly far from the calmness before him. He forgot that this world is nothing but an illusory dream, and those people exist only as illusions. Only he can feel the collapse of this space. The world and all beings are simultaneously perishing at this moment. Perhaps, this is also a kind of luck. They do not have to endure this endless pressure and terrifying disaster, forever remaining in the moment of victorious glory. The spatial collapse is extremely intense, releasing terrifying energy. Even though Ling Zhao has set up multiple layers of protection and is using all his strength, he is struggling to hold on at this moment. The outside roars and explodes, shaking his eardrums to the point of bursting, as if trying to turn him to ashes. The shield gradually thinned, energy continuously dissipating, the layers of defense fading away. The rate of collapse slowly weakened, not because the external force lessened, but because the center of the shield grew stronger, each layer resisting and consuming immense energy, buying him precious time. Two powerful energies collided with each other. Ling Zhao exerted all his strength, holding on to every second, not allowing himself to be distracted even for a moment. Time seemed to stand still, and finally, the explosion sounds from outside gradually subsided. He remained vigilant, waiting quietly until he was certain the disaster was completely over. He was finally safe. The last layer of the protective shield slowly descended. Now, the shield had less than 1% remaining, but it had at least blocked the fatal blow. He had exhausted all his strength and could barely stand. Just now, he had been forcing himself to endure without feeling it, but the moment he hit the ground, his heartstrings snapped with a loud crack, and he fell straight down like a kite with a broken string. He let himself lie heavily on the ground, quietly sleeping for a long time. Memories slowly returned. He remembered himself, Ling Zhao, not that desire-extinguishing demon god that was just an illusion, a nightmare. Looking around, everything was devastated. This is the demon clan's library. He has returned. He was not ejected by the space, but the space exploded. Why did it suddenly explode? Where is the extinction-desired demon god? Questions surged like a tide in his mind, but he was too exhausted to even move, only wanting to bury himself in sleep for 1,000 years. He simply lay down and slept peacefully, thinking that no matter how big the matter was, he would deal with it when he woke up. It had been a long time since he had slept for such an extended period. After cultivation, his physique was noticeably different. He no longer needed deep sleep and only required a brief light nap during the day. Upon waking again, the destruction demon god and the annihilation demon god were standing before him. The destruction demon god said coldly, "The demon clan's grand election is about to begin, and everyone is waiting for you. We didn't expect you to be found dead asleep in the library." The annihilation Annihilation Demon God also said, "We thought something had happened to you and hurriedly came looking. We never expected to find you here." His words were filled with disdain. Ling Xiao responded lightly, "I just dozed off for a moment and almost missed something important. Don't worry, I'll be there right away." He remained silent for the time being regarding the secret realm and the desire-extinguishing demon god. He still harbored caution towards the destruction demon god and the annihilation demon god. After all, having slept for so long and regained his physical strength and energy, he also wanted to test the gains from the secret realm and move his limbs a bit. It must be said that the guidance of the desire-extinguishing demon god was vivid and effective. He not only mastered the long-desired spatial element, but his martial skills and abilities also advanced to a new level. He even gained new insights, mastering the use of more elements. The secret realm journey was full of rewards. The only regret was that the space suddenly collapsed. It was unclear what had happened, and whether the desire-extinguishing demon god had completely dissipated. If he could have stayed longer, perhaps he could have obtained more inheritance. Ling Xiao sighed deeply. Feeling depressed, going to compete turned out to be a good choice. Finding some demon disciples to beat up thoroughly helped release my emotions. It seems that not only the abilities but also this peculiar habit of liking to fight were inherited from the desire-extinguishing demon god. For these few demon gods, arriving at the competition site took no more than the blink of an eye. As soon as the three appeared, all eyes instantly focused on them. Whether it was the younger generation of the Tianma clan participating in the competition, or the demon gods who had endured millions of years, the young people, having heard that a super genius had arrived to compete for the right to cultivate the Tianma flowing spirit / were all nervous and excited. The demon gods harbored reverence and complex thoughts, because this person was very likely the reincarnation of the primordial demon god. Everyone had their own ulterior motives, their eyes full of scrutiny and probing. Ling Xiao felt an inexplicable annoyance but kept a calm expression on the surface. The destruction demon god stepped onto the podium, his voice infused with magic clearly resonating throughout the venue. "All participants are present. The auspicious time has arrived. The demon clan grand election officially begins. Competition rules: no harm to the lives of opponents is allowed. There are no restrictions on competition means, tools, or methods. I hope everyone gives their all. The competition officially begins. Elimination format: 11 contestants paired in twos, opponents decided by drawing lots. Winners advance, losers are eliminated. 11 tags appear in the air, rotating, colliding, and intertwining under magical power. The 4 demon gods manipulated the tags, stirring the magic, and the order was completely disrupted. Tags flew towards the contestants, landing steadily in front of them. Ling Xiao reached out to take the tag, slowly unfolding it, revealing a bright red mark. The destroyer god announced coldly, "Out of 11 tags, 10 have marks. Those of the same color form a group. The competition will proceed in the order of red, orange, yellow, green, and cyan." Ling Xiao remained calm in his heart. The first battle was his to fight. He was very familiar with these opponents, and the outcome was already decided. The strong, regardless of the rules, will ultimately stand at the peak. This is an eternal truth. He stepped onto the arena, quietly waiting for his opponent. After a moment, a young man in black clothes slowly ascended the stage, hands behind his back, his brows full of anxiety and resentment. Ling Xiao looked closely. The young man's face showed a faint anger, but it seemed he did not recognize him, which only fueled the young man's rage. The young man suddenly unleashed a fierce move, directly aiming at Ling Xiao's forehead, full of murderous intent, showing no mercy. This rude attack instantly provoked Ling Xiao's anger. He originally did not want to cause harm, but since you are so overbearing, don't blame me for being rude. Ling Xiao returned a palm strike, heavily slapping the young man's chest. The other hurriedly turned to block. At that moment, Ling Xiao withdrew his hand and delivered a fierce kick to the opponent's abdomen. The boy immediately bent over, clutching his stomach, unable to bear the pain as this move was executed without any restraint. The young man shouted angrily, "I underestimated you when you beat me like that 2 days ago. Today, I absolutely will not lose to you. I will show you real strength." Ling Xiao frowned slightly, suddenly remembering, this is that arrogant kid who was soundly beaten by him a few days ago. His memory was blurry because he had spent 100 years in an illusion, with neither his identity nor memories truly his own. His real memories felt like they belonged to another world. No wonder he couldn't recall them for a while. The young man recovered very quickly. Previously, his injuries were severe, and he was covered in blood, but now he was full of vigor and vitality. Returning to the arena, that destroyer demon god really does favor the native juniors of their clan. Back then, he clearly hit hard but avoided vital points, leaving only superficial wounds. He will definitely use rare treasures to heal, recovering fully in 2 days, then come back to settle the score with me. He was protecting Ling Xiao that day, which is why he held back. Now you still dare to barge in. You deserve the suffering. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao sneered coldly, bringing 2 fingers together as demonic energy gathered at his fingertips. The young man, seeing this, was unconcerned and roared as he charged forward, ready for close combat. This was exactly what Ling Xiao wanted. At the moment the opponent sprinted, Ling Xiao used the power of space to flash behind him, teleporting instantly. The magic concentrated at the fingertips sliced through like a blade, immediately causing a blood hole to bloom at the waist. Ling Xiao showed no mercy, repeatedly stabbing with his fingertips, thrusting like needles and swords. The back was pierced with blood holes densely scattered, resembling a honeycomb. The young man trembled violently from the blows, finally being knocked down, motionless like a corpse. The nearby demon god was stunned, and the destruction demon god quickly stepped forward to stop it. No life-threatening injuries are allowed in the match, no violations. The destruction demon god stared at his son on the ground, covered in blood holes with blood continuously flowing out, feeling a sharp pain in his heart. His son had been intelligent. Since childhood, a standout of the new generation. He had spoiled and indulged him but never taught him how to avoid danger. He never expected him to end up in such a state today. His gaze toward Ling Xiao suddenly turned icy cold, even filled with intense hostility. Though he did not say it aloud, in his heart he was deeply engraved with the thought, my son's injuries are all because of you. If he were not wary of Ling Xiao's formidable strength and possible identity as the reincarnation of the primordial demon god, he would have already crushed Ling Xiao into a blood mist with a single palm. Suppressing his anger, he announced coldly, this battle is over, you win. Ling Xiao was mentally prepared long ago, yet he had no regrets. The relationship between the destroyer demon god and 383 was always distant. His son had provoked him multiple times, and today he even started the fight with a deadly move, determined to put him to death. The son was in mortal danger, and he intervened just in time. If that palm strike had killed him, how could he have heartlessly avenged himself by killing his own son? Absolutely impossible, since the son had become an enemy, standing on the opposite side, and was exceptionally gifted with a bright future. Keeping him alive was like planting the seed of a powerful enemy for himself. Although confident in suppressing him, why invite trouble? Why spare the enemy's life and let him cause chaos right before his eyes every day? Since you chose to fight desperately, it is only natural to be killed if your skills are inferior. No one owes anyone anything. Ling Xiao's gaze was sharp as a torch, staring directly at the destruction demon god, showing no fear. If the crowd were compared to a fierce pack of wolves, he would be the most ferocious among them. His firm and stern aura even shook the destruction demon god, causing his evaluation of him to rise sharply. After all, to judge a person's strength, one must not only look at external skills but also at their character. Such a decisive and ruthless genius, unafraid of challenges, is extremely formidable. He withdrew the fleeting thought of taking revenge, feeling it was not worth making an enemy over such a trivial matter. He thought to himself, forget it, my son did indeed offend the wrong person. It's okay to suffer a little loss, if it means completely offending Ling Xiao, that would be losing the bigger picture over something small. He said coldly, the next round, continue the competition. The matter ended there. After several consecutive battles, Ling Xiao's interest was minimal. Although these demon clan prodigies were strong, in his eyes, they were still not impressive enough, especially after experiencing the guidance of the desire-extinguishing demon god in merging the power of space. Ling Xiao felt a qualitative change in his strength. In the past 2 days, his strength has leapt forward, no longer just a simple increase in cultivation, but a transformation in perspective and realm. In the past, he moved giant stones with brute force. Now it seemed as if he had found the lever and fulcrum, using minimal force to pry the giant stones. He could amplify his own strength by 10 million times. After leaving the ruins, he had advanced to the third level of the Divine King realm, and with his amplified strength, his combat power was comparable to the terrifying first level of the immortal realm. If the demon gods of the demon realm knew, they would never let him participate in this boring demon clan competition. There is simply no younger demon who can match him, and even among the ancient monsters 1,000 years old, only a few can contend with him. A genius is a genius. No one can match his speed of cultivation. This is also why geniuses always hide their true strength, playing the fool to deceive others. Ling Xiao originally intended to sit quietly and observe the next battle. He watched the fight while waiting for the next round to begin, but found that things were not going as smoothly as he had expected. He had fought that kid for less than 10 minutes, and the outcome was already clear, even severely injuring the opponent. But the remaining demon clan talents were evenly matched, with fierce clashes and constant shifts between offense and defense, neither side able to gain the upper hand. This contest turned into a true war of attrition, with both sides exchanging blows. Whoever faltered first would be defeated. Compared to the fast-paced, life-or-death battle just now, the pace here was much slower. Although the audience was entertained, the time dragged on endlessly. He couldn't learn anything from these confrontations, so he simply left the arena, planning to find a quiet place to integrate the various skills he had brought back from the illusion. The illusion was extremely draining. He slept for a long time, and upon waking, he was immediately pulled into another match, leaving no time to properly digest what he had learned. Without hesitation, ignoring the gazes of the demon gods, he turned and left the arena in public. The demon gods exchanged glances, feeling that this kid was arrogantly disrespectful respectful, disregarding the spectators, ignoring his opponents, and acting as if no one else mattered. Shortly after he left, the third match was fiercely underway. A man dressed in gray, with slightly long hair covering his eyes, took advantage of his opponent's guard and suddenly struck the opponent's crown with a fierce palm. The opponent's whole body convulsed violently, movement stiffened, and was then suppressed under the palm. Moments later, the opponent collapsed weakly to the ground, and the originally black hair instantly turned snow white. This astonishing scene drew whispers among the demon gods. Black Fong has been incredibly powerful lately, easily defeating Niu Wei. He truly is the most outstanding genius of our demon clan's generation. Heya on stage did not say a word, and after the victory, he did not stay but went straight off the stage. Ling Xiao did not know where to find peace, and ultimately chose the library. Although it is a public area, few people have been seen coming here in recent days. The demon race has a long lifespan and has already gone through all the books, with little novelty left. Only he, who has just awakened his demon bloodline, still needs to use this place to search for information and improve his skills. Returning here, he felt the flow of spatial elements within his body, as if he had grasped the pulse of the entire world, clearly seeing the gaps and intersections where spaces overlap. He even entertained a wild idea: if he could find the cracks between worlds, could he travel to a parallel world and catch a glimpse of another Ling Xiao? Would that version of himself be the same as he is? The fissures are mostly small spaces, with one particularly obvious one marking the boundary between the library pavilion and the demon realm domain. In his eyes, space transformed into points, lines, and planes, seemingly able to be freely disassembled and reassembled. The mystery of spatial elements is truly exciting. This means that the use of space goes far beyond what he currently knows. If he studies it diligently, he might be able to create even more marvelous techniques. For example, trapping an enemy in the gap between two spaces and squeezing them to death, or alternatively, not killing but confining the opponent in an isolated space that they cannot break out of, cutting off all vitality. Such skills are undoubtedly deadly weapons. From now on, anyone who dares to provoke him will be thrown directly into the desolate star system to fend for themselves. The competition seemed to be proceeding faster than he had anticipated. He had just sat down when he felt a surge of magical power summoning him. It was the magical signal left by the destructive demon god from earlier, afraid of losing track of him, deliberately staying nearby. The bracelet seemed to indicate that the first round of the competition had ended, and the second round was about to begin, as if calling him back. Ling Xiao originally didn't want to go, but the thought of easily obtaining the high-level martial skill Heavenly Demon Flowing Slash immediately changed his mind. It wasn't difficult at all, and the benefits were huge, practically better than a supermarket discount. He flashed and arrived at the competition arena. Just now was the round of 11 to 6, with one person having a bye. Now the 6 contestants were perfectly matched for 3 duels. The 3 winners would enter the finals, or a free-for-all would determine the ultimate victor, who would earn the right to cultivate Heavenly Demon Flowing Slash. The second round was again decided by drawing lots. This time, Ling Xiao drew the red lot again and went onto the stage without hesitation. Soon, the opponent also stepped up. Strangely, he felt that as soon as the opponent appeared, the expressions of the demon gods in the audience became subtle. Could it be another top expert this time? He carefully sized up his opponent, tall and slender, somewhat lean, very much like what earthlings often call a beanpole guy, looking weak and frail. His long hair was messy, covering his eyes. He looked down with a sideways glance, carrying a hint of cold cunning, yet his overall demeanor was gentle and harmless, like an otaku obsessed with the two-dimensional world. Ling Xiao knew not to underestimate appearances. Many had been harshly proven wrong by judging others by their looks, and he would never make the same mistake. But he was confident in his own strength. At the immortal realm, third layer, almost unbeatable. Even if the opponent was strong, it would only require a bit more effort. Demonic energy surged in his palm as he prepared to strike, but suddenly he sensed something unusual. He had precise and meticulous control over the demonic energy, able to sense the flow of every strand of it. At this moment he clearly felt the demonic energy around him stirring restlessly, as if trying to break free and flee into the opponent's embrace. This sensation was unprecedented. The opponent had never before triggered such a reaction. He was shocked in his heart. The Tianma clan truly harbored hidden talents. This young man actually mastered demonic energy control beyond ordinary imagination. He did not attack immediately. Instead, he withdrew his demonic energy and focused his mind to observe. He guessed that the opponent might have a cultivation technique or weapon capable of absorbing demonic energy. If he attacked rashly, it would instead replenish the opponent's strength, making them stronger the more they fought, which was by no means a wise move. He inferred that the opponent was accustomed to a passive approach, conserving energy, and even deliberately getting injured to lure attacks. This time, Ling Xiao would not let the opponent succeed. He condensed all his demonic energy and spiritual power, standing firmly on the arena. The opponent also stood quietly, and neither side made the first move. The rare calmness stunned both the watching demon gods and the contestants. Since when did the demons learn such hypocritical politeness like humans? The two stared at each other, locked in a stalemate for a full 3 minutes, until the other party grew impatient and took the the initiative. Fingers forming a palm, slowly reaching toward Ling Xiao's head. Unlike the fierce claw strikes of other opponents, his movement was gentle, as if he only wanted to steadily place his hand on the head. Ling Xiao was puzzled. Could it be that they wanted to scoop out my brain? Ling Xiao's confusion didn't last long before he suddenly understood the other party's intention. As that hand slowly approached, he felt a tremendous force quietly emerging. Suction. This suction is unusual. It is ethereal, does not draw on physical objects, carries no wind, does not disturb space, only devours demonic energy and spiritual energy. No matter how strong the suction, it cannot be perceived by ordinary people. It is like a magnet attracting steel. No matter how strong, it does not affect humans. Ling Xiao quickly retreated, dodging the incoming strike. He knew clearly that most of the opponents who defeated him were exhausted by this strange cultivation technique. His speed and strength were not top tier. His strongest weapon was this insidious suction technique. Ordinary people cannot manipulate magical power and spiritual energy as precisely as he can, nor sense this strange force from a distance. This made the opponent relax and approach for close combat, playing right into his hands. A war of attrition was a deadly trap for them. A battle between geniuses is inherently a war of attrition to exhaust the opponent and win. Ling Xiao felt his blood boiling all over. He hadn't encountered such a strong enemy in a long time. He was preparing to charge, engaging in fierce combat with the opponent for hundreds of rounds, freely unleashing his strength. But this time, he didn't intend to fight with spiritual power or demonic energy. Instead, he wanted to teach this guy a lesson with his iron body, to make him understand what it means to know your place and that social rules cannot be broken. Just as he was about to strike, a system prompt suddenly sounded in his mind. Ding, detected the aura of the demonic artifact Black Starstone. Ding, identifying. Result, low-grade Black Starstone has been claimed and fused with the target. This news made Ling Xiao extremely excited. That's right, he had also obtained a piece of Black Starstone a few days ago, the treasure brought by that little boy. Unexpectedly, this low-grade Black Starstone had such astonishing power. The opponent, relying on just one piece, saw their combat strength soar after fusion. If his own piece could exert such power, it would be a huge windfall. This joy diluted his tension towards the formidable enemy. He decided to cherish this round, neither seeking a quick victory nor rushing, but carefully studying the mysteries of the Black Starstone. So, he no longer hurried into battle, but like a cat toying with a mouse, began a Black Fang chase. When Black Tooth attacked, he quickly retreated. When Black Tooth retreated, he pursued relentlessly. When Black Tooth had no opportunity, he created one. After more than a dozen rounds back and forth, the opponent finally realized he was being played with and didn't take him seriously at all. Even the usually mild-tempered, lazy Black Tooth couldn't help but feel angry. He had never encountered such contempt. His attacks grew increasingly fierce. Ling Xiao clearly felt that the suction force, which was originally only noticeable within half a meter in close combat, could now be felt 2 meters away, with the demonic energy surging like a tide, as if about to engulf him. It seemed that the suction power was proportional to the user's skill and pushing force. Ling Xiao made a mental note and continued to test. The opponent began to take things seriously, and the battle was no longer easy. Heya mistakenly thought Ling Xiao feared close combat and lacked strength, so he crazily closed in, regardless of the consequences. He constantly blocked Ling Xiao's retreat. Whenever Ling Xiao tried to dodge, he was always cut off in advance. For a moment, no matter how agile the movements were, they all became meaningless. Two top geniuses had turned into a game of cat and mouse, with neither side getting hurt for a long time, which seemed somewhat childish. The onlookers were all stunned, as if watching two people playing around. Every time Ling Xiao retreated, his escape routes were blocked, leaving him nowhere to hide. With a helpless smile, he had no choice but to face the enemy head-on. He still refused to go all out, carefully controlling every move and technique, evenly matched with the opponent, but not easily releasing his magic power. One word, wear down. He spared no effort in using skillful force, each move leveraging minimal effort to achieve maximum effect, avoiding the heavy blows and dodging lightly, sometimes hiding here and there, like a nimble three-wheeled electric vehicle weaving through the streets, making the opponent stomp in frustration. Black Fang was finally worn out, roaring angrily as his magic power surged wildly, layers of strange translucent black mist pouring out. The onlookers outside were puzzled, holding their breath and staring intently. They thought he was just chanting like the others, preparing to unleash a powerful move. But as his opponent, Ling Xiao felt it most vividly. It was like a huge ferromagnet suddenly appeared, and he was just one of the countless small iron pieces, wires, or needles, whatever they were, being irresistibly pulled toward it. The stronger the magnetic force, the more Ling Xiao tightened every strand of demonic energy within his body, not allowing a single bit to leak out. At this moment, he was like an iron box sealed with pure demonic energy, unbreakable. As everyone knows, two magnets will attract each other even if there is an object between them, firmly clamping the object in the middle. At this moment, Ling Xiao was in such a state. The demonic energy was locked tightly by him, but his restraint on himself had loosened. From the outside, people only saw him quickly rush toward Heya and pull him into his arms. The stage and the audience fell silent instantly. Ling Xiao and Heya locked eyes, their gazes clashing, awkward, intense. The surface awkwardness could not hide the sudden rise of respect in Heya's Heiya's heart for Ling Xiao. He did not expect this young man to be able to control demonic energy to such a degree. Even when he was closely attracted to him, he could not seize a trace of demonic energy from his body. Heiya understood that the only reason he was able to attract him over was because Ling Xiao had relaxed his guard and simply did not take him seriously. Anger surged. Heiya's fist condensed with rolling demonic power, vowing to blast Ling Xiao flying hundreds of meters and smash him into minced meat. However, before his fist could strike, Ling Xiao suddenly slapped him across the face. Instantly, Heiya's face distorted and trembled. 2 teeth flew out. Blood gushed forth, pitiful beyond words. At this moment, Heiya had become toothless Heiya. His anger intensified, no longer bothering with technique, throwing punch after punch in a wild barrage. This fight no longer resembled a contest among immortals or the stage of the Demon Clan's grand selection. Instead, it looked like a street gang's no-rules brawl, rookies pecking at each other. As the saying goes, hit a person but not the face. Hitting the face wounds one's pride. The face is a person's face, honor. If you hit my face, you are tearing apart my dignity. Although this slap did not cause serious injury, it completely drove Heiya insane. The humiliation endured in just a few dozen seconds might take him a lifetime to heal. He believed that injury, near death, or even life-threatening situations could be willingly accepted. Only humiliation was intolerable. Being treated as a plaything, being chased and tormented, and even being held in someone's arms to be humiliated. A soldier may be killed but must never be humiliated. Black Tooth was burning with rage, carrying the dignity of a man, unleashing a wild and chaotic assault without any strategy. Winning or losing the match no longer mattered. Dignity was all he had left. This played right into Ling Xiao's hands. Black Tooth fell into a frenzied, mistaken rhythm, abandoning his own advantages. Ling Xiao felt a secret thrill in his heart. As expected, a genius is not only physically strong but mentally superior, crushing everything. Everyone will eventually bow before me. This victory is just around the corner. The opponent launched continuous attacks, and Ling Xiaoling skillfully dodged, waiting for the right moment to counterattack by using the opponent's strength. Since obtaining the system's golden finger, Ling Xiao rarely engaged in such pointless war of attrition. He didn't need to at all, as he was already at a realm several levels above ordinary people, able to end the fight in just a few moves. But this time, he actually found the war of attrition interesting. After all, the opponent was the one being worn down, and he felt almost no pressure. This was the easiest and most peaceful battle he had ever fought. It was almost like he was having fun. Clearly the top genius of the demon race, yet he was left in a sorry state by him. The nearby demon gods were also stunned, unable to determine exactly what level Ling Xiao had reached. Heiya's strength was at the 7th level of the Divine King realm. Combined with an invincible secret technique, he could even hold his own against the immortal realm for several rounds. Now, however, he was repeatedly toyed with by Ling Xiao, leaving everyone dumbfounded. No matter how shocked they were, the situation on the field had long since become one-sided. Ling Xiao was fighting with great pleasure. Along the way, he had encountered countless formidable enemies and had long since become numb to their shocked expressions. At this moment, he was about to continue his attack, more precisely, to continue toying with his opponent, when suddenly the system's alert sound rang out sharply. Ding! Detected that the low-grade Black Star Stone is exerting a strong attraction on the host's Black Star Stone. Ding! Do you want to strip and absorb the opponent's low-grade Black Star Stone? Execute? Before Ling Xiao could react, the system immediately reported. Ding! The opponent's Black Star Stone has automatically detached. Ding! Black Star Stone fusion initiated. Ling Xiao was stunned. He hadn't given the order, so why did the system automatically initiate the fusion? What exactly does the system take him for? The system quickly explained. Black Star Stone naturally strong devours the weak. Because the other party was injured, the fusion between the Black Star Stone inside and the host was unstable, regaining autonomous consciousness, detecting the existence of the Black Star Stone King, and actively separating. With the permission of the Black Star Stone King, the fusion automatically began. Host, please rest assured, this fusion has more benefits than drawbacks. After fusion, the quality of the Black Star Stone King will greatly improve, not only enhancing absorption ability but also increasing the intelligence of the artifact spirit and accelerating recovery speed. At this moment, Heiya, lying on the ground, was the most shocked. He felt the energy within him rapidly draining, and the Black Star Stone was detaching on its own. It was his trump card, painstakingly sought after for many years, once helping him sweep through the demon realm. Now, the Black Star Stone severed its connection and coldly distanced itself. Heiya found it hard to accept, trembling all over in pain, yet still forced himself to stand up, desperately trying to control the detachment. All in vain. He didn't understand why this was happening. He exerted all his strength to cultivate blood splattering, yet still gritted his teeth and roared angrily, "No, you can't. You are mine." Ling Xiao sneered twice, fully aware no one could resist the power of the system, not even himself. He witnessed Heiya's spiritual power raging wildly, then gradually calming down, the trembling ceasing. Heiya could no longer sense the presence of the Black Star Stone at all. He understood that he was no longer the top genius of the demon race. What was even more cruel was that he had permanently lost his strongest combat power. Unable to absorb demonic energy, his cultivation speed drastically slowed down. After all, he was never a top-tier genius. Reaching this point was entirely thanks to that Black Starstone. He sacrificed a lot for this. To protect the secret of the Black Starstone, he became silent and reclusive, staying away from others, living in a remote place with no friends. It was the power brought by the Black Starstone that made him strong, that made people look at him with new respect, replacing the previous disdain. He once thought he was the child of destiny, holding a divine artifact. Now it seems, it was all just an illusion. Heaven does not favor him. Glory is merely a stolen mirage. When the dream ends, abilities fade, battered and bruised, defeated by the opponent. He loses everything and laughs up at the sky. Ha 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 ha. He laughs at the merciless fate, laughs at the unfair heavens, and laughs even more at his own helplessness. Amid laughter, blood kept spurting out, his frenzied appearance shocking to behold. The Black Starstone had almost taken away all his support, even his life. It was understandable that he found it hard to accept, but his expression remained bright, clearly no longer willing to continue fighting. Ling Xiao had no intention of further harming him. Since the outcome was decided, it was best to end it there. He turned around, stepped down from the ring, and did not look back. The defeated fell to the ground, with no one to support them. The saying "when the wall falls, everyone pushes it down" is exactly like this. When glorious, everyone praises; when down and out, no one cares. To the victor go the spoils, the weaker pray to the strong. The harsh truth has never changed. Only by being forever strong can one earn respect and be admired by the world. Once strength wanes and falls into the abyss, one becomes the target of trampling by all, and only then can one witness the darkness of human hearts. Ling Xiao firmly resolved in his heart to become stronger. He no longer watched the battle and went straight back to training. People stronger than you are all fighting desperately. Why do you have the right to stop? He returned to the library without hesitation. Even the demon gods acknowledged this place as his base, and they could find him here whether there was something going on or not. Recently, he hadn't been reading much, just felt that this place was familiar, quiet, and an excellent place for cultivation. Sitting down on the ground, he summoned the system once again. System, always online, providing round-the-clock service. Ding, Black Starstone fusion complete. Black Starstone King's power restored by 20%, intelligence restored by 10%. System, what exactly is the Black Starstone? Ding, system analysis shows that the Black Starstone can absorb and convert the spiritual and demonic energy of heaven and earth, as well as various elemental forces. I remember in the illusion, the demon race used the Black Starstone to break the formation, and the attacked area instantly became barren for 1,000 years. Could it be just because the spiritual and demonic energy was absorbed? Ding. According to records, the Black Starstone mentioned by the host is not of ordinary grade. It once accidentally absorbed a small amount of time elements. Therefore, during the attack, it not only absorbed spiritual and demonic energy but also extremely accelerated the flow of time around it. In that instant, the area experienced hundreds of billions of years, and because nothing could withstand it, it became desolate and ruined. Time elements are surprisingly powerful. Even the slightest absorption by the Black Starstone releases a breathtaking force. If that stone can absorb time elements, could other elements do the same? Ling Xiao's agile mind quickly made the connection. After the system's brief explanation, he immediately took action, preparing to summon the Black Starstone for a try. In the next moment, the Black Starstone appeared in his hand, larger and rounder than last time, with a deeper color, looking more refined. Even without knowledge of jewelry or gemstones, one could sense its value. The texture is smooth and rounded, as if such a perfect stone would never be encountered again in this lifetime. He couldn't help but fiddle with it, playing with it enough before starting the experiment. First, he gathered some destructive elements concentrated in his hand and placed them around the Black Starstone King to test whether it would absorb them. No matter if the elements approached or if the stone was directly thrown into the elements, the Black Starstone remained motionless, showing no signs of absorption. What does this mean? That low-grade Black Starstone from Heya actively absorbs the opponent's abilities to enhance itself when it sees its master fighting. So why does this one of mine act like a useless piece? If he hadn't just seen it absorb another similar stone with his own eyes, he would have suspected this thing was just a decoration. Trying this and that, switching hands and places, it still showed no reaction. Ling Xiao was so angry he almost smashed it. He summoned the system again. Didn't you say it could absorb elemental power? What's going on now? This Black Starstone is indeed powerful, but the cost is equally great. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been so easily forcibly tamed by the host, compelled to acknowledge its master. It already possesses its own soul and consciousness. This spirit artifact was severely damaged, with both its intelligence and physical form seriously impaired, making the chances of awakening extremely low. When you tamed it, it was probably the first time it had awakened in thousands of years, and it was extremely weak. Forcing it to acknowledge a master caused it secondary harm, further depleting its body and plunging it into a long coma. Just like a person falling into a deep sleep, unable to feed or swallow on their own, it has also lost the ability to absorb energy again. Previously, it could absorb another magic stone because that stone shared the same origin, making it easy to integrate, and that Black Starstone willingly merged, so it went smoothly. The system's explanation made Ling Xiao roughly understand. Before it recovers, he simply cannot use it. He helplessly ruthlessly put away this treasure, having no choice but to let it slowly repair itself. Unable to resist, I asked the system again if there was any way to speed up the recovery process. Ding, there is. Don't keep me in suspense, tell me quickly, Ling Xiao asked urgently. Ding, just place it in a place full of energy and use time elements to accelerate the area. This way, it can quickly recover its wear and tear in a short time. Ling Xiao looked at his own hands, almost able to achieve a grand slam, but there was no time element. The system's words sounded hollow and empty, and since he couldn't do it himself, he irritably threw the stone back into the space. Time element, where exactly are you hiding? I will definitely find you, Ling Xiao silently vowed in his heart. He decided to give up for the time being, focus on integrating the spatial element, and continue cultivating. Ding! Host has cultivated for 3 minutes. Demonic energy value increased by 1008.6 billion. Ding! Host has cultivated for 3 minutes. Demonic energy value increased by 1008.6 billion. Ding! Host has cultivated for 3 minutes. Demonic energy value increased by 1008.6 billion. I remember you. Ding! Congratulations to the host for meeting the cultivation standard. Your realm has advanced to the 6th heaven of the Divine King realm. The system prompt sounded. Ling Xiao broke through. He felt the spiritual power surging within his body, every cell containing endless strength. With a casual pinch, it felt as if he could crush a dozen stars. Completely satisfied, the recent cultivation results have been astonishing. The demon realm is indeed an excellent place to improve strength. Coming here, adventures never cease, and power rapidly climbs. After all, even geniuses need resources to accumulate in order to become the strongest. Without resources, no matter how talented, there is no place to show their skills. Since I have arrived in the territory of the Tianma clan, I must take everything I can, maximize the value of 390, and then leave, otherwise, this trip will be all for nothing. Ling Xiao gradually saw the true nature of the demon race, ruthless and ungrateful, fanatically worshipping the strong. The strong enjoy supreme glory, while the weak have no foothold. Even the mightiest, once exalted to the heavens, once they lose their combat power, immediately fall to the bottom of the valley, and no one pays attention to them anymore. This is a race that thoroughly practices the law of the jungle, with no etiquette, no shame, and no morality. They don't even need to disguise it with any moral pretense, openly elevating themselves while stepping on others is their truth. Hopefully, one day, they will not doubt this cruel truth because of failure. Time was almost up. Ling Xiao left the library and rushed to the arena. The tournament had entered the final match's second half, and the outcome was about to be revealed. A white-clothed youth severely injured the feet of a red-clothed youth. The red-clothed youth knelt on the ground, completely unable to fight back. Although his hands could still move, it was difficult for him to exert his strength. The outcome was basically decided. But the boy in red still refused to admit defeat, even though he had reached his limit. He could only stand on the stage and endure, still holding on tightly. The wounds grew deeper, blood continuously flowing from the corners of his mouth, and the ground had long been stained blood red. If it weren't for the demons, there would be no need to clean up the bloodstains like mortals do. This battlefield would probably never be clean. The young man in red finally couldn't hold on any longer, suddenly going limp and collapsing heavily to the ground. His eyelids twitched weakly twice, proving he was still alive, but the rest of his body showed no signs of life. Ling Xiao repeatedly suspected that this demon clan competition was not simply about obtaining the right to cultivate the Tianma Luling slash. These people fought with all their might, exhibiting madness beyond reason. The demons said that no one could master the heavenly demon flowing spirit slash, and deep down, they understood this. They let people continue to practice, simply because they couldn't bear to give up completely, never truly expecting anyone to carry forward this technique. However, these geniuses actually became so powerful, their intelligence and comprehension were clearly extraordinary. So why do they still fight desperately? Even if he falls to the ground on his knees, spitting blood, he must persist. The first two who fought against him met tragic ends. Those who heard about it were heartbroken, those who witnessed it shed tears, yet still refused to give up. Ling Xiao was certain that there was a secret behind this demon clan election. The demon gods deceived him, or did not reveal the whole truth. This was not surprising. These demon gods appeared respectful on the surface, but inwardly they were hypocritical and perfunctory, a behavior they had long been accustomed to. Ling Xiao was used to this situation. If these strangers were truly sincere with him, he would actually feel uncomfortable. After all, who dares to dance with wolves? All answers must be sought by oneself. One cannot trust illusions that are easily offered. Just as he was deep in thought, sudden exclamations rang out around him. His thoughts were awakened, and he looked up at the ring, where the situation suddenly reversed. The white-clad youth, who had originally held all the advantages and seemed certain to win, now lay quietly on the ground, seemingly lifeless. The host, the destroyer demon god, hurried forward to check and found that the boy was not dead but poisoned severely. Without timely treatment, the outcome would be grim. Everyone was stunned, their gazes fixed on the red-clad youth whose face had been beaten beyond recognition. Unexpectedly, even at this critical moment, he still launched a desperate counterattack and turned the game around. Indeed, one cannot judge a book by its cover. Ling Xiao's gaze was fixed on him, sensing the extreme ruthlessness in this person. Using a near-death injury to make the opponent lower lower their guard, then delivering a fatal blow. This ruthless determination against enemies, and even harsher on oneself, is not for ordinary people. This person must be extraordinary, more worthy of caution than others. Open attacks are easy to dodge, but hidden arrows are hard to defend against. Who can remain vigilant forever? Even he, in the situation just now where victory seemed almost certain, could not help but harbor some hope for luck, revealing a flaw. On the battlefield, even the slightest negligence can lead to total disaster. He suspected that this person, besides cultivation, specialized in the psychology of military strategy. The healers in charge of the Demon Clan's grand competition rushed forward, carrying off the two wounded, and began treating their injuries. The destroyer god announced the result. In this round, Mominger wins. Lying on the stretcher, Mominger heard this and showed a mischievous smile at the corner of his mouth. That blood-stained smiling face sent chills down people's spines. In this match, he risked his life almost entirely for victory. The tactic was successful, but if he hadn't timely used his ultimate move, he would have been beaten to death or severely injured beyond recovery. Even if the ultimate move was used, failing to kill in one strike would provoke a furious counterattack from the opponent. The risk was enormous and almost not worth it. The fact that he dared to make such a ruthless move was truly impressive. No matter what means are used to win, the victor ultimately earns respect. Mominger, I've got you remembered. You are my true opponent. I hope you won't disappoint me, Ling Xiao thought to himself. His gaze never wavered until the other was carried out of sight. The knockout round came to an end, and the host, the destroyer demon god, announced with authority, the knockout round is over. 3 contestants remain. Some contestants are seriously injured and cannot continue the competition for the time being. The competition is postponed by 1 day to give everyone ample time to prepare. I hope you all perform at your best to compete for the championship and generous rewards. After finishing his words, he turned and left. The demon gods in the audience whispered among themselves, bets rising and falling, the atmosphere intense. But none of this noise reached Ling Xiao's ears. The noise was like that of a bustling marketplace, with bargaining voices rising and falling, as if one were in an ordinary market rather than a gathering place of demon gods. Ling Xiao focused without distraction, deciding to return to the library pavilion to concentrate on his cultivation and, at the same time, gather intelligence on the Demon Clan's grand competition. The library pavilion had become his second training room. He did not rush to cultivate his physical body but instead opened the attribute panel, preparing to fix the loopholes and enhance his combat power. Attribute sheet. Name, Ling Xiao. Number of repairs, January 14th. Martial Dao Realm, Divine King Realm, 6th Heaven. Divine Soul Realm, Divine King Realm, 6th Heaven. Chi and Blood, 300 trillion quadrillion. 1 point equals 300 trillion kilograms of force. Soul, 300 trillion quadrillion. Secondary profession Grandmaster, 10 types, 14th rank, mid-grade, 0/50 quintillion, legendary level. Skill, Weapon Master, triple principles, 150 times, 0/10 trillion. Law, 2998. Limit domain 480 types. Talent, Undying Divine Body, immortal level, combat power times 5000%. Emperor's Body, heavenly Tao level, blessing times 10 trillion. Void Dragon Body, immortal level, physical body times 2048. Power of Creation, 17th rank supreme, 2999 types. Cultivation method, Will of the Gods, heavenly Tao level, 13th rank fragmented 50,000 times. Demon God Nirvana, 15th rank lower grade. Berserk Absorption, 13th rank upper grade. Heaven Law and Earth Phenomena, 15th rank middle grade, 1000x. Genesis Divine Scripture, 18th rank lower grade. Consciousness Fission, 16th rank lower grade, 5000x. Martial Skill, Death Spear Technique, 15th rank upper grade, 400x. Light of World Destruction, 15th rank middle grade, 300x. Teleportation, 15th rank lower grade, 200x. Heaven Shaking True Spring, 15th rank lower grade, 200x. Demonic Energy and Demonic Martial Analysis, 16th rank upper grade, 400x. Item, Black Sky Battle Armor, 15th rank low grade. Black Sky Demon Spear, 15th rank low grade. Angel Wings, 11th rank supreme grade. Black Star Stone King, unknown, above 17th rank. Physical Combat Power, Immortal Realm, 2nd layer. Ultimate Combat Power, Immortal Realm, 9th layer. A string of cold data, yet it ignited a flame of pride in Ling Xiao's heart. Rapid advancement, multiple layers of realms broken through in an instant. Looking across the vast universe, there are very few geniuses who can crush the demon god at this speed. He should be proud that no one can block his brilliance. I'm not proud. Why should I let those far weaker than me act arrogantly? He chuckled inwardly, determined to take another step forward. His gaze swept over the divine artifacts beside him. The Black Starstone could not be upgraded yet, but the others could improve with his strength. Once legendary weapons now seemed somewhat mediocre. With abundant resources at home, he was chosen by the system as the host and should possess the strongest equipment. Ling Xiao softly called the system, and the divine weapons in his hand gradually appeared. The Black Heaven Battle Armor, the Black Heaven Demon Spear, and the Angel Wings, shining with blazing brilliance, showcasing peak grade quality. His combat power would once again reach a new peak. Zhao's first target was the Black Sky Battle Armor. Defense is the foundation of the battlefield. The current 15th tier low-grade Black Sky Battle Armor was already unable to keep up with his pace. Its defense was as fragile as paper, becoming a burden. He had to upgrade it. Ling Xiao quickly activated the system scan. Ding, scan complete. Item, Black Sky Battle Armor. Grade, 15th tier low grade. Vulnerabilities, 4,566 billion. Repair? Repair. Ding, repair started. Black Sky Battle Armor repair successful. Current grade, 17th grade, mid-level. This upgrade made Ling Xiao smile slightly. Then, he turned his gaze to the Black Sky Demon Spear and the Angel Wings beside him. Starting with the 11th grade top quality Angel Wings. Ding, scanning item, Angel Wings. Grade, 11th grade top quality. Flaw, 6.5 trillion. Repair? Repair. Ding, repair successful. Angel Wings upgraded to 17th rank, low grade. Without hesitation, Ling Xiao immediately targeted the Black Heaven Demon Spear. Ding, scanning item, Black Heaven Demon Spear. Rank, 15th rank, low grade. Flaw, 5.64 trillion. Repair? Repair. Ding, repair successful. The Black Sky Demon Spear is now a 17th grade mid-level item. In just a short moment, the combat power of the three divine artifacts in hand doubled, and their quality soared dramatically. Anyone witnessing this would surely be shocked and pale. A single person actually possessed such rare treasures. Above 17th grade is already the realm of transcending the mortal and entering the saintly, legendary divine artifacts, all now under Ling Xiao's control. For others, this would be a fairy tale. For Ling Xiao, it was just a casual gesture. He was still not satisfied and then set his sights on the strongest Black Star Stone King. Feeling a faint regret in his heart, he asked, "System, is the Black Star Stone King unable to upgrade right now?" The system responded, "Ding, the rank of the Black Star Stone King exceeds the current detection limit of the system, making it impossible to fully analyze the vulnerabilities. Once the host's strength improves, the system will be able to perform a thorough repair. At that time, the power of the Black Star Stone King will surely surge, so the host need not be impatient." After receiving confirmation, Ling Xiao reluctantly gave up on repairing the Black Star Stone King and instead opened his own attribute panel. Attribute panel. Name, Ling Xiao. Number of fixes, 1 out of 14. Martial Arts Realm, Divine King Realm, 6th Heaven. Divine Soul Realm, 6th layer of the Divine King Realm. Chi and Blood, 300 billion quadrillion. 1 point equals 300 trillion kilograms of force. Soul, 300 billion quintillion. Secondary profession, Grand Master, 10 types, 14th rank. Mid-grade, 0/50 trillion. Legendary level. Skill, Weapon Master, Triple Path, 150x, 0/10^16. Rule, 2998. Extreme Domain, 480 types. Talent, Undying Divine Body, Immortal level. Combat power increased by 5000%. Body of the Human Emperor, Heavenly Tao level, blessed by 10 quintillion times. Void Dragon Body, Immortal level. Physical body enhanced 2048 times. Power of Creation, 17th rank supreme, possessing 2999 types of power. Cultivation method, Will of the Gods, Heavenly Tao level, 13th rank fragmented 50,000 times. Demonic God Nirvana, 15th rank lower grade. Berserk Absorption, 13th rank upper grade. Law of Heaven and Earth, 15th rank middle grade, 1000 times. Genesis Divine Scripture, 18th rank lower grade. Consciousness Fission, 16th rank lower grade, 5000 times. Martial Skill, Death Gun Technique, 15th rank upper grade, 400 times. Light of World Annihilation, 15th rank medium grade, 300x. Teleportation, 15th rank lower grade, 200 times. Regretful Tianjin Spring, 15th rank lower grade, 200x. Demonic Energy and Demonic Martial Analysis, 16th rank upper grade, 400x. Items, Black Sky Battle Armor, 17th rank mid-grade. Black Sky Demon Spear, 17th rank mid-grade. Angel Wings, 17th rank low grade. Black Star Stone King, unknown, above 17th rank. Physical Combat Power, Immortal Realm, 2nd layer of Heaven. Ultimate Combat Power, Immortal Realm, 9th layer of Heaven. Looking at the attribute panel with data continuously rising, Ling Xiao felt a wave of calm inside. In this world, only strength speaks. Only by becoming stronger can one survive, earn respect, obtain everything desired, and protect what is loved. He was grateful to possess this power and determined to give his all for it. His gaze once again swept over the other treasures yet untouched. Martial skills and techniques upgrade completed. Ling Xiao quickly calculated that the number of cultivation attempts at his current realm was more than enough. Thus, the assembly line style upgrading work began. Divine Will, Heavenly Tao level, 13th rank shattered 50,000 times, upgrade. Demon God Nirvana, 15th rank lower grade, upgrade for me too. Frenzied Absorption, 13th rank superior. Law of Heaven and Earth, 15th rank medium, 1000-fold. Continue upgrading. Genesis Divine Scripture, cannot fall below 18th rank inferior. Everything he mastered, whether weapons, techniques, or divine artifacts, was fully upgraded. With sufficient conditions, why should he hold back? 2 hours later, Ling Xiao had raised all techniques and martial skills below 17th rank to above 17th rank. Open the attribute table again. Name, Ling Xiao. Training sessions, January 14th. Martial Dao Realm, Divine King Realm, 6th Heaven. Divine Soul Realm, Divine King Realm, 6th Heaven. Chi and Blood, 300 billion quintillion. 1 point equals 300 trillion kilograms of force. Soul, 300 billion quintillion. Secondary Profession Grandmaster, 10 types, 14th rank, mid-grade, 0/50 quadrillion, legendary level. Skill Weapon Master, Triple Dao, 150 times, 0/1 trillion. Number of laws, 2998. Limit domain, 480 types. Talent, Undying Divine Body, Immortal level, Combat Power times 5000%. Body of the Human Emperor, Heavenly Dao level, Strength multiplied by 10 to the power of 20. Void Dragon Body, Immortal level, Physical Body times 2048. Power of Creation, 17th rank Supreme, 2999 types. Cultivation Method, Will of the Gods, Heavenly Dao level, 17th rank Fragmented, 50,000 times. Demon Gods Nirvana, 17th rank lower grade. Berserk Absorption, level 17, low grade. Heaven Laws and Earth Phenomena, 17th rank middle grade, 1000 times. Genesis Divine Scripture, 18th rank lower grade. Consciousness Fission, 17th rank lower grade, 5000x. Martial Skill, Death Gun Technique, 17th rank middle grade, 400x. World Ending Light, 17th rank lower grade, 300x. Teleportation, 17th rank lower grade, 200x. Regretful Innocent Spring, 17th rank lower grade, 200x. Demonic Energy and Martial Analysis, 17th rank middle grade, 400x. Equipment, Black Heaven Battle Armor, 17th rank middle grade. Black Heaven Demon Spear, 17th rank middle grade. Angel Wings, 17th rank lower grade. Black Star Stone King, unknown, above 17th rank. Physical Combat Power, Immortal Realm, 2nd layer. Ultimate Combat Power, Immortal Realm, 9th layer. A satisfied smile appeared on the demon god's face. This is true power. Demons, tremble. The sky was still early, with more than 10 hours until the demon clan competition. Time was precious, so he immediately entered a state of cultivation. Ding, host has cultivated for 1 hour. Mana increased by 168.5 billion quintillion. Ding, host has cultivated for 1 hour. Mana increased by 168.5 billion quintillion. Ding, host has cultivated for 1 hour. Mana increased by 168.5 billion quadrillion. A series of prompt sounds rang out, and Ling Zhao's strength kept rising. At the 10th hour, the system prompt sounded. Ding, host's stats meet the standard. Realm upgraded to Divine King Realm, 8th Heaven. 8th Heaven Divine King Realm, plus a 1000-fold combat power bonus. Ling Zhao's combat power has reached the level of the 3rd Immortal Heaven. In the Demon Clan Grand Competition, he held a sure victory. Not only that, he could even easily kill ordinary supreme gods. This strength intimidated countless powerful beings in the demon realm. Alone, he could simultaneously confront multiple demon gods without any pressure. Ha ha ha, a genius once in 1,000 years. All belongs to me. Ling Zhao laughed heartily, looking up at the sky. His laughter shook the surrounding bookshelves, causing the scrolls to tremble. He hurriedly suppressed his smile, not yet fully accustomed to such overwhelming power. Even his unintentional words and laughter carried world-destroying energy. Fortunately, this place was a forbidden zone jointly created by multiple demon gods, of exceptional quality and incredible stability, which managed to withstand his recent uncontrolled outburst. It would not be an exaggeration to say it could cause mountains to collapse and tsunamis to rise. Countless innocent people would even have their hearts and souls shattered by a single cold laugh from him. This feeling, no matter how you put it, is strange. Time was up. Ling Zhao tidied his robe, and with a determined gaze, hurried towards the arena. Looking around, everyone was already lined up and ready to go, making him the latecomer instead. The air was filled with a tense atmosphere, and every detail highlighted the extraordinary significance of the Demon Clan's grand competition. What was strange was that not only the younger generation fought fiercely, but all the demon lords were present to watch the battle in person. Their realms were lofty, and they should have regarded this match as child's play, so why were they still gathered here? If it were just a few demon lords out of care for the younger generation or a love of excitement, that would be one thing, but over 2,000 demon lords, not a single one was absent. What secret was hidden behind this? Ling Zhao's heart was filled with doubts. The gongs and drums suddenly sounded, using this ancient ceremony to commence the Divine Clan's grand competition, creating an especially eerie atmosphere. The destroyer demon god appeared once again, his voice calm and authoritative. The top 400 elimination round has concluded, and today is the final day. The contestants are Ling Zhao, Ma Mingzhi, and Bai Bin. At the sound of the bell, the free-for-all officially begins. The rules remain the same. Killing is prohibited, everything else is allowed. Available weapons, formations, and even alliances. As long as it leads to victory, no means are spared. The order was given, and the three charged into the battlefield like a sudden storm. The sound of the gong was like the tolling of a death bell, shaking the soul. Ling Zhao's eyes were sharp, most familiar with Ma Mingzhi. In that match, Ma Mingzhi was calm and decisive, earning his silent respect. Bai Bin appeared calm and composed, handling things with ease. His strength was probably not to be underestimated either. Ling Zhao's vigilance sharply increased. He must not underestimate the opponent, as every bit of carelessness weaknesses could be the fuse for failure. The three sized each other up, none making the first move. Everyone understood that the first to act would become the target. Time slowly passes, the air thickens. Suddenly, Ma Mingzhi and Bai Bin exchanged a glance, sparks of alliance flickering in their eyes. They quickly targeted Ling Xiao, clearly intending to join forces to eliminate him first. This strategy is unsurprising. Ling Xiao's unusual identity and sudden rise in strength naturally made him the target of widespread criticism. In any group, those who stand out will inevitably be attacked. But Ling Xiao was already prepared. So what if they form an alliance? A genius is a genius. A strong person is a strong person. What does having more people count for? A body-refining realm expert alone is enough to crush ordinary heroes, let alone the vast gap in their realms. A cold smile curled at the corner of his mouth, and a surge of murderous intent welled up in Ling Xiao's heart. Dare to come, don't blame me for being ruthless. One person comes, kill one. Two people come, kill both. Spare their lives? Impossible. Two people strike instantly, attacking from both sides, closing in on Ling Xiao's side. Ling Xiao remained unwavering, quickly forming hand seals with both hands as demonic energy surged like a tide. Both palms suddenly struck out, hitting the attackers coming from both sides. He didn't need to unleash any flashy ultimate moves, relying solely on basic martial skills and the magical weapon. He was already able to withstand the two opponents. The attacks came in succession, but Ling Xiao blocked each one, pushing them back dozens of meters. If the arena weren't wide enough, the two would have long been knocked off the platform and disqualified. The two stopped in their tracks, their hearts filled with shock. They never expected Ling Xiao to be so powerful. In this moment of stillness, the undercurrents of the battle surged, and the balance of victory quietly tilted. The two's joint assault still carried an overwhelming momentum. Clearly, the strategy of attacking together had worked. If left to fight him one-on-one, the chances of winning were almost zero. With this in mind, the two unleashed their strongest ultimate moves without reservation. Bai Bin took the initiative. Unlike Ma Mingzhi and others who relied on cunning and ruthlessness to reach the finals, Bai Bin's strength was genuine. He was a second-generation pureblood demon, gifted with an extraordinary affinity for demonic energy far beyond ordinary people. Coupled with abundant resources since childhood, his power was terrifyingly immense. If not for encountering Ling Xiao, probably no one in the new generation could match him. The demonic energy beside Bai Bin suddenly changed, quickly condensing into a vortex, with him at the center. Ling Xiao sensed that familiar aura, the destructive element. Strange, isn't the child of the destruction demon god someone else? How could Bai Bin control the element of destruction? No time to think further. Ling Xiao had already made up his mind. He absolutely could not let Bai Bin's plan succeed. He was different from himself. He cultivated 3,000 elements, dabbling in all, but the flaw was obvious. He could not master any one element to the extreme. He couldn't, like Bai Bin, deeply specialize in one element and create targeted attack strategies. But as a top-tier elemental master, once Bai Bin's aura takes shape, his elemental power becomes extremely terrifying. Although he could withstand it, there was no need to fight head-on. He only needed to disrupt Bai Bin's casting rhythm, prevent the attack from being unleashed, and at the same time cause the opponent to suffer backlash. This strategy would be a win-win. Unfortunately, this move was not only thought of by him. The advantage of their combined efforts quickly became apparent. Ling Xiao wanted to disrupt Bai Bin's preparation, and Ma Mingzhi also took action. With the two attacking together, it formed a situation like a mantis stalking a cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Ling Xiao felt irritated, unable to stop sneering. "I'm not using my ultimate move, but you're asking for trouble yourselves." Ling Xiao sneered, his heart restless. Without hesitation, he summoned the space element. The surrounding scene changed abruptly, the three-dimensional space transforming into countless intersecting and overlapping points, lines, and planes. The ring space is small and solid, clearly isolated from the outside world, having undergone special sealing treatment. The fighting moves on the ring cannot affect the audience below, ensuring safety. This is not advantageous for Ling Xiao's attacks. If there were multiple overlapping spaces, he could use the gaps to launch surprise attacks. But now the space is sealed and narrow, with no gaps to exploit. But Ling Xiao was best at facing difficulties head-on, never bound by adversity. If there was no opportunity, he created one. If there was no space, he made space. At his level, carving out a small space was effortless. With both hands gathered, a small rectangular space suddenly appeared on the arena, coffin-shaped, reflecting his determination to send others home. Creating something from nothing, opening a space consumes a great deal of spiritual power and energy. Otherwise, opening a library would require the joint effort of many demon gods, or even the personal involvement of a supreme demon god. The birth of this small space consumed a large amount of demonic energy, but it was absolutely worth it. At this moment, he was not in a hurry to communicate directly with the outside space, but treated it as a physical weapon. Place the small space in Bai Bin's attack path. The attack will inevitably be obstructed, either absorbed or deflected. Regardless of the outcome, it is extremely advantageous to Ling Xiao. The spatial element has been lost for a long time, and many demon gods and their descendants are not proficient in it. For example, Ma Mingzhi does not understand the mysteries of the spatial element at all. He couldn't detect the slightest change in the surrounding surrounding elements and still suddenly unleashed a powerful move, blasting toward that space. Ling Xiao watched that space with great interest and discovered that this time it was actually the second situation where the attack was reflected back along the original path. This is interesting. An excited smile blossomed on his face as he witnessed the attack hit an invisible barrier and instantly bounce back like a spring, striking Ma Mingzhi directly. Ma Mingzhi was caught off guard, his own attack backfiring on him. His face was panic-stricken, and his eyes looked as if they were staring at a monster. Ling Xiao shrugged and said regretfully, "Brother, I didn't hit you, you slapped yourself." After dealing with Ma Mingzhi, Ling Xiao turned his gaze to Bai Bin. Bai Bin was bowing his head, concentrating magical energy, clearly preparing a powerful move, with his formidable aura continuously rising. Ling Xiao knew things were not looking good. Having just dealt with Ma Mingzhi and delayed for a moment, Bai Bin was already close to finishing. Once successful, one is bound to be seriously injured. He raised his hand and struck a palm toward Bai Bin, seemingly about to interrupt the other's ritual, but unexpectedly, the move was instantly triggered. A cataclysmic energy erupted with a roar, surrounding Ling Xiao from all directions. The destructive power was immense and terrifying, as if despair was everywhere, with a suffocating aura of death that overwhelmed people. Even he felt the life and death crisis. He reacted quickly, expending a large amount of magic to form a humanoid small space, wrapping and isolating himself. But the crisis was still not over. The opponent's destructive power had reached its peak and even began to erode the defense of his spatial shield. There is no distinction of nobility among the elements in the world. When cultivated properly, all can be deadly. He had just recently acquired the spatial element, while his opponent's destruction element had been honed through many years of hard training, overcoming countless challenges. In an elemental duel, it was clearly his weakness. Bai Bin and Ma Mingzhi saw this scene and showed expressions of victory on their faces. However, they forgot that this was a case of using one's strengths to attack another's weaknesses. Although Ling Xiao's spatial power was no match for the opponent, space was only a part of his strength. He remained calm and summoned the Black Star Stone King. The surrounding elements seemed to find a home, rushing into the Black Star Stone, dissipating with the demonic energy into the air as if they had never existed. This dissipation accelerated continuously, and it was about to vanish completely. The two were stunned. What kind of sorcery was this? But Heya in the audience was very familiar with it, almost spitting out a mouthful of old blood. This was the absorption power of the Black Star Stone. This Black Star Stone was far stronger than any he had seen before. Its absorption speed and capacity surpassed that stone by more than 10 streets. Recalling his previous experience of having his Black Star Stone stripped and consumed, he suspected the other party was hiding a special treasure that could absorb the magical energy of others' weapons to enhance itself. In fact, from a certain perspective, Heia's guess was incredibly accurate. This was precisely the Black Star Stone King, a level above the Black Star Stone. At this moment, Ma Mingzhi and Bai Bin faced such a situation with heavy hearts, their minds rapidly searching for a strategy. However, they had no clue at all, completely unaware of how the opponent easily countered their combined killing move. If they couldn't even overcome this move, how could they possibly win? Even if this move couldn't be fatal, it should at least have caused the opponent to expend a great deal of energy or suffer serious injury. But the opponent easily deflected it, while the two of them had already exhausted their magic power and suffered heavy losses. Even at their peak, the two could hardly defeat each other, let alone with the injuries from previous matches still not healed. This battle was completely unsolvable. Just like the national football team could never win the World Cup, utterly hopeless. Ling Xiao's movements were fierce, his demonic aura like raging waves, unstoppable with every move and strike. The enemy was shocked deep down. Such a powerful being was no ordinary person. Talent and effort intertwined to forge this invincible figure before their eyes. He remained calm and composed, accustomed to storms and upheavals. As the battle progressed, Ling Xiao's advantage became increasingly apparent. Both on and off the stage, everyone knew the outcome was decided. Ma Mingzhi and Bai Bin fought desperately to resist, but could only delay the footsteps of defeat. A comeback became an unattainable dream. Ling Xiao unleashed a finishing move, the immense power shaking the 16th level superior arena, cracks spreading, the surface beginning to crumble. By this point in the fierce battle, the three were already covered in wounds, blood soaking their battle robes, muscles torn, bones aching faintly. But none were willing to give up. At this moment, victory was too precious. Especially Ma Mingzhi and Bai Bin. Every victory they had won was paid for with blood and tears. Now, with victory within reach, retreat meant certain death. Ma Mingzhi's situation was even more tragic. He was the weakest of the three, yet fought with all his might on the battlefield. His body was covered in wounds, internal organs ruptured, lungs and heart bleeding. Every breath brought excruciating pain, barely managing to stand, his strength depleted, on the verge of collapse. But he was unwilling to give up. His eyes burned with anger, memories of his relatives' mockery and his parents' abandonment flashing before him. This was his only chance to rise. How could he easily give up? He gritted his teeth and sprinted, lunging desperately with ferocity and savagery. Reckless, he was struck by a surge of magic from Ling Xiao, flying backward and crashing heavily, his injuries worsening, making it difficult even to stand. Lying on the ground, coughing up blood, Bai Bin stood nearby. Bai Bin's injuries were were lighter, but his resolve wavered. Born into privilege and never having tasted hardship, his heart began to falter. Years of pride and dignity made it hard for him to admit defeat, even though victory was now out of reach. He looked at the fallen Mominger, then at Ling Xiao, hesitated for a moment, and finally chose to fight once more, giving his all to find a glimmer of hope. Admitting defeat means the invasion of inner demons, affecting future cultivation, and should not be compromised lightly. Ling Xiao watched by Bin's remaining resistance, slightly stunned. The opponent had exhausted all efforts, but to him, it was insignificant. He did not need to use spatial power. With pure demonic energy and martial skills alone, he easily defeated his opponent. Soon, the battle ended. Victory belonged to Ling Xiao, radiant and magnificent, his might shaking all directions. Bai Bin and Mominger were utterly defeated, their faces filled with deep hatred, their eyes fixed on Ling Xiao as if he were the murderer of their father. The security personnel nearby coldly took them away, the air thick with tension and unwillingness to accept defeat. Ling Xiao thought to himself, this Tianma flow spirit truly has such power, driving them to madness, fighting with everything they have yet still refusing to admit defeat. After the battle ended, a group of demon gods quickly gathered around. The destruction demon god who had once favored him kept his distance, anger burning in his eyes. Ling Xiao had injured his own son, creating a deep grudge between them. Ling Xiao sneered, although the destruction demon god was strong, his own growth rate was faster, surpassing him was only a matter of time. Why should he fear the other's rage? Unexpectedly, at such a young age, your cultivation has reached such heights. The hope for the revival of the demon race truly lies with you. The dark demon god smiled smugly. Ha, this time I won the bet, earning a fortune. I want to share too. I say my eyesight is sharp. For a moment, the surroundings were bustling with excitement, filled with laughter and joy. However, Ling Xiao's heart was as calm as still water, a faint smile playing on his lips, tinged with subtle sarcasm. He asked, is it true that the champion of the demon clan's grand competition can cultivate the ancestral ultimate skill, the heavenly demon flowing spirit / The person beside him snapped back to attention. That's right. Many young people come for that move, but what they value more is the wealth and status the competition brings. It's rare to see someone like you come for the invincible technique itself, especially the heavenly demon flowing spirit / no one has ever successfully cultivated it. I advise you not to have too high expectations. The more you expect, the greater the disappointment. This technique is meant for your practice, which already shows that the demon clan does not want it to be lost. For those who come to cultivate, let alone succeed, surviving itself is considered a victory. Ling Xiao felt a tightness in his chest, sensing that things were far more complicated than he had imagined. The technique had no success for thousands of years, so logically it should be utterly absurd. Yet the primordial demon god used it to dominate the ancient universe, slaughtering across battlefields. This contradiction was perplexing. He decided to conduct an on-site investigation first and must not indulge in empty speculation. When can I see the heavenly demon flowing spirit / with my own eyes? He asked. The dark demon god laughed and said, want to see it? You can go right now. That thing is in the library, covered in thick dust. This sentence stunned Ling Xiao. The secret he had been pondering was actually right within reach, yet he had overlooked the library. This further proved that the demon race's attitude towards the Tianma Luling / was far less serious than he had imagined. The ultimate skill of the primordial demon god was just stacked with books, ignored by all. Since there was nothing else to do, Ling Xiao decided to go take a look early, feeling somewhat reassured. He said to the demon gods, let's go, we're going now. I can't wait to see the grandeur of the primordial demon god with my own eyes. The demon gods were not surprised. After all, the legend of the primordial demon god had accompanied their growth, just like every child on earth dreams of the great sage equal to heaven. It was an unattainable existence, like a myth, impossible to touch. But this person before them, could he really be the reincarnation of the primordial demon god? A glimmer of hope ignited in everyone's hearts. If this were true, the revival of the demon race was right before their eyes. This young man would lead them to unstoppable victories, recreating the glory of the demon race's dominance over the heavens during the ancient cosmic era. Just imagining it makes the blood boil and surge. The blood of the demon race flows with the desire for slaughter and possession. They are inherently greedy, craving control over all resources and to trample the entire universe. However, now they are confined within this narrow little universe, unable to explore a broader world. For those with a strong nature of conquest, this is undoubtedly a cruel shackle. Therefore, they valued the hope of revival more than their own lives. Seeing Ling Xiaotian's extraordinary talent, their hearts naturally surged with excitement. The god of darkness laughed heartily. Ha! With your diligence and passionate, sincere heart for cultivation, you will surely break the shackles of heaven and earth and carve out a sky of your own. I look forward to the day when I see you roam the world, unmatched by anyone. Ling Xiaotian was already accustomed to such praise and smiled politely. Thank you for your kind words. He then asked eagerly, can we set off now? Seeing his impatience, the others said no more and turned to lead him straight to the library. Ling Xiao already knew that the secret manual of the heavenly demon flowing spirit / was hidden here, and he could have gone alone. But practicing this technique was extremely risky and required someone to protect him, so he did not dare dare to act alone. Although they possessed the system and countless rare treasures, confidently assured of victory, why waste these resources and energy to explore alone when there were already powerful demon gods as protectors? So, they returned to the familiar library, this time bringing over 100 demon gods. These demon gods were all elites of the demon race, formidable in strength, with several even at the demon god level, their cultivation unfathomable and far surpassing Ling Xiao. The demon race harbored so many strong individuals, attempts to practice the heavenly demon flowing spirit slash had never succeeded, which clearly shows how difficult and dangerous this technique is to cultivate. What kind of mysterious and powerful cultivation technique is this? The more difficult the cultivation, the more mysterious it seems, and Ling Xiao's heart grew increasingly excited. It had been a long time since he faced a challenge, and the thrill of overcoming difficulties made his blood boil. If Momingjer and Baibin heard his Versailles bragging, they would be so angry they'd want to slap him. This is simply high quality showing off, extremely infuriating. They walked past countless bookshelves in the library and finally stopped at the deepest part. Two powerful demon gods stepped out, waved their hands to form hand seals, and cast a master recognition spell. The bookshelf in front of them instantly vanished, revealing an entrance to another space. It seems that the demon race values the Tianma Luling slash far beyond expectations, designating a forbidden area specifically for its separate storage. It is not casually thrown into the sea of books, regarded as discarded. Even with prior searching, this secret place is hard to discover. Although not as sealed as the previous ruins, it remains hidden and hard to see. No wonder Ling Xiao searched through the entire library catalog and never found this book. Upon entering the space, Ling Xiao was startled by how unusually cramped it was. Since joining the demon clan, it was rare to encounter such a confined small chamber. After all, many powerful beings were skilled at creating spaces and disliked confinement. The space was tight, and with so many people, a sense of oppression immediately arose. Ling Xiao shook his head to dispel the discomfort and focused intently on what was before him. The bookshelf looked ordinary, no different from the surrounding components. The only difference was that this area was separately divided into a sealed space, inside which there was only a single bookshelf. It was like others lived in a dormitory, but he enjoyed a private room. There had to be a hidden reason behind this. Ling Xiao reached out, just about to take a book from the shelf to study carefully, when a large hand suddenly blocked him. He abruptly looked up and found that the one stopping him was the Dark Demon God. The Dark Demon God said in a deep voice, "Don't rush, I need to explain a few things first. You must have noticed this space is cramped, unlike the usual style of the demon race. Have you ever wondered why?" Ling Xiao remained silent, his gaze sharp as a torch fixed on him. The Dark Demon God's lips curled slightly. The heavenly demon flowing spirit slash is not something everyone can successfully cultivate. Anyone who has practiced it will achieve a tremendous breakthrough and a sharp increase in strength. This is why it has been preserved for so many years. The cost is that cultivators will fall into a state of frenzied rampage. The power during the rampage far exceeds that appears with the same level of talent, which is a double-edged sword for the demon clan. So we arranged for so many people to guard outside, not just as protectors, but also to prevent the situation from getting out of control. This is a small but sturdy training room condensed with the purest magic power. You must promise to stay here during the training and never leave without permission. If you go berserk, the dark demon outside will immediately step in to suppress you, but will not harm you. The dark demon's words came out in a rapid-fire barrage of warnings, and Ling Xiao nodded in agreement. Both parties eagerly began their cultivation. The demon gods withdrew, leaving only Ling Xiao alone in the confined space. He opened the book scroll, and with a sweep of his divine sense, found the content no different from common cultivation methods. Ling Xiao frowned slightly, unsure where to begin. Relying on experience, he sat cross-legged and began to cultivate. Magic flowed like water, circulating within his body, cleansing every cell and enhancing his strength. Suddenly, the magical energy inside him changed drastically. The flowing magic condensed into sharp blades. The blade glided through the meridians and flesh, yet never ceased flowing, like a living entity, wandering endlessly. The tendons seemed like blocked roads, the blade like a sickle cutting through thorns, fiercely slashing every inch of the soft meridians. Each strike ruthlessly and mercilessly cleaved through flesh and blood. But after the blade fell, spiritual power quickly filled the wound, immediately followed by the next strike. Ling Xiao truly felt countless wounds cracking open inside his body, every corner of his body being meticulously carved and ruthlessly hacked. Wounds healed, hacking came again, cycle after cycle, not a single place in his flesh and blood was at peace. He was shocked in his heart, never having experienced such a fierce cultivation method. Other cultivation methods were all gentle blends of spiritual power, like a small stream flowing into the sea, naturally nourishing and silent. The heavenly demon flowing spirit slash, however, was a massacre of flesh and blood, a purgatory for the body. Ling Xiao gritted his teeth, enduring the pain, suppressing the trembling muscles, forcing himself to withstand the fierce blows coming from within his body again and again. This pain was indescribable. Even the strongest, their internal organs remained soft and fragile. His 5 viscera and 6 bowels were nothing more than mortal flesh. Strong defense was mainly reflected in the skin, muscles, and bones, while the protection of the internal organs was was far less. This is precisely the difficulty of the heavenly demon flowing spirit slash. At the beginning, as during cultivation, the blades inside the body cut through flesh like sharp swords, and the intense pain gradually spread, but although the pain was severe, it never threatened life. However, the demonic energy lingered deep beneath the skin for a moment, seemingly unsatisfied, and began to frantically corrode the internal organs, spleen, lungs, kidneys, liver, all the way to the heart. His body seemed to be repeatedly carved by countless sharp knives, his chest split open, and his internal organs pulled out and hung above the flames to burn. That kind of pain was not only intense agony but also like thousands of ants gnawing, tearing every inch of nerve, causing time to freeze and making each day feel like a year. No wonder all cultivators break down and go mad during this process. Having experienced this madness firsthand, he knew how terrifying it was. If he could endure it, how much more so others? He gritted his teeth, forcing himself to endure, feeling the magic-forged blades sliding through his internal organs one by one, cutting the soft flesh into pieces. He began to try to control these demonic blades to alleviate the pain. This cultivation method was extremely ruthless, yet extraordinarily miraculous. Although the training process was unbearably harsh, the effects were immediate. Ling Xiao felt that the heart, liver, spleen, lungs, and kidneys, which had been sliced by the demonic blades, became stronger after recovery. In a short time, he had already established a faint connection with these demonic blades in his spiritual consciousness. Although he could not yet fully control their direction and force, he knew clearly that these demonic blades belonged to him and were completely different from external attacks. What was even more remarkable was that, although these demonic blades attacked fiercely, they showed no trace of malice. He no longer interfered with the blades' trajectories, merely enduring the intense pain and striving to continue his cultivation. Cultivation is never easy. To surpass others and gain status, wealth, power, and respect, one must endure pain that ordinary people cannot bear and climb to a peak that no one else can reach. Even with system assistance, pain cannot be avoided. He must step on blood and blades step by step, advancing toward the summit to seize that blood-stained fruit of victory. No matter how painful it is, he grits his teeth. This is the courage and responsibility of a man. As time passes by the second, the demons outside shift from calm to shock. Unexpectedly, this time the champion was able to persist for so long. Usually, those so-called geniuses would go mad shortly after starting their cultivation, killing recklessly or wildly unleashing attacks outward to vent their pain. They were already accustomed to this madness, well prepared, and even standing outside without meditating, ready to act at any moment. However, this time Ling Xiao was unusually quiet. There was not a single roar inside the cultivation room, as if it were just an ordinary room where someone was quietly practicing. They dared not be certain whether Ling Xiao had truly found the correct cultivation method, only guessing that he was deeply studying and waiting for the right moment. In any case, since there was no movement, they patiently waited. After all, they had lived for many years and had little else to do, so chatting was quite enjoyable. However, the relaxed atmosphere did not last even a day and a night before gradually dissipating, and everyone's expressions grew increasingly serious. No one had ever been able to cultivate for such a long time while maintaining their sanity. They began to suspect whether Ling Xiao was truly, as the legend said, the reincarnation of the primordial demon god, naturally suited to this cultivation method and possessing unparalleled talent. The demons outside all seemed to have turned into giant stones, staring fixedly at the door of the training room, wishing they could pierce through the walls to peek inside. But the training process cannot be easily disturbed. Even slight interference could cause errors in the cultivation method, resulting in anything from coughing up blood and bodily harm to bursting apart in death. No matter how curious, they could only endure and wait for any sound to come from inside. Inside the cramped training room, Ling Xiao clenched his fists tightly, the cultivation method surging wildly within his body. Time flew by, a full day and night passed, and he could clearly feel every cell being reborn. His meridians were continuously expanding, and each cycle of cellular destruction and regeneration made the power within him increasingly pure. The body no longer burned with pain, instead, it felt as light as a feather, a rebirth like a phoenix rising from the ashes, radiating endless potential. This miraculous cultivation method far exceeded imagination, and Ling Xiao was resolute in his heart. No matter the cost, it was worth it. He did not stop pushing his speed beyond limits, fully aware that this was not the end. Persevere, and there would be even greater breakthroughs. Outside, the excitement of the demon gods gradually subsided. They were convinced the boy had found the right path and was steadily advancing. No one had ever practiced this method for more than 2 days. They were both hopeful and anxious, fearing news of failure. The elder demon gods gathered outside the cramped space, nervous as relatives awaiting the birth of a newborn, their emotions complex and hard to express. On the third morning, the long silence was shattered by an explosion. The cultivation chamber was torn apart by overwhelming demonic power. The space cracked like a container unable to withstand immense force, shattering with a thunderous crash. This was by no means an ordinary structure, but a sturdy space forged jointly by the demon god and the supreme demon god. Without the power of the immortal realm's fourth heaven, it was impossible to break. The demon gods outside were not angry. Instead, they were unusually excited. Only a world-shaking genius could easily burst this the space open. Their eyes gleamed with fanatic light. Could it be that the progenitor demon god has returned? Imagining the revival of the demon race and the scene of ruling the world, the demon gods were almost moved to tears. However, when a figure stepped out from the rift, the air suddenly froze. That person's aura was completely different from that of the demon race. It flowed with the common chi and blood power of humans, not the dark demonic energy. The dark demon god's face darkened, and he said coldly, "You are not of the demon race, you are human." Everyone was stunned. The figure they had thought to be a demon race youth was actually human. Upon closer inspection, the appearance, physique, and strength were all Ling Xiao's, but the race was different. The truth made them furious. Ling Xiao had actually forged demonic bloodline and mastered the ancestral ultimate technique, the heavenly demon flowing spirit slash. Filthy humans, how dare they impersonate the heavenly demon clan? Rage burned in the heart of the demon god, vowing to crush this traitor and defend the dignity of the demon race. Once they cheered for Ling Xiao's talent, but now, because of the bloodline revelation, they instantly turned from friends to foes. Ling Xiao sneered coldly, knowing that human selfishness was far less cruel than that of the demon race. He feared no challenge and was ready to fight. After 3 seconds of silence, the demon group suddenly erupted with dazzling demonic light, and several streams of demonic energy, like arrows piercing through clouds, swiftly shot toward Ling Xiao. Still choosing to stand on the opposite side of himself, then he can't be blamed. With a deafening roar, it seemed to announce the complete break between Ling Xiao and the demon clan. What was laughable was that the more than 100 demon gods before him were originally guards protecting Ling Xiao's cultivation. Now, once he succeeded in cultivation, they had become his enemies. The identity shift, seamless transition, was all because Ling Xiao's bloodline was mixed with human blood. Ridiculous and tragic. Once upon a time, Ling Xiao admired the strength and unity of the demon race. Now, he fully understands, the demon race is stubbornly closed off, lacking progress, refusing to introduce fresh blood, and only stagnates. How can such a race not decline? No matter how strong their power, they ultimately fail to see the great changes of the era and can only be swallowed by the torrent of history. Ling Xiao sneered. He knew the real mistake was the demon race. They mistakenly saw themselves as irreplaceable overlords, unaware that it was they who needed him, not he who needed them. Since the other side chose to betray, he would tear apart this chessboard and expose the cruel reality. Let them know that they are no longer the invincible race that once dominated the ancient cosmos. Stop being arrogant. You don't understand patience and keeping a low profile. The battle erupted, and Ling Xiao quickly summoned the spatial element. At this moment, his spatial element was no longer the coffin-sized trinket from the competition. With a wave of his hand, a massive spatial cage instantly unfolded, trapping over 100 demon gods inside, like a cage forged from steel, unbreakable. The demon gods were shocked beyond belief that the long-lost demonic spatial element was actually controlled by an outsider, and had become a weapon against the demon race. Burning with anger, they attacked frantically, but were repelled by the sturdy spatial barrier, injuring themselves and unable to advance an inch. Ling Xiao sneered coldly, eyes tightly shut, using his spiritual power to manipulate the space, slowly shrinking the cage. His hands formed seals, and the space rapidly contracted, attempting to crush the bodies of over 100 demon gods within the confined space. The demons fought back desperately, but it was all in vain. Their attacks bounced back, hitting themselves, leaving them utterly embarrassed. They desperately used their hands to block the spatial barrier but were powerless to stop the contraction, like ants on a hot pan, struggling with no way out. Ling Xiao looked at them contemptuously, sighing in his heart. This group of powerful demon gods was so helpless in his hands, like infants. Just as he was about to finish, the situation suddenly changed. A demon god unleashed all his spiritual power, integrating a unique elemental technique into his demonic power. The elemental origins of heaven and earth are interconnected, yet they have diverged due to evolutionary branches. At this moment, he stirs the elemental waves, colliding with the spatial elements, causing the spatial barrier to begin to waver, even showing signs of diffusion. Ling Xiao urgently increases his strength, firmly controlling the stability of the space. Both sides fall into an intense tug-of-war over elemental control. To outsiders, the battlefield appears calm and undisturbed. The two main figures, one inside and one outside, close their eyes in concentration, brows furrowed, as if deep in thought. However, the demon gods present all understand that this is a life-or-death struggle. Failure could mean eternal ruin. Even if not defeated, if the enemy manages to break through, it will bring catastrophic disaster. What exactly do they want to do? Please give some applause. Elemental control is a double-edged sword. If used well, it can reduce enemies to ashes while leaving oneself unscathed. If used poorly, it only brings disaster upon oneself and leads to self-destruction. Even the demon race, gifted and unparalleled in elemental mastery, has countless tragic histories of annihilation caused by losing control of the elements. Among the hundreds of demon gods, the one who controlled the elements most powerfully was struggling fiercely with Ling Xiao. Unexpectedly, he was driven to a perilous situation by Ling Xiao, a rare anxiety appearing on his face. This time, the demon clan truly attracted the head wolf king. The situation was complex and unpredictable, and the demon gods could only silently pray for divine protection, hoping the demon god could reverse the situation. Whether whether it was the favor of fate or the demon god exerting all his strength. Finally, the spatial barrier condensed by Ling Xiao collapsed with a roar. That impenetrable shield dissipated silently like smoke, as if it had never existed. The trapped demons cheered instantly. Ha! Let's see what you human boy can do now. They spoke easily, but the demon god who had just broken through the barrier was already exhausted, slumping to the ground, gasping heavily. Several demon gods surrounded him, forming a defensive line, but it was uncertain whether this defense could withstand Ling Xiao's fierce assault. Ling Xiao frowned deeply, not expecting that despite his great advancement in cultivation and mastery of spatial elements reaching perfection, he was still defeated by his opponent. He silently warned himself, do not underestimate the enemy. The demon race specializes in elements, and elemental battles must never be taken lightly. But pride still flickered in his eyes. He was Ling Xiao, who had fought his way through all obstacles with strength. The spatial element was merely a newly acquired weapon. For Ling Xiao, the spatial element was like adding wings to a tiger. Even without it, he was the king of the mountains and forests, not someone these monkeys could mock. His gaze was sharp, locking onto the demon god who had just broken through space. That demon god had completely lost its combat power, and the remaining demon gods posed no threat. Ling Xiao had now advanced to the 8th heaven of the Divine King realm, with a terrifying combat power equivalent to the 6th heaven of the immortal realm. Few in the world could harm him, yet these demon clans were ungrateful, coming right to his door as sparring partners, truly a godsend opportunity. He glanced over the demon gods, his eyes full of contempt for their reckless arrogance. It was as if an ordinary person suddenly acquired a pile of gold, feeling extremely excited. The flame demon god stepped forward, his gaze fierce, no longer showing the respect he had a few days ago. The respect once given to Ling Xiao as the reincarnation of the primordial demon god was completely gone. Now, in his eyes, Ling Xiao was nothing but a pile of trash. The flame demon god said coldly, human brat, it's not too late to surrender. The 2,000 demon gods united can easily crush you, leaving you unable to live or die. Be sensible and surrender quickly. Ling Xiao laughed out loud. Ha ha ha. The laughter grew from soft to loud, thoroughly mocking. He had long seen through the true nature of the demon clan and thought they were simply blind and out of touch with reality. Now it was their turn to fear him. The strongest demon god of the demon clan was exhausted from breaking through space, while he had hardly exerted himself and suffered no depletion. What exactly makes the demon race so arrogant? They come to provoke themselves and mock others. This kind of race surviving is already a miracle, yet they still delude themselves into reviving past glory and dominating the universe. It's simply a joke. More ridiculous than a street beggar trying to build a business empire or seize power. His sarcasm finally provoked the other party. The flame demon god roared angrily, you really don't know what's good for you, then I'll teach you a lesson. His entire body suddenly ignited with blazing flames, flames far beyond those commonly seen on Earth, reaching temperatures of up to 1,000,000 degrees, instantly turning everything within a radius of billions of meters to ashes. The energy is equivalent to 1,000,000,000 suns. The flame flashes forth with the power to destroy heaven and earth, as if it intends to devour everything. Although the demons are arrogant, they have the capital to be so. Each of the more than 2,000 demon gods is incredibly powerful, all top-tier fighters in one-on-one combat. If it weren't for being conservative and narrow-minded, they wouldn't have ended up in today's situation. They also have dozens of supreme demon gods, the top combat forces of the demon race, each existing like an overlord. In other races, they would surely be revered. But among the demon race, this is actually quite ordinary, and they don't even bother to mention it when bragging. Even after being trapped in the ancient universe for many years, there's no need to boast to anyone. Maybe some people fear them, but definitely not Ling Xiao. If you dare to provoke, I'll make you taste my power. Beat you to the point of kneeling and begging for mercy, bloodied, see reality clearly, and retreat when the going gets tough. I am Ling Xiao, and all along the way, I have never feared anyone. He summons the ice element, which is one of the 2,999 elements. Ice is actually a variant of the water element. At this moment, water is not summoned because it evaporates easily at high temperatures. Using the ice element is better as it evaporates slowly and fleetingly. There are actually stronger elements, but Ling Xiao disdainfully refuses to use them. He wants to use water to extinguish fire, using the most ordinary power to defeat the arrogant enemy. Water and fire counteract each other, they are natural enemies. Water can put out fire, and fire can evaporate water, turning flames into smoke. There is no absolute strength or weakness in the world. Quantitative changes can lead to qualitative changes, breaking through limits. Ling Xiao wants to use seemingly ordinary water to douse the blazing flames that burn everything. Make them understand that the elements they pride themselves on will be easily destroyed by him. Their arrogant dignity will be trampled underfoot. The flame demon sneered coldly when he saw him summon ice. Sure enough, out of tricks, he actually chose ice, such a weak element. Although originating from the same heaven and earth, elements have no hierarchy of superiority or inferiority, but their combat applicability varies greatly. As the saying goes, every profession produces its own top experts, which seems glamorous on the surface but is actually deceptive. Whether a business tycoon, a political elite, or a laborer, they will make the optimal choice. Only when there is no other option will they choose a weak point. He thought thought Ling Xiao was incompetent and that choosing Han Bing was a poor strategy. A master who confused 2,999 elements actually uses such a mundane element. It seems everyone was wrong about him before. He's nothing but a hollow waste. He sneered coldly. This kid is doomed. How dare he provoke the demon race, thinking we're easy to bully. We must teach him a bloody lesson so he knows how high the sky is and understands his place. He roared, and the fire element instantly surged toward Ling Xiao, as if trying to turn him into fuel for the flames. Ling Xiao's face showed no ripple of emotion, as if the opponent's attack was just a child's tantrum. He gently raised his hand, and the surrounding ice elements quickly condensed into a thick barrier, firmly blocking the scorching flames. The ice seemed ordinary, but under the million-degree high temperature, it instantly melted and evaporated, leaving no trace of water or steam, as if it had directly vaporized into the air. The opponent's flame temperature was terrifyingly high, and the process of melting, evaporating, and drying was so fast that the naked eye could not catch it. The flame demon god was smug, thinking, this guy is nothing but a vase. He got lucky to obtain the space element and made some progress in cultivation, but his combat experience is almost zero. He's a waste built up by smashing resources. No matter how high his cultivation is, he's just someone who can be casually killed. He sneered mockingly, choosing the ice element, such a useless element. In the demon race, people start despising you for lack of talent at 15. Ling Xiao learning low-level elements is just to fill the numbers. He can't tell the difference in quality at all. He probably believed that only the demon race were true geniuses, and others were just jokes. But as time passed second by second, he gradually realized something was wrong. The ice quickly dissipated in the flames, yet the total amount did not decrease. The opponent only summoned 2 layers of ice, not many, but no matter how many times he burned them, layer upon layer, it was always those 2 layers, not a bit less. This was simply an insult to his flames. The flame demon god's expression grew serious as he stared intently at the battlefield. The fight had only lasted 2 minutes, but the number of ice layers was already countless, wave after wave, with no decrease in condensation speed. The ice barrier was as natural to the opponent as breathing, and his flames, though not noticeably diminished, had clearly grown dimmer due to the consumption by the ice. Compared to the opponent's steady output, his burning power was continuously declining. The opponent maintained a high frequency, keeping a small amount of ice, while he had gone all out from the start. If he were to unleash another wave of flames like before, he might not be able to hold on. The opponent, however, was calm and effortless, and in an instant hesitation arose in his heart. Could it be that he was the one who had misjudged? Had he completely failed to see the opponent's true strength? The pride of the demon race made him quickly reject this thought. Impossible. He's just barely holding on. He stared intently at the opponent's face, trying to find even the slightest sign of fatigue. As time passed, the ice condensation did not lessen, and the flames grew weaker. He finally had to admit the opponent really had strength. The seemingly ordinary elements, supported by a powerful energy source, could actually achieve such terrifying accumulation. The elements summoned by a single person were even more numerous than the surging rivers. This power was shocking. The flame demon god was unwilling to give up. The battle was not over yet. He immediately summoned the remaining flame elements on his body again, although their intensity was no longer as strong as before. Not as strong as last time, but still incredibly powerful. His energy quickly replenished, and the flame elements erupted once more, burning the ice into steam. The enemy's ice barrier was like an iron wall, still firmly guarding without the slightest looseness, as if mocking his powerlessness. As time passed second by second, Ling Xiao finally showed a trace of disdain, giving up maintaining the 2 ice barriers and instantly releasing a massive amount of ice. This shocked all the demon gods. They saw him raise his hand and wave, and the universe seemed to be engulfed by ice, the white light dazzling, the cold air oppressive, stinging their eyes. What a terrifying accumulation of spiritual power, vast and boundless, covering everything. Layer upon layer of ice pressed closer. The fierce flames rapidly melted, yet the endless ice also consumed the blazing spiritual power within. The flames gradually cooled, as if being extinguished by handful after handful of icy water. Once the fire weakened, Ling Xiao did not hesitate, pouring out more than half of his elemental power. In that instant, the remaining flames were instantly snuffed out, and his figure, like a sharp sword, pierced straight into the flame demon god. The flame demon god had not yet reacted when all the elemental power dissipated, immediately being firmly encased by ice. A bone-chilling coldness came from deep within the marrow, as if the soul itself was trembling in the cold. Since becoming a demon god, he had long been unfamiliar with this coldness. It was the kind of pain only mortals experienced. The ice quickly solidified into ice arrows and ice stones, attacking in rapid succession, piercing through his body and leaving cold holes that penetrated from front to back. Extremely brutal. The flame demon god fell, its blood congealed by the cold and unable to flow, its body full of gaping wounds that shocked the eyes. He didn't even have time to close his eyes, dying quietly. Dying as peacefully as an insignificant fly, no one mourned. The fall of the flame demon god brought heavy pressure to the other demon gods. They originally thought that by exhausting the full power of a demon god to tear through Ling Zhao's spatial elemental defense, and then having the flame demon god face him one-on-one, victory would would be easily achieved. Utterly arrogant, they never considered a group attack, only wanting to rely on a strong individual duel to decide the outcome. But unexpectedly, a high-level demon god vanished instantly before them, leaving them shocked and at a loss. They are demon gods. Demon gods represent power and authority. There are very few in the world who can be called gods, and every demon god is full of confidence. But right before their eyes, power turned into nothingness. Resentful gazes locked onto Ling Xiao, but were also mixed with fear. That's right, they feared this man who could kill gods. No longer sending representatives to fight one-on-one, they formed a formation tightly surrounding Ling Xiao. They even unprecedentedly issued an emergency summons, informing all demons that once the situation changes, they must provide immediate support. Ling Xiao scanned the encirclement, a cold smile curling at the corner of his mouth. Since they have witnessed his strength, they should sensibly leave, perhaps avoiding a deadly pursuit. But they actually dared to besiege him, thinking that sheer numbers could overwhelm him? So naive. True strength never relies on numbers. Ling Xiao lightly waved his hand, and a large amount of icy elements in the air were precisely controlled, with ice swords and ice stones flying towards the demon gods. The power of the ice element is extremely strong, capable of attacking multiple targets simultaneously, with no blind spots or gaps. Although it cannot kill instantly, it is enough to severely injure opponents and tear through defenses. They were panicked and confused, busy defending, unable to form a unified offensive at all. These demon gods had just witnessed the power of the ice firsthand, the corpse of the flame demon god lying quietly, as if warning them. They dared not relax, their eyes sharp, closely watching every shard of flying ice. The ice was vast in number, astonishingly fast, and exceptionally hard. These are not ordinary ice cubes, but blades forged from the power of the elements. Even the demon gods expend considerable strength to shatter these ice blocks. If they choose to evade, the ice controlled by Ling Xiao will strike again, relentlessly harassing without giving up. Helpless, the demon gods can only break the incoming ice one by one. In the center of the battlefield, Ling Xiao stood like a mountain, smiling calmly with a composed expression. The besieging demon gods were flustered, dodging here and there, swinging their weapons at the swirling ice shards. The scene was extremely comical, like a giant ox being harassed by a swarm of flies, clumsy and helpless. Time slowly passed, and they finally completely dispersed the ice. Although there were no serious injuries and not too much strength was overdrawn, he was still upset and endlessly annoyed. The demons grew increasingly furious, seeing Ling Xiao looking down from above, coldly watching their embarrassment. This posture was very much like a king playing with the weak from a lofty height. Burning with anger, over 100 demons exchanged glances, their tacit understanding solidifying. Hundreds of elemental energies fused together, forming a fierce offensive, directly targeting Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao lightly raised his eyebrows, a cold smile appearing at the corner of his mouth. At the moment the attack approached, his figure flickered, instantly teleporting and disappearing within the encirclement. The attacks from the demon gods met no resistance, passing straight through each other, causing chaos within. The clans slaughtered each other, the scene chaotic. Ling Xiao sneered coldly, "What a foolish race, killing their own people, truly ridiculous. If your eyes are useless, you might as well donate them to those who really need them." His infuriating ability was unmatched. Even his gentlest sister was so angry with him that she ignored him for 3 days. The demon gods failed to hit their targets and were instead trapped in internal conflicts, utterly frustrated. They stared fixedly at Ling Xiao, cursing angrily, "Kid, don't be arrogant, sooner or later you'll get what's coming to you. The last person who dared say that to me has long since turned to ashes. Don't worry, you won't die easily, I'll make your life worse than death." Threats rose one after another, reaching Ling Xiao's ears. He sneered dismissively and retorted mockingly, "You can't attack me, yet you keep threatening, it's truly laughable." He solemnly bowed and responded politely, "Alright, the junior will wait here for your guidance. Please do not disappoint me." This provocation enraged the demon gods. They gritted their teeth and vowed to teach this arrogant fellow a harsh lesson. This time, they learned their lesson and no longer simply surrounded him. The 8 demon gods each used elemental powers to seal off 8 directions, forming an impregnable blockade that cut off Ling Xiao's escape routes. Although teleportation is fast, it requires continuous positioning along the path to flash, and cannot pass through walls. The other demon gods were scattered across the battlefield, launching attacks in turns. They vowed to make Ling Xiao pay the price, trapping him in this tight encirclement with no room to escape, forcing him to face the combined assault of the demons. After the demons unleashed their full force strikes, they all retreated to a distance, quietly awaiting the next move. One by one, the demons' faces gradually relaxed. They firmly believed that no one could escape this net-like attack, not even their supreme demon. They were confident, their eyes locked on the attack points, expressions varied, indifferent, mocking, and some faintly worried whether this move could completely kill Ling Xiao. The myriad facets of life were revealed in an instant. The attack spread across billions of light years, stirring up towering clouds of dust. Molecular explosions tore the air apart, as if the goal was not just to kill, but to erase the entire world, turning it into nothingness. As the smoke and dust cleared, Ling Xiao's figure slowly appeared in the thick fog. The faces of the demon gods changed drastically, disbelief evident. Impossible. Under this deadly siege, someone actually survived? What terrifying level has Ling Xiao's strength reached? Shock spread everywhere, some were astonished, some forced themselves to remain calm, and others had already begun to tremble. What kind of existence have they provoked? Among the crowd, many vaguely sensed that this time they had probably kicked against an iron plate. The demon race might pay a terrible price. Even if not wiped out, it would take enormous effort to quell this storm. In the smoke, Ling Xiao coldly scrutinized the demon gods opposite him, filled with anger and indifference. Unexpectedly, these lofty demon gods, joining forces to besiege a junior, were so shameless. This is beyond shameless, it is utterly heartless. However, reasoning with the demon clan is something only fools would do. They made the first move, so don't blame Ling Xiao for showing no mercy. Just now, he almost instantly unleashed all his power. The spatial elements were amplified to the extreme by him, forming a barrier that blocked the vast majority of attacks and created a safe zone. Then, the shadow of the god-slaying tower appeared, combined with multiple advanced weapons, firmly protecting him without a scratch. This group of demon gods completely enraged him. He stared at the enemies before him, fearless, with murderous intent surging. He was determined to crush them one by one, to make them understand the cost of wanton provocation. These demon gods, long accustomed to high positions, were arrogant to the extreme, forgetting to bow and admit defeat when facing strong enemies to seek survival. Perhaps, they never truly believed they would encounter such powerful beings. After their cosmic status declined, they were trapped in a corner, unable to glimpse the new world for many years. Their perception dulled and abilities deteriorated. Like a corrupt imperial dynasty locked in isolation, clearly in decline, yet still considering themselves the celestial empire, looking down on outsiders and refusing to change. They have reached a dead end. Fine, the wrath of heaven can still be forgiven, but self-inflicted sins are unforgivable. The intent to kill is firm, and there is no room left for mercy. Every act of forgiveness towards the enemy will eventually become a blade that wounds oneself. These demon gods are not worthy. Ling Zhao's anger blazed, summoning the execution tower. The execution god tower merged with his soul, their minds connected, sensing his burning anger. Without any command, the execution god tower automatically entered combat mode. It released the controlled spirit phantom. Countless strong souls were absorbed by the execution god tower, transforming into combat power. At this moment, countless translucent phantoms of immortal realm masters surrounded Ling Xiao. Though not physical entities, their combat power far exceeded that of ordinary realms, and their numerical advantage shocked the enemy. These phantoms had all been tempered through life and death trials, their combat strength far surpassing their own, effortlessly slaying foes beyond their level as if waving a hand. The phantoms densely formed an array, and the combat power beside Ling Xiao actually exceeded that of over 100 demon gods. For a moment, it was impossible to tell who was attacking whom, or who was being surrounded. As expected, fortune changes in cycles, 30 years on the east side of the river, 30 years on the west. The demons opposite were shocked, their minds thrown into chaos by the sudden turn of events. What kind of monsters were those translucent phantoms? Neither fully human nor not, they exuded an overwhelming sense of pressure, drifting across the battlefield like ghosts. They had been trapped in this universe for many years and had never seen such a strange and mysterious sight, but they seemed to have already gotten used to the secrets Ling Xiao carried. This seemingly half-grown boy constantly refreshed their understanding, a bizarre background, explosive combat power, a dramatic increase in strength after mastering the ancestral ultimate skill Heavenly Demon Flowing Spirit / mastery of spatial elements to a miraculous degree, and now summoning this group of translucent soldiers. The Ling Xiao before them seemed like a magician traveling through time and space, continuously pulling out peerless divine weapons from his pocket, leaving the demon gods dumbfounded. They had become numb, to the point that if Ling Xiao suddenly summoned a Godzilla, they could accept it. Numbness or not, the battle must go on. The opponent's mystery and strength plunged them into deep fear. Watching the situation reverse time and again, their confidence began to waver. From initial full confidence to now doubting whether they could fight Ling Xiao. A sense of foreboding surged in their hearts. In this battle, many demon gods would fall. No one wished it to be themselves, yet they were powerless to change it. Their eyes flickered restlessly, anxious and uneasy, like ants on a hot pan, yet unable to find a way out. In the end, he could only refocus on the battlefield, charging desperately to carve a path through the bloodshed. Ling Xiao stared coldly at those blood-red eyes, sneering. These guys came to provoke him, but because of the secret of his bloodline, they wanted to kill him. But when they realized that even 100 demon gods combined could not shake him in the slightest, they instead showed the panic-crazed look of rabid dogs. How ridiculous, who do they think they are? As if he was the one forcing them first. Ling Xiao's face was full of disgust, wishing he could crush this group of demons into dust. If it weren't for the fact that there were no dogs in the ancient universe, he really wanted to chop their flesh to feed the dogs, to vent his hatred. He shouted sharply, "Kill!" The Phantom Legion responded instantly, breaking through the air and rushing straight at the demons, forming an encirclement from all directions. Although the demon race had been dormant for a long time, the fighting instinct lingering in their blood instantly awakened. Without orders, the demon gods scattered to prevent the formation of an encirclement. However, after dispersing, the situation became even more chaotic, making it impossible to form a unified front. The demon race was already small in number, and after dispersing, a single single demon god faced 4 or 5 shadow warriors, putting them in a dangerous situation. They had no choice but to avoid the strong and attack the weak, desperately seeking a chance to survive. Ling Xiao sneered coldly, whether they die scattered or die gathered, in the end, they all die. If they want to run, let them run to their heart's content. Killing them all at once would be no fun. Cats catching mice like to toy with their prey, giving them hope only to take it away again, enjoying that expression of despair. Now Ling Xiao is that cat, and this group of demon gods are nothing but filthy mice. Watching them go from arrogant to panic, hiding everywhere, desperately trying to survive, is truly endless fun. The battle officially broke out. Ling Xiao, however, did not make a move, quietly overlooking the struggle of the demon gods on the battlefield. They love to use numbers to overwhelm the few, love to gang up, then let them experience the tactics they are so good at. The phantoms summoned by the god-slaying tower are all powerful warriors who died in this tower back then. To break into the tower of gods and fight for a long time is already a genius among geniuses, a strong among the strong. Although their strength has greatly diminished, 4 or 5 illusions attacking a single demon god still handle it with ease, as steady as Mount Tai. In this exercise, Ling Xiao's victory is only a matter of time. He only needs to watch the demon gods fall one after another to win easily. But he underestimated the cunning of the demon race. Suddenly, a commotion came from the sky. Ling Xiao instantly understood that the main force of the demon race had arrived. They had summoned reinforcements. He wanted to scold them for their foolishness, yet he couldn't help but admire their cleverness. The smart ones promptly notified the main forces of the demon clan for reinforcements. The foolish ones only mentioned that there was an emergency and support could be provided, but did not have the demon gods rush over immediately, resulting in one demon god after another falling, and now they are surrounded. At this moment, over 2,000 demon gods gathered, each towering above, their fierce aura glaring at Ling Xiao as if they wanted to burn him to ashes. Ling Xiao sneered coldly and said contemptuously, "With such little skill, you still want to scare me?" He had been chased, killed, and humiliated by countless enemies along the way. How could he retreat because of such a threat? The demons bared their fangs and claws, but he showed no fear, his gaze sharp as a blade, piercing the heart of each target, making their hair stand on end. What they saw was no longer a young man, but a deity who held life and death in his hands. Though lacking a towering figure, lacking exaggerated strength, and pitifully young in age, the fear he exuded was innate and deeply ingrained. This fear made the demons, who prided themselves as gods, want to kneel before this god of slaughter from hell. The demon gods forced fierce expressions, hiding the shock they had just felt, but their hearts were full of regret. Why did they make an enemy of this terrifying boy? But the hostility was already established, and regret could only be swallowed. The situation was decided, life and death hung in the balance, either you die, or I perish. They quickly plunged into the melee. The demon gods far outnumbered the phantoms summoned by Ling Xiao, and their combat power was far superior to these soulless warriors. Phantoms were cut down one after another, turning into nothingness and scattering with the wind. The dissipating white smoke spread like clouds throughout the universe, the breath of the souls of the strong fading away. No matter how powerful the existence, it ultimately cannot escape the fate of vanishing into dust. Ling Xiao looked at the tragic scene before him, his heart sinking. Overwhelming the few with the many is indeed not a weakness of the demon clan. He hates this kind of tactic the most, especially when he becomes the victim. This time, he decided to show them a thing or two and let them taste some bitterness. A lesson not to be repeated. The demons probably have no chance of survival anymore. Ling Xiao raised both hands, his gaze sweeping over his open palms. Over the years, he has traveled across thousands of mountains and rivers, experiencing countless life and death moments. Yet these hands still look as tender as they did in childhood. The fingerprints remain unchanged, the muscles still ordinary, with thin calluses covering the rough skin. But these hands have long since been transformed. For 27, the power they wield has long surpassed limits, killing thousands, blood-staining countless nights red. Now, these hands will harvest even more lives. Ling Xiao's heartbeat quickens, excitement uncontrollable. Sometimes, he felt like a villain who killed and set fires. Other times, he seemed like a war god enacting justice on behalf of heaven. No matter what, he just wanted to live freely and recklessly. Those who dared to provoke him would have a layer of skin peeled off and pay a painful price. With a thought, brilliant colors blossomed on his palm. Layer upon layer, colorful and dazzling, countless beyond number. If those demon gods still had leisure, a glance upward would surely astonish them to see an elemental sphere formed by the fusion of 2,999 elements. The demon race had never seen such a miracle. Among them, those who can control 2 elements simultaneously are already strong. Overlapping 3 elements is even rarer. The elemental orb in Ling Xiao's hand was colorful and intricately intertwined, like the chaos before the world was formed, before heaven and earth were separated. This was a realm that the demon gods had never reached. But Ling Xiao remained unfazed, as casual as picking up chopsticks. He gazed at the dancing colors for a moment, then fiercely hurled the elemental orb toward the battlefield. The chaotic battle had not ceased, and the demon tribe's counterattack was unstoppable. Originally, over 100 demon gods were despairing, but now their confidence was rekindled. Over 100 demon gods were besieged by Ling Xiao and could still hold on. More than 2,000 demon gods, how could they be controlled by just one person. Humans are social animals, but after encountering the demon tribe, Ling Xiao realized they were the true social overlords. Each is powerful enough to dominate a region alone, yet they unite closely. Instinctively dominant, they choose to gang up in team battles. They would rather share limited resources than fight alone. Therefore, facing the demon race often causes headaches. But at this moment, Ling Xiao was no ordinary person. The elemental orb floated quietly in the center of the battlefield, barely noticeable, like a speck of dust in the air. It gradually spun, its colors becoming more vibrant and lively, blending more evenly. The colors fiercely battled each other, the balance constantly being disrupted. The surface of the sphere trembled violently, bursts of explosive force laid bare. Bang! With a loud roar, the battlefield was enveloped in a multicolored light curtain. It was like coating a bright red apple with a layer of vivid paint, beautiful yet exuding a deadly aura. The explosion was deafening, and then the battlefield fell into an eerie silence. As the colors gradually faded, the world returned to silent emptiness. Ling Xiao opened his eyes, the scene before him clear. Out of more than 2,000 demon gods, fewer than 20 remained. Even the last 20 strong were heavily wounded. This attack has severed the strongest backbone of the demon clan. Ling Xiao knew in his heart that he could not defeat them head-on. These wounds were only effective because he struck unexpectedly and used a